A close-up on a young man's face, his expression strained with longing as he thinks about money. He sits alone at his desk in a dark room, the glow of a screen illuminating his desire to escape. A news article appears, showcasing the public image of Congressman Kim Yu-soo, a man running for a third term. Another article reveals the congressman's daily life, featuring him with his son Jae-hoon, who looks unenthusiastic. Headlines praise Jae-hoon for ranking first in school, calling him a son worthy of his father's reputation. Someone holds a phone displaying the news article about Jae-hoon, the screen reflecting in their eyes. A girl excitedly shows Jae-hoon the photo on her phone while another watches, leaving him startled and confused. This same girl leans in close, whispering that she has something to tell him and suggests stepping outside. Classmates watch them leave, one expressing jealousy that the congressman's son can get close to someone like her. This scene shifts to a narrow alley where voices call out to Jae-hoon, telling him not to do this. This girl from earlier stands with a group demanding to know why he will not lend her money. Jae-hoon reminds her he just lent her 300,000 won last week, his face showing his stress. A bully grabs Jae-hoon, threatening to report him and accusing him of creating an illegal site. Jae-hoon protests his innocence, but the bully dismisses it, calling him an accomplice as people walk by. This girl feigns ignorance and the bully suggests they all just go turn themselves in. Silver-haired and sweating, Jae-hoon questions who would truly lose in this situation. A news headline reveals Congressman Kim Yu-soo running for a third term, his reputation spotless. A woman grips Jae-hoon's shoulder, pressing him with a smile, counting on him to deliver. Backpack on, Jae-hoon stands frozen before a closed door, fists clenched tight. His trembling hand reaches for the handle, each finger shaking with dread. Inside now, Jae-hoon's eyes dart wildly, swearing he absolutely cannot reveal the truth. A sharp voice cuts through the silence, demanding why he is just standing there. This congressman looms over his son, asking coldly if there is something he needs to say. Adjusting his tie, the father warns that the election is imminent, even if Jae-hoon cannot help. His tone drops to a threat, ordering his son not to tarnish his hard-earned honor. A tight grip on his own collar, the congressman demands an answer that never comes. Forcing a bright smile, Jae-hoon promises he will not disappoint, telling his father not to worry. Disappointment. The congressman scoffs, wondering if there is anything left in Jae-hoon to ruin. Still smiling, the father declares Jae-hoon's sole purpose is to obey his every command. Alone in his room, Jae-hoon collapses over his desk, shaking with silent, suffocating despair. This boy hunches over in despair, demanding to know why this is happening to him. His shock cuts short as he hears a sudden sound from behind. A gray cat sits on the desk, meowing softly with bright, curious eyes. Recognition dawns on the boy's face as he smiles, asking if Lulu was worried. This cat leaps onto him, causing a playful struggle as he laughs and protests. Holding the rascal aloft, he reflects on his isolation at school and at home. Cuddling the cat close, he confesses having no allies anywhere, only Lulu. His attention shifts to a glowing monitor displaying the game Night Defense and its massive prize. A close-up reveals his determined eye, reflecting the screen as he vows to endure one more wave. This screen abruptly flashes a stark red game over, shattering his hopes. Multiple failure notices stack up, each a brutal reminder of the impossible level 100 wave. Another game over looms, underscoring the game's cruel, unbeatable design. Frustration boils over as he grips his phone, having reset hundreds of times to no avail. A streamer rages at his setup, echoing the community's belief that the prize is a lie. With grim resolve, the boy declares the game was never meant to be cleared, warning everyone to stop playing. A year after release, many have cleared the 99th wave, but at his desk, the gray-haired player refuses to quit, knowing this is the only escape from a hellish life with his cat Lulu. His best item is the beating Reincarnation's heart from the 99th wave boss, yet even fully enhanced, it was not enough to clear the 100th wave. Frustrated, he watches as Lulu knocks over his things. Then the cat's paw steps directly onto his tablet screen. His eyes widen in horror as it hits the dismantle command. A close-up shows the paw pressing the glowing red button. He screams Lulu's name, too late to stop the action. This screen confirms Reincarnation's heart has been dismantled. He stares aghast at the result of the accidental click. This dismantle yields 1,000 enhancement fragments instead. Head in hands, he realizes the only path is to start over. But a chilling doubt remains, even if he restarts, will anything change? This dismantle yields something unexpected, a glowing green dragon soul among the fragments. Confused, Jae-hoon checks his phone, knowing grinding usually only produces enhancement fragments. A close-up reveals the mysterious dragon soul, its emerald light pulsing with unknown power. His eyes widen with dawning realization, sweat beating as a wild theory takes shape. Without hesitation, he taps the dragon's soul, committing to whatever path this opens. A revelation strikes him, this item holds the key to conquering the final wave. His finger hovers over the restart button, ready to begin anew with this advantage. This next morning, he sits in class, mind elsewhere, counting down until he can return. Under his desk, phone in hand, he sneaks glances while the teacher drones on. Night falls again and he is back at his setup, the screen casting shadows as progress climbs. Between classes, he walks the halls checking his phone, strategizing his next attempt. Another late night, another session, his silhouette framed by the monitor's glow. Victory at Wave 99, the dismantle complete, Dragon's soul secured in his inventory. Confidence builds as the strategy unfolds, each wave falling to his new approach. This final challenge awaits, level 100, the last wave ready to begin. On the game screen, his lone knight faces a horde of monstrous enemies. A desperate plea escapes his lips as his finger slams down on the tablet. A massive yellow energy slash erupts across the level 100 wave battlefield. With tears in his eyes, he vows this time he will finally clear it. A brilliant victory screen flashes and he whispers in disbelief. Manic joy overtakes him as he shouts his triumph into the dark room. But the door opens and his father's silhouette asks what he just cleared. Jae-hoon freezes, stammering a greeting as his father mentions his friends. This congressman looms, golf club in hand, condemning their blackmail for money. A sharp command rings out, warning Jae-hoon not to tarnish his honor. Trembling, the boy cries out an apology, his face a mask of terror. Through the window, his father's silhouette raises the club as Jae-hoon pleads. A brutal swing connects and a cry of pain shatters the moment. A close-up reveals his eye wide with shock and a falling tear. Shards of glass frame his shattered tablet as his father's voice calls him pathetic. A tearful eye widens in shock as a voice demands to know who harmed him. Jihoon stands silhouetted in the doorway, asking his father if he has seen Lulu anywhere. His father's cold reply cuts deep. Jihoon does not need that cat anymore. Teeth gritting hard, fury building behind clenched jaws as the truth sinks in. This congressman looms with a golf club, demanding to know what that expression means. Panic flooding his face, Jihoon screams for Lulu while his father tells him not to worry. A chilling smirk crosses the congressman's face as he suggests Lulu is with Jihoon's dead mother. Horror freezes Jihoon's eyes wide, tears threatening to fall as he whispers Lulu's name. Gripping his son's face, the father promises wealth and honor if Jihoon simply obeys. Fingers pressing into his cheeks, the congressman warns him not to disappoint him anymore. Standing tall with an unsettling glow, the father declares he trusts his son completely. Something finally snaps inside Jihoon. He cannot endure this suffocating existence any longer. A golf club lies abandoned on the floor as his breaking point arrives. A holographic notification blazes to life. Jihoon is the first player to clear night defense. Kneeling in tears, he realizes it is too late, no reason left to escape or endure. His shattered tablet pulses with an otherworldly message. Blue lightning erupts through his window as the game pulls him in. A blinding beam crashes down upon a medieval kingdom waiting for salvation. Guards stare in shock as light floods the throne room, someone cries out. Jihoon materializes on his knees before stunned soldiers, labeled their legendary knight. This desperate crowd surges forward, screaming for their savior to finally arrive. Yet inside, he feels nothing. Strangely, no tears fall despite everything. Something shifted within him, like his emotions were wiped clean. A bearded king clears his throat, demanding his attention. This crowned ruler leans forward, asking if he is truly the legendary knight. Jihoon studies the king's features, recognizing something unsettling in his face. This king's appearance matches a familiar pixel sprite from the game. Barris Georgia Roman III introduces himself as ruler of the Georgia kingdom. A vision of carnage floods the throne room, fallen soldiers, monsters closing in from every direction. A breathless messenger bursts through the doors, shouting urgent news to the king. Jihoon processes the kingdom setting before him, a knight standing guard in the distance. A breathless messenger leans toward the throne, whispering urgent news to the king. This scene flickers into pixel art identical to Knight Defense's opening sequence. Barris leans forward, declaring the situation dire and cutting straight to his command. A glowing interface materializes, faction selection, demanding Jihoon accept or decline the king's proposal. His feet carry him forward across the carpet as he mutters uncertainty about this dream. A close-up reveals his hollow expression. He does not need the $1,000,000,000 prize anymore. Flashback fragments surface, Lulu's warm eyes, his own tear-streaked smile in the dark. Back in his room, Jihoon grips his device with Lulu perched on his shoulder. A silhouette before the monitor whispers that he does not need it, any of it. This crowd buzzes with confusion. Someone mutters about the billion, then calls the legendary knight weak. Barris admits confusion over the billion remark but offers the commander role to protect humanity. This king's voice booms with promise. Whatever Jihoon wants, he will grant it without exception. Jihoon's eyes widen, disbelief cracking through as he repeats the king's impossible offer. Barris leans in with unsettling calm, nothing to worry about, just obey his commands. His father's voice echoes, promising wealth and honor if he simply obeys. This same cold promise rings out, offering whatever he wants in exchange. A single word forms in his mind, trembling with suppressed rage. King Barris leans forward, declaring his complete trust in the legendary knight, but Jihoon's voice cracks as he screams his refusal to the throne. This king's face freezes in shock at this unprecedented defiance. Memories flood back everywhere he went, branded as just a congressman's son. Faces blur together, each one only wanting to use him for their gain. Even here, they want to chain him to another role, the legendary knight. This crowd gasps, their savior suddenly unraveling before their eyes. He turns his back on their promises, rejecting everything they offer. This king's expression hardens, his patience wearing thin. Jihoon's hand glows with power as he wishes destruction on everyone. His finger slams down on the rejection button, severing the connection. This king and guard stare in disbelief. This is not how a legendary knight should behave. A glitching system notification flashes, and Jihoon's eye widens in shock at the unexpected message. A horde of monstrous creatures swarms toward the kingdom, their glowing eyes fixed on the walls. A hooded figure stands before an army of knights tasked with defending the realm from the invasion. This castle gates tremble under a relentless assault, chaos and fire consuming the battlefield beyond. A Stark system alert declares his refusal of the human faction, granting him the right to choose another. A hidden route unlocks before him, offering the chance to lead the monster faction instead. Confusion clouds Jihoon's face as he realizes the monster faction means abandoning defense entirely. This entire kingdom burns in a sea of flames and destruction, a vision of total offensive war. This bearded king declares coldly that every choice carries its own inevitable consequences. This gathered crowd murmurs in fear, their belief in their savior quickly turning to betrayal. King Barris roars in fury, branding Jihoon a traitor who endangers the entire nation. A determined, almost sinister resolve settles on Jihoon's features as he accepts his new label. This king's command echoes through the throne room, ordering his knights to seize the so-called enemy. Armored soldiers surge forward with drawn blades, their sole purpose now to execute the boy. A chilling smile crosses Jihoon's face in the shadows, whispering he has already endured far worse. Armed knights surround Jihoon in the throne room, weapons drawn and ready to strike. A death command echoes as blades close in from every direction. Something inside him finally breaks, years of suffering surging to the surface. Red energy explodes outward, sending armored soldiers flying through the hall. This bearded king's eyes widen in shock at the terrifying power unleashed. A dark notification blazes, faction selection complete as monstrous wings unfurl behind him. System messages flood his vision, granting him abilities beyond human limits. His new purpose crystallizes in crimson text to destroy the human faction. Against a burning sunset, Jihoon declares the hunt begins now. Monstrous hordes gather at the gates 10 minutes until the first wave crashes. A condition appears, secure an item from this world to return home. A memory surfaces, his mother smiling, holding Lulu as a kitten. Hope flickers through the darkness, he could reclaim that lost time. An S-rank knight notification flashes as chaos erupts through the corridor. Soldiers whisper fearfully about the ominous aura radiating from Jihoon's transformation. King Barris questions whether Jihoon's transformed state can even be called a monster. An aura of immense, unknown power radiates from Jihoon's monstrous form. Jihoon notes the faction change but wonders if the game's core progression remains. A Crimson Quest interface appears, commanding him to break the human defenses. He confirms the quest content has shifted, yet the fundamental game flow persists. A starry screen displays the S-rank knight recruitment ticket he was originally promised. Instead of a knight, a dark, mysterious egg materializes before a stunned Jihoon. This system confirms his reward is an S-rank random monster egg for choosing the monster faction. With accepting thought, the egg immediately begins to crack open in a burst of light. This kingdom's guards stare in shock, realizing he has summoned something powerful. Jihoon recognizes the name of the monster being hatched, his eyes widening in realization. This legendary cold-blooded dragon, Reincarnation, is revealed in all its fearsome glory. A dark, ominous energy swirls as the realization hits. The human faction faces instant annihilation. This apocalyptic dragon emerges not as a beast, but as a tiny, adorable red hatchling. Jihoon stares in disbelief at the cute creature, realizing the ultimate boss starts at level 1. This small red creature, his new companion, watches Jihoon with wide, curious eyes. It gently licks his finger, a moment of strange comfort in the hostile throne room. Jihoon breathes out a name, Lu, recognizing the familiar spirit in this monstrous form. A system prompt activates, granting him the passive skill Ruler's Eye to analyze his foes. He reads the skill's description, learning he can now check the stats of monsters and items. This armored soldiers scoff, their fear masked by bravado as they mock his small summon. With a unified battle cry, the knights charge forward, their weapons aimed to strike him down. A cold resolve hardens Jihoon's expression. He does not care if this is a dream or not. His eye ignites with purple light as he activates Ruler's Eye, locking onto his targets. He focuses on his companion, the only ally he can trust in this moment of betrayal. This skill reveals his creature's hidden power, Dragon Breath level 1, ready to be unleashed. With a fierce shout, Jihoon commands his companion, Reincarnation, unleashing its fiery attack. A torrent of flame erupts, scattering the charging knights and sending them flying backward. Jihoon stares, stunned by the devastating power he has just unleashed upon the soldiers. This creature's maw glows with intense red energy, preparing to strike once more. Red energy erupts from his hooded form as he swings his weapon with devastating force. A crimson beam tears through the knight ranks, scattering soldiers like broken toys. This blast carves across the kingdom's skyline, splitting the air above the castle towers. Massive boulders rain down on the panicked townsfolk below, crushing buildings in their path. A gaping hole blasts through the palace wall as Jihoon stands calmly with his companion. His expression remains eerily blank, eyes cold and calculating amid the chaos. A noble screams in terror. One shot obliterated the entire palace fortification. Courtiers recoil in horror, calling him a demon and demanding to know what was summoned. A sinister smile crosses Jihoon's face. This conquest is far simpler than expected. A crimson notification explains the return condition, and he wonders if they will comply willingly. Countless legendary weapons shimmer before him. One surely holds the power he needs. Back in his dark room, he sees no urgent reason to return home. With his red companion perched on his finger, he commits to clearing the mission first. Through the shattered wall, King Barris shouts at the lone figure standing in the throne room. This crowned ruler's face hardens with murderous intent. He vows to destroy them all. Jihoon stands with his roaring dragon, demanding his hard-earned reward. This kingdom sprawls below, its castle looming under a twilight sky. A blonde knight senses disturbance, her gaze fixed on the palace. Someone gasps in effort, straining against an unseen force. A knight sprints down the hall, begging the king to wait. Jihoon faces the throne, asking Reincarnation for another powerful roar. Guards panic, ordering layered shields to protect the monarch. Jihoon observes the feudal defense, noting no barrier will hold. He points directly at the throne, declaring the king his target. King Barris stares in shock, realizing the threat is real. A knight bursts in, announcing his arrival to save the king. Soldiers form a dense shield wall, bracing for impact. Jihoon's eye glows with power, commanding fire to strike. Reincarnation swoops down the aisle, heading straight for the throne. This knight breathes in relief, assuring the king he is safe. This dragon's assault halts abruptly, leaving King Barris and his guard bewildered. Jihoon realizes his companion's skills consume MP just like knight abilities. This system reveals Dragon Breath drains massive MP, depletion generates dark circles. He attempts a normal attack, red energy shooting from his outstretched hand. Standing frozen, Jihoon watches his assault fizzle into nothing. Frustration mounts, he expected easy victory, now forced to wait for cooldown. A new knight arrives, armored legs planting firmly, demanding to know who dared threaten the king. Jihoon and Reincarnation tense as the system explains knight ranking hierarchy. This ranks cascade from D-rank apprentice upward, culminating in elite S-rank status. This intruder faces one of the Zodiac 12 stars, an S-rank elite knight. Ares stands revealed, white-haired and muscular, gripping a massive spear. This kingdom's strongest knight confronts Jihoon while checking on King Barris. Sweat beads on Jihoon's face. This encounter just became far more dangerous. King Barris commands his forces to swiftly eliminate the palace invader. Ares ignites his spear in blazing flames, accepting the royal command without hesitation. Jihoon freezes, the system's announcement of an S-rank knight's arrival leaving him utterly panicked. His mind races, recalling the 12 legendary knights, with Ares being the most dangerous. A sudden, overwhelming heat engulfs him as Ares unleashes a devastating area of effect attack. This knight's signature skill, Flame Wall, erupts, a terrifying early game cheat meant to incinerate. A colossal wave of fire surges toward the throne room, with Jihoon and Lulu in its path. Pure shock and terror register on Jihoon's face, realizing the sheer scale of the power. This fiery blast tears through the castle's upper structure, exploding against the twilight sky. A silhouetted figure screams in agony, consumed by the relentless, all-consuming flames. Caught in the inferno, soldiers cry out in confusion, questioning why they are also being burned. Thrown to the ground amidst the smoke and debris, a wounded Jihoon cries out for help. A tactical diagram flashes, explaining the flame wall's straight-line trajectory from caster to target. Knowing he was the target, Jihoon desperately dives aside, clutching Lulu to dodge the blast. Surveying the smoldering ruins and fallen soldiers, his expression hardens with cold indifference. A close-up reveals his gritted teeth, a mix of pain and defiant resolve etched on his face. A new, armored figure emerges from the smoke, mocking Jihoon's evasive maneuvers like a cornered rat. This silver-haired knight snarls his threat, promising to burn a hole straight through Jihoon's heart. Jihoon glances back, realizing the knight's generous offer is a lie. His flame wall is still on cooldown. Reincarnation's mighty roar ends with a pathetic thud, crushing any slight chance of a quick victory. This armored knight lunges, flaming spear aimed to pin Jihoon in place as pain flares through him. Sweat beads on Jihoon's face, his mind racing for any possible way out of this trap. This knight dashes forward at blinding speed, convinced this anticlimactic end is inevitable. A crimson system alert suddenly blares, offering an unclaimed main quest reward, a random item box. Desperate for a solution, Jihoon mentally screams at the system to hurry and grant him the reward. With raw desperation, he roars at the interface, demanding it give the item to him now. This system confirms his acceptance as a glowing box materializes, which he catches mid-stride. This charging knight skids to a halt, shocked as Jihoon uses what appears to be summoning magic. A purple glow ignites in Jihoon's eye, activating Ruler's Eye to analyze the new variable. From the open box, a dark, ornate sword emerges in a burst of golden light, stunning Jihoon. His Ruler's Eye skill fully activates, scanning the mysterious weapon's properties and power. This interface reveals the S-rank Hellbringer, a blade of immense magic power meant to bring destruction. Jihoon stares at his S-rank summon in disbelief, the tiny dragon perched on his shoulder. This terrible truth dawns: they gave him this power to massacre the human faction. A massive crimson sword descends from above, its tip cracking the marble floor on impact. This weapon's weight obliterates the throne room, leaving Jihoon standing amid total devastation. Confusion floods his face as he processes what just happened. This was not his doing. This entire palace structure buckles and explodes outward in a catastrophic cascade of stone. This shockwave catches him mid-stance, sending him stumbling backward through the debris. Jihoon plummets from the crumbling palace, screaming as he falls toward the ground below. Fury twists his features. He cannot believe a palace cannot withstand a weapon's weight. This ceiling collapses inward, raining massive chunks of stone down upon the chaos. Panic grips him. He has not even attacked yet, and the kingdom is already falling. Desperation fuels his resolve as he braces against the crushing debris above. This destruction suddenly halts, leaving him gasping in the eerie stillness. Through the settling dust, the ruined throne room reveals a fountain still standing. Reincarnation's tiny wings flutter rapidly, the small dragon unharmed by the chaos. Reincarnation growls and flaps wildly on Jihoon's shoulder, finally revealing its true draconic nature. Below, townsfolk point upward in shock, spotting a lone figure soaring through the twilight sky. Sweat drips down Jihoon's face as he reflects on nearly dying in this absurd enemy territory start. This sprawling kingdom stretches beneath him at sunset, the power gap between them painfully clear. Dark silhouettes of S-rank knights loom ahead, their numbers only growing stronger as time passes. With Reincarnation's roar echoing behind them, Jihoon knows escaping the kingdom must take priority now. Ares' jaw clenches with shame, sweat beading as he questions how he let them slip away. This knight's self-loathing intensifies, his voice cracking as he calls himself incompetent and unworthy of the king's faith. A bitter memory surfaces. Ares wishes the sea had claimed him instead of allowing this failure. A sharp voice cuts through his despair, announcing that his majesty is calling for him. Ares drops to his knees before the throne, begging for punishment after letting the criminal escape. King Barris raises a hand, silencing him as his gaze drifts toward the fading sunset beyond. This king's words carry weight. Nightfall means the monsters grow stronger, and Ares understands the implication. Barris commands him to lead the defense at the ramparts, placing the kingdom's survival in his hands. This king turns away, his expression unreadable as he watches the last light disappear beyond the horizon. Soaring above the kingdom at sunset, Jihoon and Reincarnation flee the chaos they unleashed. His mind races, recalling the game's infamous first wave, nearly impossible without an S-rank knight. A horde of snarling goblins floods the screen, visualizing the brutal difficulty he just survived. Ares stands victorious in the ruined hall, a stark reminder of the power Jihoon barely escaped. Mid-air, a sudden lurch interrupts his thoughts. They are losing altitude, drifting downward. Reincarnation's wings flutter weakly, the small dragon straining to keep them aloft. This ground rushes up to meet them, a blur of rooftops and stone walls. Panic seizes Jihoon's face as he realizes a crash is unavoidable. A solid stone wall fills his vision, the impact seconds away. They slam into the cobblestone street with a thunderous crash, dust billowing outward. Groaning on the ground, Jihoon clutches his back, surprised by his own resilience. Standing up, he examines his unscathed body, realizing this form is not human. A voice cuts through the settling dust, demanding to know who he is. His eyes widen in sheer shock at the sight before him. A blonde female knight in ornate armor stands there, questioning the presence of another S-rank. A blonde S-rank knight, Rib, demands identification, her sword drawn and eyes sharp. Jihoon recalls how he alone blocked the unwinnable 100th wave, his expression solemn. Rib's history reveals her as an S-rank knight, inefficient at defense, relegated to grinding. This dragon's soul item glows, marking Jihoon as the key to that pivotal victory. Rib insists on identification, while Jihoon internally notes only he knew her true worth. Sword pointed at his chest, Rib asks if Jihoon knows her, tension thickening. He admits knowing her well, explaining it took hundreds of failures to assess her value. Confused by his words, Rib questions his meaning as he reveals she was his strategy's core. But with factions shifted, Jihoon coldly states Rib is now the obstacle he must eliminate. Rib readies her blade, the caption first signaling she is his initial target. A monstrous creature with glowing red eyes emerges from the shadows, growling menacingly. Soldiers panic, shouting warnings as the beast charges toward the castle defenses. Goblins swarm the walls, their numbers overwhelming as they climb toward the ramparts. Archers unleash a volley, arrows raining down on the advancing goblin horde. Desperate defenders hurl stones, trying to prevent the creatures from scaling the walls. This kingdom's walls crumble under relentless assault, soldiers scrambling in chaos. A soldier shouts in desperation, their commander still absent from the front lines. Word spreads that Sir Ares approaches, reigniting hope among the terrified troops. This blonde knight points her blade, demanding Jihoon reveal his identity and origin. She warns that silence will force her hand, judgment imminent without explanation. Jihoon calculates eliminating her, but S-rank knights are unbeatable up close. With no viable attack, he concludes retreat is his only option. Putting on a cheerful act, he claims to be a lost citizen from the 1st District. His dragon's sudden roar shatters the facade, exposing the danger. This knight's eyes widen in shock, realizing a monster stands before her. Suspicion dawns, this creature might be responsible for the earlier devastation. Jihoon's mind races, now suspected as an accomplice to the destruction. She weighs escaping on the dragon, but knows it is impossible before takeoff. Misreading his hesitation as fear, she misinterprets his intentions entirely. Declaring him an innocent victim, she vows to shield him from the monster. Rieseldrake tilts its head, letting out a confused, almost cute roar sound. Rib's eyes narrow with sharp focus, sensing something is terribly wrong. This dragon's playful roar contrasts with Rib's flustered reaction, revealing her softer side. A massive explosion rocks the castle walls, sending soldiers scrambling in panic. Seizing the chaos, Jihoon points urgently, seeing his chance to slip away. From above, the castle ramparts smoke as someone yells about careful handling. Alone in the street, Rib wonders where Jihoon vanished, too confused. A soldier rushes to Rib, relieved to find her amidst the chaos. Realization dawns on Rib, the main gate is under attack, her duty calls. This massive wooden gate shudders under a powerful impact, cracks spreading. Soldiers stare in terror as the gate groans, fearing the worst. With a final crack, the gate's integrity fails, doom imminent. Rib takes command, ordering archers to switch to close combat defense. Outside, goblins swarm the gate as archers rain arrows from above. A hulking orc leader roars, raising its spiked club to smash through. This castle gate lies shattered, its wooden planks splintered as soldiers brace for the breach. Their faces twist in shock and fear, swords raised against the unseen force beyond. A monstrous spiked fist smashes through the ground, tearing the courtyard apart in a violent explosion. Rib the blonde knight barks a command, her glowing sword held high as she orders the charge. A hulking, red-eyed ogre roars, its massive form emerging from the dust and debris. A bolt of blue lightning arcs across the sky, scattering the panicked crowds below. A caped commander arrives, his flaming staff raised as he surveys the chaos he missed. Rib's eyes widen in recognition, her voice sharp as she questions the latecomer's identity. A young man with dark hair snarls in fury, learning the main gate has already fallen. A towering wall of fire erupts, labeled Flame Wall, engulfing the monstrous invaders. Creatures writhe and scream as they are consumed by the relentless, all-consuming inferno. This silver-haired commander smirks, taunting the burning monsters to dance for his amusement. From a distant cliff, a lone observer watches the fiery battle turn the tide below. Jihoon stands silently, recalling he was once the sole defender against 100 waves. A Crimson System alert clarifies his new, terrible objective: destroy the human faction within 100 waves. Rieseldrake gazes up at Jihoon with wide, trusting eyes. A gentle hand strokes the dragon's head as he whispers about returning to that time. A single tear rolls down Rieseldrake's cheek, the little creature sensing his sorrow. Cradling the dragon close, Jihoon's expression hardens with quiet resolve. A memory floods back, soldiers cheering victory before the castle walls. Rib stands motionless in her armor, the weight of finality settling over her. From the tree-lined shadows, a dark hand reaches toward Jihoon's distant silhouette. This kingdom's spires glow against the night sky, the place where everything began. Now deep within unfamiliar woods, Jihoon questions whether this is the monster faction's territory. His jaw tightens, this route never existed in night defense. Hundreds of resets taught him every detail of the kingdom's defenses, but this landscape is wrong, forcing him to start from absolute zero. Standing at the cliff's edge, realization strikes, he has forgotten something crucial. Turning to the small dragon, Jihoon acknowledges Rieseldrake's presence with quiet gratitude. This tiny creature scurries away as Jihoon watches in stunned silence. His eyes widen in confusion, sensing something strange about this place. Below, a line of ants carries food, one pausing to question what it sees. This tiny creature's freeze in terror as a massive shadow looms overhead. One ant's face contorts in pure panic, its mandibles trembling with fear. Rieseldrake watches the ants with feline curiosity, prompting Jihoon to note the dragon's cat-like behavior. Shifting focus from the distraction, he ponders his next move in this empty wasteland. A crimson portal materializes before them, confirming his suspicions about what is coming. This system demands he rally monsters to build a faction, promising a random skill as reward. Processing the quest, he wonders if direct recruitment is truly the only path forward. Early-stage monsters typically mean goblins, he recalls, visualizing the typical weak creatures. Scanning the barren landscape, he questions where even basic creatures have vanished to. Communication must come before recruitment, he reasons, just as something rushes through the trees. A sudden movement catches his attention, green energy streaking past his head. A creature lunges from the forest, screaming for his death as claws extend. This attack strikes without warning, leaving him stunned and barely dodging the lethal blow. This green energy blast slams into Jihoon's back, sending him stumbling forward. Pain contorts his face as he gasps, the unexpected attack catching him off guard. Suddenly surrounded by identical fox women laughing hysterically, Jihoon stands frozen in bewilderment. His eye widens in shock, staring at something that should not exist in this world. A white-haired beastfolk woman stands before him, her fox ears twitching with curiosity. Offended by his assumption, she demands clarification. She is clearly no mere rabbit. An anger mark pulses on her head as she turns away, fuming at his insult. She storms toward him, shouting that she is fox-like, not some cute bunny creature. Their argument escalates as she insists he called her cute while he mutters white fox. Jihoon strokes his chin thoughtfully, studying her features with a strategist's eye. Recognition dawns on his face. He identifies her species correctly as an Arctic fox. Her heart skips a beat at his words, confusion flickering across her expression. But then the assault suddenly ceases, leaving him bewildered as a hand reaches toward him. One leans in close, sniffing him suspiciously. His human appearance masks an unmistakable monster scent. Jihoon's eyes widen in alarm, realizing his connection to monsters has been exposed. A Crimson System notification materializes before Jihoon, announcing 2 permanent passive skills. This first skill enables direct communication with monsters, while the second draws their favor. This cat-like monster girl realizes this new ability explains their sudden understanding. Pointing a finger directly at her, Jihoon's expression shifts to one of sharp accusation. His face flushes with panic as he demands to know what she truly is. As she pokes his back, he internally questions the effectiveness of his new likable monster skill. Without warning, a thick rope lashes out, wrapping tightly around his neck. This rope yanks violently, drawing a spray of blood from the sudden impact. From the tree line, a trio of bandits emerges, celebrating their successful capture. Jihoon watches them approach, realizing he has stumbled into a classic bandit ambush scenario. This monster girl's eyes widen in fury, snarling upon discovering his true human nature. Crouching in pain from an arrow in her leg, she accuses him of setting a trap. Her face contorts with desperate anger, demanding to know why they are being hunted. Jihoon stammers, desperately trying to explain that this is all a terrible misunderstanding. A bandit's hand tightens on the rope, mockingly telling him to keep talking. This white-haired cat girl launches herself at the group, demanding to know what they are talking about. This muscular, bald man screams in agony as her attack connects with devastating force. She moves with blinding speed, her body a blur of motion and lethal intent. Jihoon watches in stunned silence, his face pale with shock at what is unfolding. A brutal impact sends shockwaves rippling through the air as her strike lands. This bald man's expression shifts to something darker, a cruel smile spreading across his face. Her emerald eyes burn with fury, white hair whipping around her as she prepares another assault. Her foot connects with his skull in a devastating kick that sends him reeling. His eyes widen in disbelief as her hand reaches for him with inhuman speed. She slams into the ground with catastrophic force, cratering the earth beneath her. 2 observers watch from the shadows, one seething with rage, the other calmly smoking, noting her diminutive frame. Jihoon's jaw drops as dust billows from the impact zone, questioning if a single kick could cause such destruction. This bald warrior stands over her fallen form, his voice trembling with outrage at her audacity. His boot presses down on her back as he commands her to surrender without resistance. Jihoon remains motionless among the wreckage, sensing something fundamentally wrong with how this confrontation is unfolding. This beastfolk girl writhes on the ground, crying out as humans hunt her. A clenched fist trembles at his side, knuckles white with suppressed fury. Jihoon and his ponytailed companion arrive, the man asking if he is okay. This companion notes this dangerous area is where beastfolk appear. He then questions why Jihoon is here alone, a hint of suspicion. A bald man looms over the beastfolk, shouting incoherently as she cowers. He raises his weapon, snarling insults and calling her a beast. Jihoon's eyes narrow sharply, his expression hardening at the sight. His companion calmly tells the man to stop, claiming he is dying. This bald man lowers his weapon, flustered and apologizing for his excitement. Jihoon sighs in relief, commenting that their guys are a bit aggressive, but his companion leans in with a sinister grin, asking about that monster earlier. Suddenly, Jihoon is grabbed and pulled back, his face showing shock. This companion stands over him, saying he would not have gone through all this trouble. A bloody knife lies discarded on the dusty ground, a silent threat. Jihoon staggers back, clutching his side as shock and pain flood his senses. This Arctic fox beastfolk watches in stunned silence, her teal eyes wide. A feverish heat surges through him, his vision blurring from the sudden poison. His betrayer smirks, calmly explaining he avoided vital points but used a lethal toxin. Coughing blood, Jihoon learns he has only 12 hours before the poison kills him. A vial of green antidote is presented, its price a dangerous and immediate task. A bandit yanks the beastfolk girl's hair back, demanding she reveal a hidden location. This group closes in, their leader demanding the whereabouts of the beastfolk's secret home. Her face twists with fear and defiance as she reluctantly names the fox den. Blood drips from Jihoon's chin as he processes the term, a new objective forming. From the tree line, a small red fox-like creature watches the tense scene unfold. This words echo through the forest, a haunting question hanging in the darkening air. This companion clarifies it is a beastfolk village, offering a deal to secure the antidote. Jihoon's eyes narrow, questioning why they want the village and what it truly means. This captive beastfolk pleads desperately, warning that leading them there would doom everyone. A close-up reveals fangs bared in a desperate, pained snarl. Blood drips from Jihoon's lip as his eyes widen in stunned realization. A bandit's hand clamps over the beastfolk girl's mouth, silencing her cries. Jihoon steps forward, his voice cold as he questions their suicidal aggression. This captive beastfolk growls, bloodied but defiant against the uncivilized beast insult. This ponytailed leader muses that their captives rarely survive a single day. A sudden, violent strike lands as the beastfolk girl fights back against her restraint. She is choked violently, spitting blood as the bandit overpowers her. This leader observes coldly that these creatures simply do not value their own lives. Taking command, Jihoon orders the others back, wary of hidden companions. He notes that even without language, foxes are clever enough to sense danger. This ponytailed man smirks, asking Jihoon to interpret their deal for the fox den. Jihoon's expression hardens, his bloodied face demanding to know what thing they seek. This leader reveals their boss lost an item, promising to spare them if it is found. A memory surfaces of a woman's desperate, lying promise to repay a debt. Blood dripping from his hand, Jihoon accepts his role as a tool for survival. A painful memory surfaces, school bullies exploiting him, a girl defending him while he lent them money. Bruised and bleeding, he reasons his value keeps him alive, they will not kill their asset. Steadying himself, he refuses to die here when his mission remains unfinished. Standing over the wounded beastfolk girl, he offers to guide her people safely to their village. Hope flickers across her battered face as she whispers that no one else needs to suffer. This bandits watch in surprise, confirming their leader's claim that he truly speaks monster language. Crouching low, the beastfolk girl senses something different about him, yet her village holds over 100 souls to protect. Her sharp green eyes lock onto his, demanding to know if his words carry any truth. Blood still fresh on his lips, Jihoon meets her gaze in heavy silence. His voice cuts through the tension. He declares he stands against humanity, not with them. Standing tall while she kneels below, he calls those bandits dangerous people she cannot trust. Another close-up of his bloodied face, the weight of his choice settling in silence. This ponytailed companion arrives with Rizzle restrained, a small red creature perched above him. Confusion crosses his face as the tiny red creature demands to know why the interpretation stopped. Blood drips from Jihoon's mouth as he looks up, stunned by the sudden betrayal. Reincarnation's tiny form glows with a terrifying red energy, its mouth opening wide. This ponytailed man demands an explanation, his expression shifting from concern to cold suspicion. This bald bandit leader spots the floating dragon, his face twisting in shock and alarm. A concentrated beam of crimson light fires from Reincarnation's maw, streaking through the air. A warning shout rings out as the bandits scramble, the ponytailed man spinning around. Jihoon's eyes narrow with grim certainty, knowing the counterattack has already begun. This dragon breath engulfs the bandit leader, his scream cut short as he is consumed. This beam slices through another bandit's shoulder, sending him crashing to the ground. From a distance, Jihoon watches the chaos unfold, the tables violently turning. His face contorts in a pained shout, blood still fresh on his lips. This remaining two bandits stare in utter disbelief, their confidence shattered. Reincarnation lets out a furious, trembling roar, its small body radiating protective rage. Jihoon clutches his side, cursing the system's timing as his new power remains on cooldown. A cloud of dust and smoke erupts where the bandit leader fell, marking his end. This bald bandit stares, horrified, as the grass around the impact point melts from residual heat. His hand trembles on his weapon, a morbid thought flashing, he has not even gotten married yet. With a furious snarl, the ponytailed leader swings his bat at the tiny red dragon. Jihoon watches, blood on his lips, his mind reeling from the sudden, violent turn of events. A thunderous crash echoes as Reincarnation is slammed into the earth, kicking up a cloud of dust. This small dragon lies dazed in the crater, its eyes spinning with cartoonish X's. This ponytailed man glares, indignant, complaining the creature nearly put a hole in his thick hair. One bandit suggests capturing the strange monster to sell, seeing only its potential monetary value. Jihoon's voice cuts through, cold and firm, stating that selling it is not needed. Taking command, the leader orders his men to guard the captives while he personally handles the dragon. Reincarnation whimpers on the ground, still reeling from the blow that dared strike a mere monster. A close-up on Jihoon's bloody mouth reveals his bitter internal question: is his monster-speaking skill his only value? A memory surfaces of his past life where he constantly weighed his own worth against others. Another flashback shows a younger, terrified Jihoon being told to survive by any cowardly means necessary. In the present, he stands resolved, realizing that old, survivalist self is no longer needed here. A flashback pulls Jihoon back to a quiet room, standing before a bright doorway. Blood drips from his clenched fists as he refuses to regret losing anyone else. A bandit raises his weapon high, screaming for the uncivilized monster to die. This white-haired beastfolk girl stares up at Jihoon, fear and confusion warring in her eyes. Shadow engulfs his face as something awakens within, a passive skill permanently activating. A crimson notification blazes, physical monster transcending human strength now courses through him. This ponytailed bandit cigarette drops from trembling lips, realizing the true threat was always him. With explosive force, Jihoon rockets skyward, the antidote vial spinning through the shockwave. Emerald eyes widen in disbelief as the beastfolk girl witnesses his impossible transformation. This remaining bandits freeze in terror, one stammering a single word, tongue. Cratered into the earth, the ponytailed man screams for his Hyung Nim while choking on blood. Standing amid the devastation, Jihoon's shadowed gaze burns with something inhuman and cold. This antidote shatters on rocky ground as surviving bandits flee, their leader abandoned in the dust. From behind, the beastfolk girl watches his still form, questioning how a poisoned man moves like that. Her breath catches as realization dawns: this human is something far beyond ordinary. Kneeling in the dust, Jihoon cradles the weakened Reincarnation against his chest. He whispers the dragon's name, realizing it burned its power to shield him. This tiny creature whimpers, its usual vibrant energy dimmed by the massive effort. Looking into its eyes, Jihoon sees a reflection of his own past loneliness. Flashbacks flood his mind, a silent apartment, a glowing screen, and a single loyal cat. That digital companion was his only friend, a bond that now mirrors this one. Blood on his lips, he smiles and makes a solemn vow to protect Reincarnation. This surviving bandits regain their nerve, shouting threats about their powerful boss. But Jihoon's gaze turns glacial, the pain in his side fueling a cold fury. Their bravado shatters as they see the look in his eyes, terror seizing them. With a final, cowardly shout, the bandits turn and flee into the forest. Reincarnation lets out a triumphant, if weak, roar at their retreating forms. This effort costs him, Jihoon's strength gives out and he collapses forward. From the tree line, the white-haired beastfolk girl watches his fall with wide eyes. Her expression is unreadable, a mix of awe and calculation at the scene. Tiny red fox creatures swarm Jihoon's fallen body, confused by his unresponsive form. This poison drags him toward death as he questions whether this is truly his end. His small red companion stares in helpless terror, unable to understand what is happening. Darkness dissolves into a childhood memory, his mother's voice echoing from long ago. Young Jihoon sits hunched on his bed, shoulders heavy with abandonment's weight. Tears streak down his face as he realizes his father never returned for him. His adult eye snaps open, determination burning through the haze of poison and pain. Waking in an unfamiliar cave, disorientation clouds his thoughts as he tries to orient himself. This white-haired fox girl Rhea steadies him, warning that he should not move yet. A flashback reveals him being carried through the tunnel, his weak voice begging for salvation. Rhea returns to her canyon village with an unconscious human drawing immediate alarm. Rabbit-eared beastfolk gather at the entrance, their ears twitching with suspicion and curiosity. Two young rabbit girls study Jihoon's sleeping form, sensing something strangely compelling about him. Through the window they watch over him, noting the poison should already be cleared. Jihoon lies awake but paralyzed by their scrutiny, unable to move under their gaze. Kneeling before the gathered villagers, Rhea pleads for them to give the unconscious human space. Outside the hut, curious voices whisper, asking if a human truly saved their kin. From the darkness, a familiar voice filters through, pulling Jihoon toward consciousness. Leaning over him, Rhea's face comes into focus as she asks if he's finally awake. Across the thatch roof village, a voice explains this is their first time seeing a human who looks so human. With a playful tone, Rhea adds that he doesn't carry the typical human scent. Glancing at his own hands, Jihoon realizes the poisonous aura that clung to him has vanished. Turning toward the doorway, Rhea mentions the village had an antidote, prompting his confused question. In quiet contemplation, Jihoon processes the word village and its implications. A dark memory surfaces the bandits' threat, their leader's hand on Rhea, and the danger he'd led them toward. A sudden, sharp cry of alarm echoes, a beastfolk's mouth wide with fear. Facing him directly, Rhea questions why he saved her despite his own wariness. With a knowing smile, she repeats her reason. He's a human who doesn't smell like one. Her expression hardens, the playful tone gone as she waits for his real answer. Flashback to the battlefield, Jihoon kneeling with the weakened Rieseldrake, his vow to protect echoing because he saw her like that. Jihoon questions whether his monster-speaking skill earned their mercy. Rhea snaps, frustrated by his constant muttering even after rescue. This tiny dragon lets out a confused, irritated noise. A grateful thought passes through the dragon's mind as it acknowledges him. Standing before him, Rhea admits his actions exceeded her expectations. She declares their debts settled, both having saved each other's lives. Jihoon begins to respond, but a distant crying sound interrupts him. Suddenly, the small dragon leaps toward him with surprising energy. He catches the playful creature, laughing as it tickles him. Observing their bond, Rhea suggests they properly introduce themselves. A rabbit beastfolk girl interrupts, summoning Rhea and the guest to the chief. This view opens to a vast sky over towering canyon walls. Jihoon stares in awe at the hidden beastfolk settlement before him. This village of Warren reveals itself, a refuge for displaced beastfolk. A concerned villager questions Rhea's recovery, noting her lingering weakness. This horned villager, logs in tow, questions why Rhea ventured back toward human territory. As Jihoon and Rhea walk into the village, the elder watches them with a wary gaze. Noticing the community's protectiveness, Jihoon remarks how much they care for her. He then asks what is wrong, observing her subdued mood since their earlier encounter. Suddenly, Rhea whirls around and shouts, startling Jihoon from his concerned thoughts. Hands on her hips, she angrily demands if his name is actually Hei. Her fierce, turquoise eyes glare down at him, awaiting an answer. Taken aback, Jihoon quickly clarifies his name is Jihoon. He scratches his head, offering his full name and wondering if it sounds strange here. In response, Rhea states her own lengthy formal name, leaving him momentarily confused. A rabbit beastfolk pops from a hole, asking if Rhea's injured leg has healed. She cheerfully confirms her leg is better, then curiously asks which tunnel the rabbits connects to. Jihoon observes her sudden cheerful shift, asking if she wanted to share her name. He looks up at the sky, processing the strange yet peaceful moment. A system window appears, revealing his main quest to rally monsters into a faction. Rhea waves from the beach, urgently calling Jihoon to see the village chief. She marches ahead, annoyed he calls her Hei after asking her name. Jihoon hurries after her, his mind racing about rallying monsters for a faction. This rabbit-eared chief cheerfully announces Jihoon will take over the village. Both Jihoon and Rhea react with shocked, wide-eyed disbelief at the declaration. He protests, stammering for a moment as they approach the village. This chief cites his age and ignorance, while Rhea argues the decision makes no sense. She questions entrusting the village to a newcomer, but the chief remains firm. Rhea shouts after the departing chief, desperately pleading for him to reconsider. Jihoon stands in silent contemplation, a heavy realization settling upon him. This chief explains his prophetic dreams always become reality, justifying his choice. Flames flicker beside Jihoon as the chief declares he is the village's destined savior. A system window flashes, presenting a main quest to construct a monster faction. Jihoon connects the dots, realizing saving the village means confronting something imminent. A memory resurfaces of the bandits' deal, find the lost item to spare their lives. A bead of sweat traces Jihoon's jawline as his eyes narrow in sudden, tense realization. He calls Rhea's name across the field, and she turns with a sharp, questioning gaze. Jihoon asks if he was followed when he entered, his voice low and cautious. Rhea explains that Warren is a hidden village behind the impassable stone mountain. Beyond the steep cliffs, a vast sea stretches, a natural barrier no one crosses. This only entrance is a secret tunnel dug by the rabbit beastfolk, hidden in the forest. Even if discovered, the tunnel's maze-like interior makes it nearly impossible to navigate. This exit is deliberately blocked with rocks, sealing the path to Warren effectively. Jihoon mentions he felt nothing strange while passing through the tunnel earlier. An uneasy feeling lingers in his gut, a cold premonition he cannot shake. From the shadows, a sinister laugh echoes, hinting at a new, emerging threat. Through a cave opening, someone discovers the hidden village of Warren below. Villagers scream alarms, shouting that a human has invaded their hidden Warren. Jihoon and Rhea freeze in shock as the accusation of invasion rings out. A bound man faces the furious wrath of a towering beastfolk elder. Jihoon and Rhea walk through the village as someone questions whether they caught the intruder. Her turquoise eyes widen in horror, realizing the bandits tracked her through the blood trail she left behind. This bull beastfolk man hangs his head in guilt, blaming himself for bringing danger to their doorstep. A captured bandit lies bound in the square while villagers discuss erasing the evidence of battle. Rabbit beastfolk girls gather around Rhea, their gentle voices reassuring her that none of this was her fault. Jihoon's expression hardens as he counts the bandits they faced, realizing 2 have escaped into the wild. Through gritted teeth, the captured bandit snarls threats, promising their village will become a sea of flames. His manic grin widens as he boasts about a bandit group even the kingdom abandoned long ago. From above, the village sits vulnerable as the bandit reveals 200 raiders are coming to storm it. Jihoon's face pales at the name, repeating it with quiet dread, screams Spike. Through a dark tunnel, one figure supports the other, both stumbling deeper into the shadows. Blood streaming down his battered face, the injured bandit whispers weakly for his boss. This ponytailed bandit's rage erupts as he demands retribution against whoever dared strike him. From the darkness, a golden eye gleams with cold calculation, watching everything unfold in silence. Bloodied but ecstatic, the injured bandit reveals he found the fox's hidden tunnel and will guide them. This massive bandit leader grins down at his captured underling, praising his little brother for success. A sinister voice cuts through the darkness, declaring they are heading to the fox tunnel immediately. Another bandit's cruel smile stretches wide, his hollow eyes gleaming with malicious anticipation. This bald infiltrator kneels smugly, revealing he is not alone. This was all part of Big Brother's plan. Through the forest, one bandit carries his wounded comrade, desperately urging retreat for treatment. Bloodied but stubborn, the ponytailed man refuses to return. It is not yet time to fall back. Rhea stands over Jihoon's collapsed form in the clearing, recognizing this moment as an opportunity. A hulking blue ogre looms beside the bald infiltrator, declaring the villagers are now as good as dead. Rhea's turquoise eyes widen in disbelief, her voice trembling as she demands to know what they mean. Panic rising, Rhea shouts Jihoon's name urgently, needing him to understand the danger closing in. Jihoon's expression hardens as he delivers the grim truth. The bandits have discovered the village's location. Rhea's face freezes in shock, the weight of his words crashing down on her. Recognition flickers across Jihoon's eyes. Scream Spike, that name rings a distant bell from somewhere deep. A memory surfaces of a tower defense game where knights level up, blocking endless monster waves. But raw growth alone will not suffice. The screen shows overwhelming forces that no single defender could withstand. This system reveals another function exists, an adventure mode for direct confrontation. Here, one selects knights to challenge stages, receiving items upon clearing each one. A clear screen flashes, awarding a thief's dagger and 15 gold coins. This stage map stretches from wild goblin remnants to the demon lord's sacred ground. Jihoon does not recall every name, but stage 110, the first finale, sticks in his mind. His finger points to a location on the map, the Scream Spike Band hideout. Every adventure stage had a background story like this hideout's cruel bandit leader. But one thing's certain as he searches his memory, no stage is named Warren. According to the game setting, this place is scripted to be destroyed. A smirking bandit leader's face fills the view, offering a sinister chance. He promises to ask his boss for mercy if someone frees him from his bonds. This beastfolk may not understand the words, but the threat rushes into their hearts. A young beastfolk clutches his mother, sensing something is terribly wrong. Rhea's eyes widen in horror, realizing her presence has brought this massacre upon Warren. This captive bandit snarls, demanding to be untied as Warren faces becoming their new hideout. Jihoon's resolve hardens, a silent vow forming against the coming destruction. This bandit leader screams at the terrified villagers, demanding to know if they all wish to die. Jihoon declares Warren will become the stronghold of his new monster faction, ordering the bandit to translate. A fist clenches tight, knuckles whitening with building tension. With a devastating punch, Jihoon sends the bandit leader flying, claiming the village as his base. This bandit's face contorts in shock and agony from the brutal impact. A bull beastfolk watches, sweat beading on his brow with growing dread. Rabbit beastfolk girls shriek in unified terror at the sudden violence. Rhea covers her mouth, her turquoise eyes wide with horror as she whispers Jihoon's name. Jihoon stands over the defeated bandit, declaring he needs no more pointless words. With cold determination, Jihoon issues a direct challenge, let us fight. Rhea steps forward, her voice firm as she vows to protect Warren. A voice from above dismisses the plan as impossible, hanging over the clear sky. This bull beastfolk elder explains they built their hidden village because they are weak. He gestures to the gathered villagers, most being women and children who have never fought. Rhea questions the chief, noting their inability to defeat armed humans. This pink dragon announces to the gathered crowd, declaring Jihoon's new role. Jihoon stands stunned as the dragon hovers beside him, the title sinking in. A close-up on boots reveals the bandits have arrived at the village entrance. This bandit leader grins, his subordinate pointing excitedly toward their target. A sweeping view of the stone mountain confirms the hidden village's coveted location. This scarred leader declares his intent, claiming Warren as the Scream Spike's new hideout. A horde of armed bandits charges forward, a massacre about to begin. Jihoon and the bull warrior assess the dire situation, facing twice the enemy numbers. This bull beastfolk begins the grim tally, listing their meager defensive forces. 2 deer beastfolk stand ready, their expressions solemn as the count continues. 5 anxious sheep beastfolk clench their fists, fear evident on their faces. Rhea watches from behind, her tail twitching as she surveys the coming threat. A massive crowd of rabbit beastfolk appears, bringing the total defenders to 112. Jihoon poses the critical question, his mind racing against the impossible odds. Jihoon realizes this war hinges on individual rank and level, not just numbers. Despite the ambush, Rhea's strength lets her fell a bandit in a single blow. In a lighter moment, she celebrates a hypothetical 2-on-1 victory over the bandits, but his focus sharpens, considering what never having fought properly truly implies. A terrifying vision of beastification reveals the beastfolk's power is an underestimated lottery ticket. And a plan sparks: if everyone fought like Rhea, they could overcome their numerical disadvantage. So he approaches the bull elder Tor Brimlack to ask just how strong Rhea is. Tor begins explaining her degree of strength as Jihoon's excitement grows, sensing this is a winnable starting mission. Meanwhile, Rhea plays obliviously with the dragon as Tor prepares to deliver his assessment. And the answer stuns Jihoon: Rhea is Warren's greatest warrior. A fact underscored as the villagers cheer, yet Tor states even united they'd fall short. This weight of that truth crashes down on Jihoon in a stark top-down view. His face shadows as he processes the grim math: everyone would lose to Rhea. A shocking, monochrome close-up reveals his devastating conclusion that everyone else is completely useless. This villager's rallying cry continues, now echoing with a hollow, desperate futility. Jihoon's mind races, realizing he must find a match for Rhea to strengthen their defense. Connecting the dots, he understands the system's stat requirements for overcoming the coming numerical disadvantage. A close-up reveals his shocked expression as the full implication of the chief's choice sinks in. From the village overlook, they note the bandits will likely arrive at the cave entrance around sunset. Rhea turns to Jihoon, her turquoise eyes sharp with suspicion as she questions how he knows their timeline. This bound bandit slumps against a tree, dazed and defeated after their interrogation yielded crucial information. Jihoon recalls the bandits' words, pondering what lost item their boss could be searching for in Warren. Rhea speculates it might be precious heirlooms or hidden mineral resources the beast folk have guarded for generations. She gestures to the humble settlement, firmly stating there is nothing here humans would covet, her voice resolute. A shadow crosses Jihoon's face as he considers the grim possibility the bandits simply needed an excuse to raid. This Minotaur Tor approaches, his deep voice cutting through the tension as he asks the chief for orders. Jihoon's profile hardens with determination, his gaze fixed on the distant canyon walls where the threat looms. This system window explains that to overcome their numerical disadvantage, individual stats must be exceptionally high. This narrative identifies Rhea as the strongest warrior in Warren, the village's primary line of defense. A crowd of beastfolk villagers gathers, their skeptical faces raising the silent question of whether she can truly defeat 111 people. Jihoon puzzles over the rabbit's weakness versus Rhea's strength, craving game-like stats to compare them. His eye widens suddenly, the word stats sparks a realization in his mind. A system window reveals the passive skill Ruler's Eye, but he cannot recall how to activate it. A memory shows another character effortlessly opening a status window with a simple command. He shouts status, with outstretched hand expecting the system to respond. Nothing happens, just silence between him and Rhea as they wait. He panics, explaining that inventory should also work, but still no window appears. A glitchy red screen flashes unexpectedly, showing the word Abyss Slot. He faces a massive empty inventory labeled Abyss Slot, confirming its emptiness. He deduces the name relates to his monster faction, noting how inventory names change. A sudden memory surfaces, something forgotten after escaping the palace. His red sword glows in a golden box and he cries out in recognition. Flashback to the palace ruins, the sword stuck in cracked ground where he left it. He panics with Rhea, realizing he abandoned the sword instead of storing it. Staring at the canyon, he accepts the sword is lost for now, powerless to retrieve it. Staring at nothing, Jihoon wonders why the stat window will not open. This system reveals passive skills already active, including Ruler's Eye and Monster Communication. Rhea's frustration boils over as she demands he act while enemies close in. Head bowed in guilt, Rhea pleads for instructions, blaming herself for Warren's plight. Turning to face him, Rhea's voice steadies as she vows to protect the villagers. Meeting her gaze, Jihoon speaks her name, acknowledging time has run out. His eye ignites with pink light as obsession over stats fades into clarity. A red targeting reticle locks onto Rhea's face, designation complete. Between them, a crimson stat window materializes as Jihoon questions the target system. Connecting the dots, he realizes inventory opened by thought, but Ruler's Eye works differently. To activate the passive skill, he must designate a target and focus on their stats. Rhea's profile blazes red, B rank level 5, Rhea Lindrian Pernidi Saliard. His jaw drops at her rank, matching a middle knight, attack power concentrated and lethal. Her beastification skill confirmed, Rhea tries reaching him while he stares past her. A heart icon showing 40 catches his finger as Rhea pledges her support. A finger hovers over a heart icon showing 35, confusion rising as the number drops. Rhea's face burns red with fury while Jihoon's hand moves involuntarily toward her. Flustered and sweating, Jihoon stammers denials as accusations of irresponsibility rain down on him. Rhea's frustration explodes, screaming that she absolutely refuses to accept this arrangement. A body crashes into the ground beneath the open sky, dust billowing on impact. Tor stares in disbelief as Rhea storms off and Jihoon orders all villagers gathered. Scratches marking his face, Jihoon waves it off with a strained laugh, insisting he is fine. Villagers file in long lines toward the cave entrance, each stepping forward as next echoes. A nervous sheep beastfolk announces they are the last one, standing before the seated Jihoon. Exhaustion creeps across Jihoon's face as checking every villager's stats drains his stamina. Surveying Warren's 114 residents, Jihoon's gaze settles on the sleeping dragon nearby. Reiseldrake's stats reveal an S-rank monster with devastating magic but a pitiful physical attack. Dragon Breath devours all MP in a single blast, recovering only halfway after a full day. Tor ranks C at level 5 while everyone else sits at E rank or lower. This stage 10 hideout matches C rank difficulty, but Jihoon still does not know the bandit's true strength. Jihoon stands with Rhea and Tor, processing the grim troop statistics. A stark comparison reveals the villagers' poor quality against the bandits' armed might. His fist clenches as he admits defending Warren seems impossible at this rate, but his resolve hardens. This is not a game and lives are at stake. He acknowledges reality's unquantifiable factors, staring at the vast, open landscape. His gaze fixes on the cave entrance, a potential key to his strategy. Turning to Tor and Rhea, he declares he will now dictate their defense plan. Through the forest, a dark column of bandits marches toward the village. This bandit leaders stride confidently, their cruel expressions anticipating easy plunder. Hidden rabbit scouts watch in horror as the enemy force approaches. One scout urges his companion to rush back and warn the chief immediately. A sudden attack strikes and a voice warns the bandits will reach the entrance soon. This pink-haired rabbit's eyes widen in shock, calling out for her brother. A bandit leader smirks, realizing the villagers have spotted their approach. Bloodied and stunned, the rabbit scout reaches out as her world blurs. This bloodied scout's face twists in agony, a stark reminder of the bandits' brutality. A rabbit beastfolk sprints through the forest, desperately fleeing the pursuing bandits. Tor and his companions watch the chase unfold, their expressions grim with concern. This bandit leaders argue over strategy, their cruelty evident in every word. One leader reveals a sinister plan, his smile promising infection and corruption. Inside the cave, Jihoon organizes the villagers into teams, preparing for the imminent attack. This scout races toward the cave entrance, her speed a blur against the rocks. Jihoon's eyes narrow, sensing the approaching danger with a mix of fear and determination. A sudden alert, ears twitch as the realization hits. The humans have arrived. Tor hefts heavy logs, his voice booming a warning about the human invaders. Another beast folk stares in shock, questioning the sudden downpour of blood. This scout bursts through the dust, her shout cutting through the chaos. Villagers turn as the entrance floods with light, the enemy now visible. Jihoon's hand trembles, a silent testament to the weight on his shoulders. His fist clenches tight, resolve hardening as he remembers his past victories. Jihoon steels himself, vowing absolutely not to let the defense be breached. This bandit's dark column marches toward the cave entrance, their approach echoing. Two bandit leaders confirm the location, one mapping the route to the fox den. Inside the cave, the armed horde cheers, determined to finish before sunset. From hiding, Jihoon and Rhea watch as the enemy force draws nearer. Rhea questions if their plan will succeed, but Jihoon stresses the crucial beginning. A close-up shows the bandits' boots marching in unison, closing the distance. One leader checks the map, estimating 30 minutes until they reach the village. Another bandit mocks the quiet, assuming the beastfolk are cowering in fear. This skull-shouldered leader growls, vowing personal revenge against the one who struck him. A bandit's footstep triggers a hidden mechanism, a sharp sound breaking the silence. A scarred bandit freezes, his eyes widening at the unexpected noise from below. This ground erupts violently, cracking open and sending bandits flying in chaos. A bandit's eye bulges in terror as he stammers a warning to his comrades. Explosions scatter the ranks, screams erupting as they scramble to escape the trap. As the bandits charge into the cave's mouth, a sudden explosion of dust and debris catches them off guard. This scarred leader grabs a subordinate, his face twisted in fury. Injured bandits cry out, clutching broken limbs amidst the rubble. Two bandits stare in horror, realizing they have walked into a trap. A close-up reveals wide, shocked eyes processing the sudden ambush. A diagram explains the trap's construction, holes dug and concealed. Another illustration shows how weight triggers the support pillars to collapse. This final schematic depicts victims falling into the prepared pit. A bandit questions the leader, noting these traps were not here yesterday. This view shifts to the dark, treacherous path deeper into the cave. This group hesitates, their leaders warning about more traps hanging in the air. This scarred boss scowls at their cowardice, his patience wearing thin. With a roar, he lifts a massive boulder overhead, demonstrating his raw power. He hurls the rock down the passage, clearing the way through brute force. A bandit plunges into a hidden pitfall, his cry of traps echoing through the cave. This scarred leader analyzes the artificial stone construction, deducing the floor's original composition. He explains how the excavated ground was covered with wood and dirt to conceal the traps. Two bandits study a map, realizing the gravel patterns mark the trap locations. Close up on the scattered stones, the leader identifies them as the telltale signs. With a smug grin, he dismisses the herbivorous beastfolk's tricks as proof of weakness. Ordering men to rescue the fallen, he commands the advance to continue cautiously. From behind a rock, Rhea watches in alarm as the traps are discovered. Jihoon reveals with a smile that the discovery was always part of the plan. Flashback shows beastfolk struggling to drill holes in the hard stone mountain. They could not perfectly fill the holes in time, limiting the trap's effectiveness. Jihoon explains only 2 traps are deep, the rest are shallow fakes. This bandits advance slowly, their caution playing directly into the defender's hands. Rhea realizes the strategy as Jihoon notes their speed is now halved. Outside the cave, the entrance waits silently for the next phase of the plan. This cave floor fractures with a deep, resonating crack. Bandits flinch, their confident advance suddenly halted by the sound. At a fork, a voice directs the horde to take the right path. This scarred leader pauses, questioning the sudden appearance of a choice. Confusion spreads as the group debates which tunnel holds the correct route. Arguments erupt over a landmark, their certainty shattered by conflicting memories. Dismissing the obstacles, the leader scoffs that illusions cannot truly stop them. A cold realization dawns, the cave network is merely a stalling tactic. With a grimace, he orders a rapid advance, refusing to grant the defenders time. He splits his forces, sending 3 groups down each available tunnel. Crane leads his men into the left passage, weapons drawn and ready. This muscular dump takes the middle tunnel, his heavy hammer at the fore. This scarred boss personally claims the right tunnel, leading his elite forward. One squad hits a dead end, their path completely blocked by rubble. Another group spots a faint glow ahead, signaling a potential exit or ambush. This lead bandit hefts his hammer, triumphant at finding the exit. From behind, bandits point toward the light, confirming the cave's end ahead. A scarred leader smirks, declaring their bad luck has run out. Another leader orders no mercy, demanding kills on sight. With a roar, the hammer wielder charges toward the exit. Bandits surge forward, weapons drawn, rushing into the light. This scarred boss's eyes widen in shock at the sight outside. This cave opens to a dense forest, sunlight filtering through trees. Outside, 2 cave entrances frame the bandits emerging into the open. Spotting the village, the lead bandit raises a hand to halt. He orders a runner back to report the discovery to the bosses. A bandit points urgently, spotting something tied in the field. A gagged man struggles against ropes, muffled cries escaping. Bandits' shadows stretch across the grass as they approach the captive. This captive panics, demanding to know where his leaders are. This bald bandit leader demands answers about their dwindling troop count. Through the dark cave passages, Jihoon sprints alone toward the enemy. A sudden realization stops him cold, confusion flashing across his face. Rhea unleashes a devastating energy blast, intercepting an enemy scout mid-pursuit. This scout crashes into stone, vowing they cannot report back yet. Standing side by side, Rhea and Jihoon brace for what comes next. This plan unfolds, fake traps by time while reshaping the battlefield itself. Crude deceptions lure the enemy deeper, splitting their forces by design. This bandit leader panics, realizing 60 men face 3 separate divisions. Jihoon flips the script, surrounded and outnumbered, the hunters become prey. From every tree and bush, beastfolk warriors reveal themselves in force. Together, Rhea and Jihoon advance into the shadows, executing the next phase. Silver hair catching the light, Jihoon issues his final command. 113 beastfolk surge forward, crashing toward the stunned bandits. With Rhea at his side, Jihoon declares the operation has begun. A promotional image displays anime-style characters for the scanlation group reset scans. This scarred bandit leader charges forward, hammer raised, screaming for his men to kill everyone. From above, the armed horde surges toward the fleeing rabbit beastfolk below. A towering bandit swings his massive hammer down at the small, pink-haired rabbit girl. Jihoon shouts the command, "Now's the time, everyone awaken." A bandit gets blasted backward as smoke erupts violently around him. This bandit leader's eyes widen in shock, his enemies have vanished into thin air. Jihoon watches the transformation unfold, realizing Beastfolk awakening generates concealing smoke. Small brown rabbits materialize from the haze as Jihoon spots a tactical opportunity. Bandits stumble through the thick smoke screen, their formation crumbling into chaos. Jihoon's gaze sharpens with focus. Now comes Tor's moment to strike. Tor emerges behind the disoriented bandits, eyes blazing crimson with awakened power. With a thunderous roar, Tor crashes through the bandit ranks, sending bodies flying. A heavy boot slams down onto a fallen bandit, crushing him into the dirt. A bandit stands frozen in confusion as something streaks past him too fast to track. A bandit's face distorts from a brutal impact, a pained cry escaping his lips. A deer beastfolk charges past a fleeing rabbit, shouting for her to get away. Bandits swing their weapons wildly into a smoke cloud, screaming for their enemies to die. Confused bandits note their attacks lack impact, while a terrified beastfolk sobs unharmed within the haze. A bandit clutches his head, screaming in pain after a sudden, fiery strike from above. A small red fox beastfolk roars defiantly in the air, drawing the confused bandits' attention. From the cave mouth, Jihoon and Rhea watch the chaotic battle, noting their momentum is secured. Jihoon's eyes narrow with anger, demanding to know who the bandits think they are mocking. A bandit leader barks orders for cover fire, cursing the rabbit beastfolk as his men regroup. Bandits swing their clubs and axes at bushes, trying to hit the beastfolk hiding within. Inside the cave, Jihoon directs Rhea to go support the fight on another front. With a burst of speed, Rhea dashes away, leaving only a blur in her wake. A close-up reveals Jihoon's determined expression, his focus entirely on the unfolding battle. Rhea rushes toward the bandits, her incredible speed catching them completely off guard. A bandit aims his crossbow, vowing to catch the swift fox beastfolk in his sights. This white-haired beastfolk tracks the falling spear, her gaze locked on the incoming threat. This spear's deadly tip reflects in her wide, blue-green eye. She twists midair, narrowly dodging the weapon as it slices past her. Her palm strikes the earth, using the impact to redirect her momentum. Launching upward, she drives her foot toward the bandit's jaw. This kick connects with brutal force, snapping his head back. But the bald bandit barely flinches, grinning as he mocks her strength. Dropping low, she slides beneath his legs to escape his reach. From below, she strikes upward into his groin with everything she has. His face contorts in agony, a strangled cry escaping his throat. A dark figure intervenes, sending her tumbling across the ground. She grapples with another bandit, wrestling him into the dirt. A brown-haired observer watches in disbelief as bodies scatter around him. Rising tall, she towers over a cowering bandit who recoils in fear. This observer's face goes pale, blood trickling from his shocked expression. This white-haired beastfolk woman lunges forward, her kick connecting with devastating force. Her target crashes onto the grass, choking as smoke rises from his wounds. Standing over the fallen, she surveys the scattered, groaning bandits around her. Her fierce gaze sweeps the field as she warns them not to underestimate her people. A towering, muscular bandit leader hefts his massive hammer, his back to the viewer. His fist clenches so tightly the veins bulge, fury radiating from his stance. A close-up reveals his scarred face, eyes narrowed as he mutters about their unexpected skill. With a guttural roar, he slams his hammer into the ground, cracking the earth. From his hiding spot, Jihoon's eyes widen in shock at the word skill. An overlay explains that in this world, only knights ranked C or higher can use skills. This bandit leader's body swells grotesquely, his muscles bulging as a skill enhances his strength. Nearby rabbit beastfolk cower in terror, crying out at the monstrous transformation. This empowered leader scoffs, calling them pathetic for being frightened by such small monsters. A massive clawed hand suddenly grips a tree trunk with crushing force. Tor looms behind the stunned bandit leader, his minotaur form radiating immense power. This green-haired bandit leader stares, eyes wide with shock at the unfolding chaos. From a distance, Jihoon watches a massive energy pillar erupt from the battlefield. His expression hardens with resolve, processing the scale of the awakening's power. Inside the cave, a single drop creates ripples in a still puddle. A waiting bandit growls in frustration, demanding to know how long this will take. Deep in the cavern, a restless group wonders why none of their scouts have returned. This frustrated bandit clenches his fists, admitting he has no answers for their delay. Pointing down a dark tunnel, he declares he will go support Dump's group instead. Outside, the cliff stands silent as a voice confirms all 60 bandits are captured. Jihoon surveys the buried, gagged prisoners, noting their complete inability to escape. Beside Tor, he requests a casualty report as the Minotaur checks his notes. A close-up reveals his calculating gaze, weighing the lopsided numbers of the engagement. At the village gate, beastfolk tend to their many wounded comrades after the battle. In profile, Jihoon's determined stare confirms the fight is far from finished. Meanwhile, more bandits advance through the cave, still outnumbering the exhausted defenders. Jihoon stands before the cave, declaring they must now go beyond mere numbers. He calls to Tor, who acknowledges him as the village chief. This captured bandit's weapons are distributed among the beastfolk, their stats doubling. Hands eagerly grab swords, axes, and shields from the pile on the ground. Tor hefts his massive new hammer, testing its weight with a firm grip. This armed beastfolk stand ready, a mix of determination and nervous energy. A close-up reveals Jihoon's eye glowing with a purple patterned light. His ruler's eye skill displays their enhanced stats, attack power nearly doubled. Jihoon's face lights up with sheer amazement at the incredible power boost. Meanwhile, inside the cave, the stealthy footsteps of approaching bandits echo. This lead bandit emerges, confused by the empty, silent clearing before him. A scarred bandit questions the eerie quiet, sensing something is terribly wrong. His gaze falls upon the field, revealing dozens of buried, gagged heads. A tight shot captures his dawning horror as he recognizes his captured comrades. He lets out a terrified scream at the grotesque sight of the buried heads. A shocked scout discovers the buried bandits are still alive. He calls out to the confused group, promising to dig them out. but rabid beastfolk ambush him from behind, silencing his attempt. A massive roar echoes through the canyon, shaking the very cliffs. Deep inside, the bandit leader urges his lost men to hurry. Frustrated, he realizes they are completely lost without a map. A subordinate spots a passage, believing it leads to the fork. Stepping forward, the leader triggers a hidden pressure plate. His men panic, screaming about a trap as the ground trembles. This ceiling begins to collapse, burying their path behind them. A bandit's leg is caught, his cry lost in the rumble. This dust settles, revealing the group unharmed but disoriented. Confused, they question what just happened, their trap theory wavering. A hand grips a weapon, a subordinate calling out for his boss. Tor smashes through the wall, sending debris and bandits flying. A spear embeds itself in the ground, revealing the floor is solid stone. This bandits realize only the cave entrance had real traps, the rest were decoys. A furious bandit leader seethes, feeling mocked by the deception. This Scream Spike band leader, a former knight, vows to tear his enemies apart. A panicked bandit sprints back through the cave, shouting for his boss. His group announces they have found the correct path, the middle tunnel. This bandit leader's expression shifts to stunned disbelief at the news. As sunset paints the sky, a report confirms all bandits outside are captured. Jihoon and Tor stand over the buried, gagged prisoners, acknowledging the successful operation. From behind, Jihoon studies the cave entrances, contemplating a final strategic move. A map reveals how collapsing a wall at the fork created a diversionary path. In profile, Jihoon's resolve hardens. They must hold the line one last time. A buried bandit struggles, muttering a defiant insult at his captors. Jihoon faces the captive, who warns their big brother will end everything. This bandit boasts his leader, Scream Spike, operates on an entirely different level. This white-haired beastfolk woman kicks a gagged bandit, ordering him to be quiet. She reports to Jihoon that only 65 fighters remain capable of battle. Through the cave, the remaining bandits advance, numbering about 60 including their boss. At sunset, the beastfolk warriors stand weary, their stamina depleted from 2 fights. A close-up reveals Jihoon's glowing purple iris, his expectation confirmed in that moment. This beastfolk display their new levels, having gained abundant combat experience from the clashes. With a confident smile, Jihoon declares they have become stronger, sword resting on his shoulder. Overlooking the village, he notes the sword feels heavier than he anticipated. A single heavy footstep echoes across the ground, signaling a new arrival from the shadows. Rhea and Jihoon snap their attention, sensing the new threat's arrival. From the cave mouth, a horned bandit leader emerges, flanked by his men. A buried bandit strains against his gag, crying out for his big brother. This new leader scowls, dismissing his captured men as pathetic fools. Jihoon faces the leader, questioning if this confrontation was his entire scheme. He corrects the bandit, suggesting they call it a strategy instead. This scarred bandit leader smirks, mocking Jihoon's newfound confidence with a chilling chuckle. Across the canyon, his army faces the cave, 2 victories sweet but a third impossible. Silver-haired Jihoon grips his cloak, eyes sharp as he fires back a defiant challenge. Scream Spike starts to propose terms, then pauses, his expression shifting to something darker. A buried bandit's head protrudes from dirt, sword at his throat, weapons must be dropped. Jihoon faces the cave entrance, threatening the leader's captured brother unless they surrender now. Silence stretches across the canyon as the bandit leader's jaw tightens, processing the ultimatum. This buried man screams for his big brother, desperation cracking through his gag. Jihoon stands resolute, acknowledging this tactic feels cheap but survival demands pragmatism. A weapon clatters onto stone, someone from the bandit ranks has actually obeyed. Confusion floods Jihoon's face as he watches more weapons fall, this was not supposed to work. In the shadows, bandits grin with unsettling malice, their laughter echoing through the dark. Something shifts in the air, Jihoon senses the bandit's atmosphere twisting into something wrong. A hand presses flat against the ground, fingers splayed as dark energy gathers beneath. Scream Spike erupts in violet light, commanding every soul to kneel and scream. Jihoon's eyes widen in shock as the enemy leader activates a powerful area buff skill. This Scream Spike skill washes over the bandits, boosting all their stats by 25%. Tor and Rhea feel the sudden surge in the enemy's combat power throughout their bodies. Standing against the sunset, Jihoon realizes the bandits' overall strength has dramatically increased. Now glowing with purple energy, the empowered bandits are ordered to massacre the defenders. With a unified roar, the enhanced bandit army charges forward to overwhelm the beastfolk. A bandit's sword clashes against the defenders, his eyes blazing with unnatural purple light. Through the dust, a top-knot-wearing bandit faces off against a massive, club-wielding opponent. A rabbit beastfolk leaps, striking the bandit squarely in the back with a fierce yell. This bandit stumbles forward, clutching a fresh, bleeding wound on his side in pain. Another empowered bandit grins maniacally, taunting the rabbit defenders after their successful hit. This 2 rabbit beastfolk freeze, their eyes wide with fear at the bandit's terrifying aura. Chaos erupts across the battlefield as enhanced bandits overwhelm the exhausted beastfolk defenders. Tor swings his massive hammer, sending a bandit flying through the air with brutal force. This empowered bandit's laughter echoes as the desperate battle for the village intensifies. This bandit leader swings his hammer, bellowing in order to seize Tor, but Tor's eyes widen in shock as the rope tightens around his arm. Meanwhile, the bandits strain against the ropes, shouting to hold on with all their weight. A massive foot slams down, kicking up dust as the Minotaur struggles against the pull. Seeing their chance, the surrounding bandits surge forward, weapons raised for the kill. A horned bandit grins fiercely, ordering his men to swarm and claiming beef for dinner. In response, the beastfolk unleash fiery projectiles, scorching the attackers and forcing them back. Small, fiery fox spirits then dive from the sky, shrieking as they harass the archers. Jihoon stands amidst the chaos, realizing their power-up is not enough as the line begins to buckle. A sudden worry grips him, his gaze darting around the battlefield as he calls out for Rhea. His fear is justified as Rhea is sent flying, crashing hard after blocking a crushing blow. She lands on the grass, a fresh wound bleeding on her leg as she struggles to rise. This bandits laugh at her fallen state, surrounding her with cruel, mocking amusement. Rhea grits her teeth, wiping blood from her mouth as defiant fury burns in her eyes. From the sidelines, Jihoon watches in dread, realizing his strongest fighter has also hit her limit. A red blur streaks past his face, too fast to track. This strike sends a figure crashing into the ground with explosive force. A wounded rabbit beastfolk lies gasping on the grass, dust swirling. Ji-hoon's eyes narrow as he mutters about the dire situation. His resolve hardens, eliminating the enemy leader becomes the only option. This horned bandit leader points, ordering his men to charge. Tor staggers under a brutal blow from behind. Gritting his teeth, Tor refuses to fall despite the assault. Ji-hoon's stare sharpens, calculating the next move. A voice reveals Tor can only awaken one more time. Ji-hoon orders him to reserve that final power for a critical signal. Surrounded, Tor is beaten as enemies shout to finish him. Blades are raised high, ready to deliver the final blows. A surge of energy erupts as Tor triggers his awakening. His body swells, stats boosting as the bovine race awakening activates. Charging forward together, Ji-hoon rallies Tor toward the bandit leader. Sprinting with blade drawn, he declares they will capture the boss within 3 minutes. Tor barrels toward distant figures while a desperate cry for help echoes. This scarred bandit leader smirks, watching their approach with unsettling calm. With a thunderous roar, Tor swings his weapon overhead. His eyes glow white-hot as his transformation reaches full power. A bandit gets launched skyward, screaming as he is hurled from the fight. Scream Spike grimaces, realizing the rope is still tied to his hand. Tor's massive fist crashes down with devastating force. This impact sends a shockwave ripping across the battlefield. Through the dust, Scream Spike taunts Tor's bigger form lacking substance. This bandit leader emerges from debris, grinning with sinister amusement. Ji-hoon lunges through the chaos, blade ready to strike. A close-up reveals Scream Spike's mouth curling into a dark smile. His foot plants firmly forward, bracing for the next clash. Tor, now fully awakened, lunges from above with terrifying speed. Ji-hoon's eyes widen in shock at the sudden, brutal assault. A bandit crashes into the earth with explosive, bone-jarring force. This dazed minotaur looks up as a heavy boot descends. With a roar, the empowered Tor charges forward again. Crouching low, Ji-hoon braces himself amidst the swirling dust. This scarred bandit leader grins with manic, unhinged delight. He dives straight toward Ji-hoon, a blur of violent intent. Rhea intercepts, her fist smashing a bandit's jaw with a sickening crack. Ji-hoon screams, blood spraying as a brutal blow connects. Rhea's fierce gaze locks onto Ji-hoon, her voice sharp with worry. Bloodied but unbroken, Ji-hoon's eyes burn with defiant resolve. He confirms his own stats, realizing a harsh truth about his power. Tor's renewed assault continues, a relentless force against his leader. Ji-hoon's hand claws at the cracked earth, a single word hanging. Blood streaking down his face, Ji-hoon realizes something crucial about fighting humans. His passive skill physical monster activates, transcending normal human strength limits. Red energy erupts around him as Ji-hoon unleashes everything he believes in. This skill description continues when attacking humans, all stats surge dramatically. Scream Spike's eyes widen in pure shock at the sudden power spike. 200% increase across every stat, his power against humans is monstrous. A devastating blow lands with sickening force, blood spraying across the battlefield. Rhea watches in stunned silence, unable to process what just happened. Still bound in ropes, Tor strains forward with desperate determination. Ji-hoon launches himself downward, fist aimed straight at the bandit leader's skull. This crack echoes through the canyon. He heard the unmistakable sound of a neck breaking. Standing over his fallen enemy, Ji-hoon delivers his final words with cold certainty. But Scream Spike grins through blood-soaked teeth, refusing to accept a third defeat. This massive leader rises, leaving Ji-hoon staring up in disbelief at the impossible challenge. A crushing fist connects with Ji-hoon's body, sending him reeling in agony. This massive bandit leader stands over Ji-hoon, gripping him by the collar with menacing intent. Blood streams down Ji-hoon's face as he struggles to stay conscious, his vision blurring. His grip tightens around Ji-hoon's skull, fingers digging into his hair with crushing force. With brutal strength, the bandit leader slams Ji-hoon's head into the cracked earth below. Ji-hoon's face presses against the shattered ground, the bandit's hand pinning him down mercilessly. A cruel smile spreads across the bandit leader's scarred face as he leans closer. This bandit leader holds Ji-hoon down for all to witness, the battlefield stretching behind them. This beastfolk warriors watch in horror, their voices trembling as they call out to their fallen chief. Tor's face contorts with anguish, his voice breaking as he shouts desperately. Tor screams a warning as Rhea sprints toward them through the chaos. An arrow knocks in the foreground while Rhea charges toward the bandit leader and his captive. An arrow pierces her leg, but Rhea refuses to stop running. Her eyes blaze with fierce determination as she pushes forward despite the wound. Ji-hoon's bloodied face registers shock, his eyes widening at the sight of her. Ji-hoon screams her name in desperation as the bandit leader still holds him pinned. This sunset bleeds across the sky, painting the battlefield in ominous hues. This scarred bandit leader smirks, declaring the sun setting means it is already too late. Victorious bandits raise their weapons, one shouting for everyone to listen to their triumph. A white-haired fighter smiles, announcing the war is over as his comrade stands behind. A cruel grin spreads, the single word burn dripping with malicious intent. Ji-hoon's face is ground into the dirt, the bandit's hand pinning him as everything goes dark. Flaming arrows arc through the twilight sky, raining down upon the beastfolk village below. One fiery projectile embeds itself in a thatched roof, the flames instantly catching. Another arrow strikes the village's crop fields, setting the carefully tended rows ablaze. A third arrow lands among stored barrels, the fire threatening to spread explosively. Ji-hoon's eyes reflect the growing inferno, his horrified whisper a desperate no. A massive explosion erupts, consuming a building in a towering pillar of fire and smoke. A beastfolk woman screams fire, in panic as the village burns behind her. Civilians flee in terror, the command to run away, lost in the roaring chaos. Bandits hurl more firebombs, cheering as the flames consume everything in their path. Two rabbit beastfolk stand helplessly as their village burns behind them, one whispering it is all over. This bandit leader pins Ji-hoon's face to the ground, lecturing that war is not simple for rookies. Bloodied and trembling, Ji-hoon hears the brutal truth, the losing side loses everything. Bandits mock a captured young beastfolk, taunting him to say moo while others laugh. Tor strains against his ropes, screaming Torin, as his family faces torment. A rabbit woman cradles a wounded ally with an arrow in his back, fire raging nearby. This entire village is consumed by flames, their living foundation reduced to ash. This bandit leader's grip tightens around Jihoon's throat, blood streaming down his face. Lifting Jihoon off the ground by his collar, the leader declares even his life belongs to the victor. Wounded and pinned by an arrow, Rhea watches in horror, calling out Jihoon's name. Two hands reach desperately toward each other through the smoke and chaos. This scarred leader grins down at Jihoon, asking if he still has not given up. Bloodied and half-blind, Jihoon's resolve hardens as he whispers he cannot lose. A memory surfaces, a smiling woman holding a small green creature suggesting friendship for her son. A Crimson System message reveals the monster faction's goal to destroy humanity, fueling his determination. Blood streaking down his face, Jihoon snarls through gritted teeth, refusing to yield. Dangling from the leader's grip, he screams his defiance, swearing he will not surrender. Rhea and the rabbit defenders watch in horror, their faces etched with dread. Tor's eyes widen with anguish as he realizes what is unfolding before him. A white-haired fox girl's teal eyes lock onto Jihoon, her voice trembling with fear. This bandit leader mocks him, asking what he will accomplish by refusing to yield. His hand drifts toward his blade, ready to end this, muttering about Jihoon's true purpose. Jihoon's face drains of color as the realization crashes over him. Above the battlefield, a full moon hangs heavy through clouds and drifting embers. Something stirs within, an eye catches the moonlight, and power awakens. This leader's blade pierces through Jihoon's body with brutal, decisive force. A purple beast silhouette erupts from the darkness, lunging with supernatural speed. This bandit leader staggers back, blood erupting from his hand in shock. Jihoon's hand transforms into blood-soaked claws, something monstrous taking hold. He glances back, bewildered by the sudden shift. Something feels fundamentally wrong. Jihoon watches as the other beastfolk awaken freely using their MP. But Rhea remains unable to awaken, even with MP available. A flashback reveals she never used it, even when facing mortal danger. A hand lies limp on the ground, dust settling from a heavy fall. Her fox race awakening only displays true power under moonlight. Rhea, now transformed, turns to Jihoon and demands her next order. A bloodied but resolute Jihoon meets her gaze, a plan forming. This bandit leader clutches his mangled arm, screaming in agony. With cold certainty, Jihoon orders her to sweep away all the bandits. This skill's condition is reiterated. Moonlight triggers a 100% stat boost. Rhea's profile hardens with resolve as she simply acknowledges the command. Jihoon stands back as a blur of blue light rockets toward the enemy. This enraged bandit leader roars, furious a mere monster dared touch him. Rhea closes in, her expression icy as she prepares to strike the furious leader. A violent arc of blood sprays across the battlefield, marking a decisive hit. A young rabbit beastfolk gasps in shock, crying out for his brother. Blue light streaks across the battlefield as Rhea charges toward the bandit leader. Her golden eyes blaze with cold fury as she silences the chaos around her. Two bandits freeze in disbelief, their leader's defeat shattering their confidence. Purple energy drains from the weakened bandits as their field advantage crumbles. Smoke billows into the moonlit sky while the village burns below. Blood streaking down his face, Jihoon watches the tide turning before him. A crimson notification blazes, night falls, and monsters grow stronger by 20%. Tor explodes free from his bonds, red energy surging through his massive frame. This rabbit girl raises her bat high, rallying every beastfolk to counterattack. United by fury, the beastfolk roar together, ready to sweep away the humans. Panic spreads through the bandit ranks as they realize night has sealed their fate. This desperate bandits grasp at hope, but their odds are collapsing fast. Bloodied and watching from the chaos, Jihoon begins to speak to everyone. His sharp gaze cuts through the smoke, calculating the next move in this war. Rain pours as Jihoon stands alone, watching the village burn behind him. Beastfolk surge forward, chasing the fleeing humans into the canyon depths. Blood streaking down his face, Jihoon admits his fatal overconfidence. Victory cheers erupt as the rabbit beastfolk celebrate their hard-won triumph. Smoke and ash blanket the battlefield. This first war ended in devastation. More than half the village lies in ruins, Jihoon's expression hollow with guilt. A kneeling beastfolk cradles a fallen comrade as smoke drifts across the aftermath. Regret claws at him, if only he'd fought just a little better. Rhea's voice cuts through his spiral, reminding him he does not carry this alone. Facing each other in the rain, she tells him everyone's abilities differ. A flash of Tor mid-battle, his axe swinging with desperate fury. Tor's defiant roar echoes, refusing to surrender despite everything. Tears mix with blood on Jihoon's face as her words finally land. Rhea's hand gently grips his arm, pulling him back from the edge. Smiling through the rain, she asks him to protect Warren as the new chief. Bloodied in the rain, Jihoon whispers Rhea's name with desperate concern. A heart icon pulses with the number 51, hinting at a growing bond. Rhea blushes deeply, stammering as she struggles to form a promise. Jihoon is ordered to aid cleanup, watching a small creature zip away in confusion. This ruined village stirs with survivors calling out, offering help amid the smoldering debris. Blood still streaking his face, Jihoon realizes this victory is only the start. A Crimson System window declares the monster faction quest complete, looming over him. This interface confirms a population of 82 and offers a random skill reward. With determined eyes, Jihoon vows never to repeat the same grave mistakes. A new skill notification flashes, weapon refining is now in his arsenal. Several days pass, showing the village slowly being rebuilt under a clear sky. Rhea calls out to Jihoon from below, urging him to come down quickly. A close-up shows Rhea's determined face as she reaches up toward him. With bright eyes, Rhea insists he must eat first before anything else. Jihoon, a bird perched on his head, reacts with surprised confusion at the mention of food. Exhausted and bandaged, Jihoon stares at another pile of carrots with weary resignation. Rhea explains the carrot field burned, but the food storage survived, leaving them with THIS Chinese letter diet. Jihoon questions their carnivorous nature, but Rhea and the small creature insist otherwise with a roar. He sighs, accepting the forced vegetarianism with a shrug. Food is food after all. Turning to Rhea, Jihoon asks with genuine concern if her injured leg has healed properly. Rhea confirms she can walk and offers to help with the rebuilding efforts in the distance. Jihoon observes the beast folk's remarkable vitality, noting their excellent recovery powers firsthand. 2 weeks after the fierce battle, the village is rebuilt and they watch the progress peacefully. During that time, they held somber funerals for all the victims lost in the conflict. Excluding the dead and escaped, 55 captured bandits were put on trial for their crimes. This beast folk wanted immediate revenge for their sacrificed comrades, but hesitation gripped them. Taking the lives of unarmed, buried prisoners proved to be a morally difficult task. After lengthy discussions, a decision was reached and a sword was discarded on the ground. They released the bandits onto a raft at sunset, but not without conditions. This captured bandits drift away on the water, their fate sealed by exile. A posted notice declares the scream-spike bandits eluded even the kingdom's grasp. Exiled onto treacherous waters, the bandits must dodge sea monsters to reach their destination. Jihoon watches the sunset over the sea, hoping the kingdom delivers proper justice. Munching a carrot, he recalls a crucial detail he discovered far too late. Returning to Ria's house, he uncovers what the bandit leader was truly hunting. Jihoon and Ria enter the intact structure, spotting mysterious gems hanging from ropes. Activating Ruler's Eye, he scans the strange stones with growing curiosity. This skill reveals enhancement stones, E-rank and C-rank materials hanging before them. His gaze locks onto a solitary green gem glowing on a dusty table. A system window confirms it, a B-rank enhancement stone, incredibly rare. Ria questions why such precious items were hidden inside her humble home. Suddenly, a heavy bag crashes down from above, startling them both. Jihoon opens it, revealing a massive bundle of enhancement stones inside. Stunned, he wonders what kind of event could explain this fortune. Horror dawns on his face, a terrible realization strikes him cold. Jihoon stares at the large, suspicious bags before him. They burst open, revealing a glittering mountain of colorful gems. His eyes turn to stars as he asks Ria their total value. A flashback explains Fox Beastfolk collect shiny objects for luck. Ria finds a gem, realizing the bandits knew of this habit. This rebuilt village comes into view as the truth dawns. Ria blames herself for the attack despite others' reassurances. She tries to dump the cursed gems into the sea. Jihoon stops her, arguing the fault lies with the covetous. His simple words strike her deeply, her eyes widening. A system notification shows her affection level spiking to 60. He takes the bags, claiming he will safeguard the dangerous items. Jihoon shouts a promise to keep them safe, a new resolve hardening. His inventory screen displays the massive haul of enhancement stones. At sunset, he asks Ria where the bandits' weapons are stored. Jihoon and Ria freeze as a voice demands their presence in the dim storeroom. A shadowy beast stirs, its form glitching with crimson digital fragments. Rows of salvaged swords line the walls, and Jihoon declares he will test his new skill. With a blue enhancement stone in hand, he mutters about luck, Ria watching warily. Channeling energy into the blade, he shouts the skill's name, the stone pulsing bright. A sudden red flash engulfs the village church, startling the nearby wildlife. This stone shatters in his grip, leaving only dust. Jihoon's eyes widen in shock. Ria screams about her precious stone, but Jihoon notes the enhancement actually succeeded. This system confirms the C-rank blade's power increased, mirroring human faction mechanics. A B-rank dagger's stats appear, its success rate lower but potential far greater. Determined, he grips a green stone and a new weapon, ready to push further. A rabbit villager pauses, hearing the skill's cry echo through the twilight village. This call repeats across the settlement, each shout marking another attempt at mastery. Red light spills from a doorway as his practice grows more intense and frequent. Two curious rabbits approach, asking if he is still at his strange magic practice. Ria yawns lazily, then notices Jihoon still working among the weapons. Surrounded by broken steel, Jihoon reveals he burned through 2,568 weapons. Shattered blades litter the ground as Ria reminds him they were meant for the sea. Furious, Ria grabs Jihoon's hair and screams about him breaking every single weapon. Straddling him in frustration, a notification suddenly flashes, enhancement succeeded. A glowing green dagger materializes in his hand, its stats surging with magical power. Jihoon grins wildly, showing off the upgraded Spike 10 enhancement stones, all successful. Every weapon in the stockpile blazes green with enhanced stats, low-grade materials making success nearly guaranteed. Tor's hammer ignites with golden fire, reaching plus 100 with massive attack power. Jihoon sneezes from the dust while Ria stares confused at what just changed. Pinching his nose against the dust, Jihoon hears someone calling out for the village chief. Spotting Tor in the doorway, Jihoon points eagerly, perfect timing, try the hammer. Tor's massive hand closes around the weapon's handle, testing its unfamiliar weight. His eye widens with shock as raw power surges through his grip. Tor unleashes a primal roar, swinging the enhanced hammer overhead with devastating force. Tor tests the enhanced hammer, noting its increased weight but confirming he can still wield it. A system window compares the C-rank hammer's massive attack power to a B-rank dagger's stats. Jihoon processes the plus 100 enhancement result, his mood shifting as Ria questions his gloomy expression. He recalls his own S-rank weapon, Hellbringer, its immense magic attack power locked behind additional stats. Sighing, Jihoon laments his inability to use magic, wondering how his powerful sword is faring elsewhere. This scene shifts to the kingdom, its grand castle and city rebuilt under a clear sky. Two figures discuss the nearly finished reconstruction, questioning why a mysterious hole was left untouched. A blue-haired elf senses an ominous aura emanating from the forbidden pit. A terrified scream suddenly erupts from the depths of the dark, gaping hole. Sir Ares, a powerful knight, strains with all his might to pull Hellbringer from the ground. This embedded sword reacts, glowing with a violent purple energy that crackles around the blade. A close-up reveals Sir Ares' eye widening in shock as the weapon violently resists him. He stumbles back, breathless, as robed figures watch the unmoving sword with concern. Another knight observes that even Sir Ares at full power cannot budge the weapon. Sir Ares stares silently at Hellbringer, a bead of sweat tracing his tense face. A crimson system window suddenly materializes before Jihoon, presenting Main Quest 3, expand the monster force to 1,000. This quest counter shows 82, matching Warren's current population, a specific and daunting target. A new party system window activates, explaining synergy effects and shared experience among up to 4 members. Jihoon recognizes the mechanic, comparing it to forming parties in a familiar defense game's adventure mode. He rallies the group to gather monsters, but Tor immediately states he cannot join the expedition. This Minotaur chief explains his duty lies in protecting and rebuilding Warren, refusing to leave. A sudden realization strikes Jihoon: if he takes all main forces, the village becomes defenseless. Walking with Rhea and Tor, he sweats over the real-world stakes unlike a simple game. Still, for maximum synergy, he decides all 4 party spots must be filled. He resolves to leave Tor behind, his gaze sweeping over the available rabbit beastfolk. Among the villagers, one rabbit girl sits with a carrot, looking particularly unimpressed. Jihoon's face shows deep conflict as he wonders aloud who he should take. Overlooking the coastal village where beastfolk haul logs, he calls out for Tor. Leaning in close, Jihoon whispers a plan to the chief, who listens intently. Tor then addresses the gathered villagers, announcing the remaining 77 beastfolk will stay. Jihoon's determined gaze sets the tone. He will not accept just anyone for this mission. Beside a yawning Rhea, he waits as the Show Me the Ability 77 event begins. Tor addresses the assembled beastfolk, promising a spot on the expedition to the most capable. With a clipboard in hand, he calls the first group forward for evaluation. From their judges' table, Jihoon and Rhea outline the criteria: strength, will, and special abilities. A participant's hands tremble, their voice faltering under the pressure of the moment. One rabbit beastfolk opts out, choosing to stay in Warren, and Jihoon moves to the next. 4 others declare their duty to plant and harvest carrots, rejecting the adventure. A raised hand interrupts, someone urgently seeks Tor's attention before the process continues. Tor leans in, listening intently to a whispered instruction, then nods in understanding. He announces a filter: only those truly wishing to participate may remain for the trials. Confirming the narrowed list, Tor prepares to admit the willing beastfolk inside. With a gesture, he invites the selected group to enter, and one responds eagerly. An overhead view reveals the makeshift evaluation arena with Jihoon and Rhea presiding. Another voice stammers, overwhelmed by the gravity of the choice before them. Jihoon and Rhea both react with sudden surprise to something off-screen. A rabbit beastfolk named Rain enthusiastically volunteers for the expedition, listing her many skills. Jihoon considers thoughtfully while Rhea waves excitedly, but a voice rejects the applicant. Rain desperately offers to dedicate her life, but Jihoon simply calls for the next candidate. Jihoon, seated at the table, shouts for the next applicant while Rain salutes. Rain bursts into dramatic tears upon failing as Jihoon asks Tor to bring the next participant. Rain is shocked to learn she was the only applicant, leaving Jihoon stunned. A close-up captures Jihoon's disbelief as the narration introduces the newly formed Lizard Expedition team. This team stands ready at a cave entrance, Jihoon, Rhea, and a reluctant Rain with their party stats displayed. Rain's face drains of color as she realizes their mission involves the terrifying lizard tribe. Panicking, Rain questions the danger, and Jihoon asks if Tor had explained the mission. Rain admits her nervousness made her miss the details, as the story flashes back to a critical moment. Against a vast sky, the group debates deciding their destination before recruiting more members. Jihoon, Rhea, and Tor visit the previous chief, learning he has been in a deep sleep since the battle. Jihoon reacts with shock to the chief's month-long slumber, then considers rallying local tribes. Tor explains that human invasions have annihilated all nearby monster villages. Rhea suggests small villages like Warren might be hiding displaced monsters. Her eyes narrow with determination, stating they need strong monsters to challenge humans. Jihoon learns of one powerful tribe that has not yet submitted to humans. This group stands by the water, discussing the tribe's fierce independence and refusal to ally. Tor reveals the tribe's identity, the lizard tribe, his tone heavy with warning. A foreboding, mist-shrouded forest north of Warren is shown, their probable location. Tor adds that even other monsters fear them, avoiding their territory entirely. A determined Jihoon states he can guess the tribe's name without further explanation. A graphic lists waves 30 through 34, marking the lizard men as powerful early wave monsters. A close-up on Jihoon's eye as he notes this power dynamic also applies to humans. A chaotic battle scene unfolds at a castle, with Jihoon noting it has only been 2 weeks. A fearsome, glowing-eyed lizardman appears as Jihoon considers making such creatures his allies. An excited Jihoon turns to Tor, urgently demanding the lizard tribe's exact location. Tor presents a hand-drawn map outlining the arduous journey to the tribe's swampy valley home. Exhausted from the trek, Jihoon complains the map lied, the first mountain remains invisible ahead. Rhea discovers a D-rank enhancement stone in the grass, celebrating while Jihoon watches unimpressed. This massive backpack rattles along as the journey pairs the village chief with Warren's strongest warrior. Clenching her straps, Rain declares she needs to prove herself useful on this expedition. Jihoon's weary question about distance gets drowned out by Rain's excitement, finally her turn to shine. Pulling out her reconnaissance notes, Rain figures she can pinpoint their exact location from organized records. A creature's roar echoes overhead as Rain realizes they are one step too late to avoid it. Rhea calls for Rain to hurry up ahead, and the overwhelmed rabbit girl stammers her compliance. Rain wrestles with her desperation to contribute, forcing herself to stay patient and not rush. This tiny group traverses a narrow cliffside path as Rain holds onto hope her moment will come. A massive boulder blocks the trail and Rain's eyes ignite. Path clearing is a rabbit specialty. Rain's fierce grin promises a demonstration of power as she prepares to prove her worth. She transforms into a giant pink rabbit form, charging headfirst into the obstructing boulder. This rock explodes on impact, and Jihoon notes their levels rose significantly from the boss fight. Rhea questions why Rain awakened, and the embarrassed rabbit admits it was completely by mistake. Leading the group into the canyon, Jihoon urges Rain forward as she nervously follows. Doubt creeping in, Rain questions whether her help is actually needed on this mission. Suddenly alert, Rain's ears twitch. She senses something moving nearby. Confused by her reaction, Jihoon hears nothing while Rhea explains Rain's exceptional scouting abilities. A realization dawns on Jihoon as Rain stands watchful on a rocky outcrop. Without warning, an explosion of dust engulfs Rain. She screams in terror. Catching her breath, Rain wonders if this could be the same child from before. Sharp claws scrape across stone as shadowy figures creep closer through the dust. Recognition strikes, Rain identifies the approaching threat as the rat tribe. Scanning the cliffside, Rain spots massive movement and warns it is a large-scale force. Stunned by the sheer numbers below, Rain demands to know where they are heading. Horror dawning on her face, Rain realizes the army's trajectory with growing dread. This distant settlement comes into view, human territory lies directly in their path. A sweeping vista reveals the kingdom itself as the army's destination. Processing the implications, Jihoon's mind races. If the rat tribe marches toward the royal palace, something terrible must be unfolding. From a high vantage, a rabbit beastfolk observes the forest, noting the rat tribe's strange, scattered movements. Two beastfolk companions spot the unusual gathering, alarmed that something is definitely happening. This pink-haired rabbit girl suggests they follow the tribe, and Jihoon agrees, needing to confirm a suspicion. Jihoon, with a small red dragon on his head, calls out for help from a being named Riseldrake. As the group starts to move, the rabbit girl struggles, unable to carry her heavy bag to keep up. Feeling like a burden again, she watches Jihoon ponder a solution to her problem. He reaches out towards the massive bag, testing a new ability by shouting "store." This bag vanishes in a puff of smoke, shocking both Jihoon and the rabbit girl with successful magic. His inventory screen shows the bag now occupies a huge slot, a mystery he notes to investigate later. Prioritizing the mission, Jihoon turns his focus back to identifying the source of the strange wave. With a determined shout, the group leaps from the cliff, diving towards the forest below. A massive war bell tolls urgently, its sound carrying the stark warning that war is coming. Panic erupts in a town square as people scream about monsters swarming the area. Armored knights march in unison, their synchronized steps echoing on the cobblestones. A muscular commander and a blonde warrior lead the charge, urging their forces to move quickly before sunset. Panic erupts in the town square as armored knights march in, citizens begging Sir Ares to purge the monsters. A child's innocent question about monster attacks meets a mother's grim explanation of their unnatural evil. This mother's warning continues, stressing human strength as the only survival against such violent beings. Close on the blonde knight's resolute gaze, her presence a silent promise of protection. A sudden shift, red dragon wings slice through the sky, carrying Jihoon and Rizel onward. Below, Rhea and Rain spot the flying figure, confused as it veers off course. Straining under Rizel's weight, Jihoon pushes his new ability to its breaking point. He plummets through the air, joking about weight loss before attempting a controlled descent. But Rizel's strength suddenly fails, her tiny form going limp atop his head. Hearing the scream, Rhea and Rain bolt into the forest, chasing after their chief. A shadow hurtles toward the ground, Jihoon and Rizel are falling again, helpless. This impact shakes the earth, a cloud of dust erupting from the crash site. Amid the settling debris, Jihoon cradles Rizel, his voice tight with worry. Relief washes over him as she stirs, offering a cheerful, unharmed response. Standing in the dust, he holds her close, realizing they've landed far from their intended mountain destination. A sudden, horrified realization flashes across Jihoon's eye. Rhea and Rain sprint toward him, shouting his name in alarm. This two beastfolk girls ask what is wrong as Jihoon stands frozen. His companions share his stunned confusion, sensing something terrible. This ground is littered with the lifeless bodies of the rat tribe. This group stares in shock at the scale of the massacre. A closer look reveals most victims bear wounds from blades. Jihoon's expression hardens, a grim understanding dawning on him. He recalls seeing similar piles of corpses in his past. A memory surfaces of a shattered portal and a battlefield. Flashback to a younger Jihoon haunted by constant death. He notes with chilling detachment that such sights no longer move him. Rain covers her mouth, confused by the sudden silence and carnage. A weak cough draws their attention, a wounded survivor lies ahead. Jihoon barks an order for herbs and Rain rushes to comply. Green salve touches the wound and a grateful whisper escapes the injured beastfolk's lips. Rhea and the fox girl tend to the battered rat beastfolk, demanding to know what happened. Jihoon stands with his companions, the red dragon perched alertly atop his head as they wait. A sinister commander's face emerges from shadow, his single eye blazing with unnatural blue light. Recognition floods the rat beastfolk's gaze, terror mixing with rage as he whispers humans. Rage erupts from the wounded beastfolk, claws extended as he lunges toward Jihoon with primal fury. This fox girl restrains him, but the rat beastfolk snarls that humans are responsible for everything. She urges him to look closer, and confusion replaces the fury in his bloodied face. His fear shifts to bewilderment. Jihoon appears human yet radiates something monstrous, something wrong. Jihoon explains they track the rat tribe's march toward the kingdom and need answers now. His question cuts through the tension. What happened here? This rat beastfolk's claws tighten as he recalls armored humans descending without warning. Knights, the kingdom's knights, these were the ones who attacked. A flashback reveals the assault. Armored soldiers advancing on the village under a dark commander's lead. This commander points forward, his orders lost in chaos as soldiers surge to strike. This rat beastfolk charge into a chaotic battle, their forms blurred by speed and fury. Jihoon, Rhea, and Rain watch the carnage, their faces grim as they learn of the indiscriminate massacre. A dark silhouette plummets against a painted sunset, a silent witness to the violence below. Deep, curved gouges scar the earth, evidence of a brutal, sweeping attack. A furious rat leader rallies his tribe, his voice booming with grief over 8 slaughtered villages. This ground trembles under a relentless barrage of impacts, the tribe's rage made audible. Along the castle battlements, archers kneel in unison, bows drawn at the approaching horde. A muscular commander and a blonde warrior stand defiant, taunting the monster scum to attack. A beast's maw opens in a deafening roar, declaring the assault begins tonight. This monstrous army surges forward, a wave of fur and claws seeking vengeance for their dead. Two vast armies face each other across the dusty field, the castle gates their final barrier. Back with the group, Rain infers the massacre's cause from a human with a peculiar lip ring. A wounded beastfolk snarls in pain, revealing the senseless reason behind the human's brutality. A flashback shows a clouded figure standing amidst the smoking ruins of a beast village. That same figure holds a glowing purple stone, the trivial prize for which his people were slaughtered. Jihoon, with Rizel still perched on his head, stares in grim realization at the carnage. This blonde knight declares the sun is setting, her voice cold as the commander beside her readies his spear. A sinister voice commands the rat tribe to remember one purpose only, their eyes glowing with unnatural purple energy. Fueled by rage and transformation, the monstrous horde surges forward with a single terrifying command: kill the humans. From the castle battlements, the commander orders a volley, and a storm of arrows descends upon the charging army. This sky darkens as countless arrows plummet toward the city gates, a deadly rain silhouetted against the clouds. This volley strikes true, piercing the front ranks of the rat tribe as they charge through the hail of steel. Spotting the colossal leader in the swarm, the commander shouts to focus all fire on the giant rat. A brilliant flaming spear skill ignites in the commander's hand, blazing with intense golden light. He unleashes the attack, and a massive wall of fire erupts, engulfing the battlefield in a searing inferno. This giant rat leader's eye blazes with conflicting purple and yellow energy, a storm of power building within. In a memory, a purple-haired figure strains, confessing they used all their remaining strength for this moment. That same figure now orders someone to stop the humans, his voice desperate as a wounded rat beastfolk kneels before him. This rat beastfolk's face twists in terror and fury, sweat beading as he processes the overwhelming situation. He watches the human forces withdraw, confused as they leave as if the battle held no further interest for them. Rain absorbs the bitter truth. Those in power saw her people as disposable, already marked for death. Jihoon stands silent with Rizzle perched atop his head, processing the weight of that revelation. A memory surfaces, school bullies cornering young Jihoon, probing about his congressman father's influence. The shadow of his father looms behind those same tormentors, demanding to know why they bothered being kind. Isolated in a crowded classroom, Jihoon calculated every relationship by its cost and benefit. Young Jihoon's face drains of color, the memory's cruelty still cutting deep. Back in the present, Jihoon reflects that humans always prioritize their own interests above all else. Arrows rain down upon the castle walls as the order rings out, kill them all. This massive rat boss charges through the battlefield, a living battering ram aimed at the gates. A storm of projectiles engulfs the beast as it surges forward through the carnage. This blonde knight watches from the battlements, her expression cold and unwavering. Arrows pierce earth and flesh alike, the barrage relentless and merciless. This giant rat staggers, riddled with shafts, as the weight of its people's suffering crashes down. Blue lightning crackles from the dying beast's maw, its final act of defiance igniting. A bolt of energy screams toward the castle, carrying every ounce of rage and vengeance left. Jihoon's face drains of color as he witnesses something impossible unfolding. Soldiers scramble across the battlements, screaming warnings about self-destruction at the gate. This massive creature erupts in blinding blue energy, its body becoming a living bomb. Through crackling power, the beast whispers its final words for peace. Sir Ares draws her blade, golden light igniting along the steel. A searing beam cleaves through the air, intercepting the detonation mid-burst. Her light sword dance unleashes flash strike, a pillar of radiance slamming into the explosion. A surviving rat beastfolk watches through the chaos, red eye burning with helpless fury. This redirected blast detonates against the earth, shockwaves rippling across the battlefield. Miles away, Jihoon and his companions freeze at the distant thunder of destruction. He explains the rat tribe's boss is a suicide rat, a creature designed to detonate. This wounded beastfolk lowers his head, blood dripping as silence answers the revelation. Jihoon recalls the sixth wave boom rats were manageable threats for a single S-rank knight. This castle gate stands cracked but unbroken, Sir Ares' intervention having contained the blast. She stares at the aftermath, questioning why they would die knowing it would only damage walls. What message were they sending? Amidst the silent carnage of the rat tribe, the group stands small against the weight of their pain. A character's mouth tightens, the unspoken horror of the massacre settling in. This beastfolk explains most victims were defenseless women and children never trained for war. Later, he reveals the strong males had already left, swearing vengeance against the kingdom. A wounded beastfolk's realization hits. The so-called monster attacks were fueled by human greed. A flashback shows the kingdom's knights overwhelmed, the land besieged by monsters from all sides. In his throne room, the king demands absolute obedience, dismissing all other concerns. A clenched fist symbolizes a refused proposal, avoiding complicity in the kingdom's massacres. With Rizzle perched on his head, Jihoon exhales, feeling a strange sense of relief. He asserts that despite his changed faction, he remains human at his core. A stark revelation, the monster faction's ultimate goal is the complete destruction of humanity. A smiling woman holds a small cat, confessing she acts for her own benefit. Turning to his companions, Jihoon admits he had not shared his true reasons before. He explains his plan to find the lizard tribe, aiming to rally them and grow their collective power. Rhea and Rain process the shocking truth. The waves of monsters were actually indiscriminate human massacres. A wide shot reveals the massacre site as a voiceover states the kingdom's brutal logic. A close-up on Jihoon's mouth shows him declaring his purpose is to bring down the kingdom. With Rizzle on his head, Jihoon states he needs the beastfolk's strength for this goal. This camera pans over a rocky, desolate landscape, setting a somber tone for the conversation. In profile, Jihoon admits he does not know how they will take his next revelation. He explains that dismantling the human faction is the only path forward for everyone. This beastfolk leader acknowledges sensing Jihoon's hostility toward humans was just like theirs. A flashback shows a defiant beastfolk warrior vowing not to give up during a past battle. Back in the present, the fox girl questions if rallying the lizard tribe is truly enough. She insists they need strong monsters to bring down the human faction. A flashback begins, showing a rabbit beastfolk witnessing the slaughter of her village. This scene continues, depicting friends dying before her eyes at human hands. Another flashback shows a wounded beastfolk explaining they had no power to resist the knights. This fox girl then acknowledges Jihoon led them to victory and protected Warren. She concludes that if destroying the kingdom brings peace, she will gladly join him. Jihoon turns to Rhea, his voice heavy with unspoken weight. He starts to speak, but the words catch in his throat. Rain pumps her fist eagerly, volunteering to help despite everything. Her smile falters as she mentions her parents. Standing before them, Rain reveals her parents died saving her and her brother. Kneeling in the dust, she explains rabbit beastfolk are the most fragile race. Clasping her hands tight, Rain admits she once accepted their fate. A violent memory surfaces the moment Jihoon struck the village chief. Blood-splattered and wide-eyed, Rain recalls feeling something shift inside her. Smiling through tears, she chose to follow him despite her weakness. Her emerald eyes widen in surprise as someone thanks her. Jihoon's profile hardens. He declares shared purpose matters more than shared reasons. Walking between his companions, Jihoon outlines the cycle of human massacres and monster retaliation. Ria's fox ears prick forward, her gaze fierce with resolve to end the hatred. With Rizzle perched atop his head, Jihoon sets their course, peace for this world. With Rizzle perched atop his head, Jihoon declares they want to join the survivors. Blood pools across the ground where beastfolk bodies lie scattered in silent testimony. Rat tribe survivors emerge from hiding, gathering one by one before the watching group. Jihoon's expression shifts, processing the weight of what these broken creatures have endured. From the shadows, wary survivors eavesdrop on the group's conversation about their fate. A massive rat beastfolk approaches through the dust, leaving Jihoon stunned by its sheer size. Their survival instinct kicks in as the group tends to coughing, wounded survivors. Flames consume the fallen as they cremate the bodies, marking 2 weeks since arriving. Kingdom soldiers burn damaged hides and haul resources back. The 6th wave already stopped. Time presses urgently. Jihoon knows they must rally the lizard tribe before the kingdom strengthens. Dawn breaks over the rocky landscape, painting the horizon in warm golden light. This rat village chief hands Jihoon a map, directing him to find Tor in a cave. As the group departs to seek the lizard tribe, the chief watches them disappear into the distance. Alone, the village chief examines the crude map with visible confusion at its strange markings. A quest notification blazes red, rally surrounding monsters to expand forces, reward, random grade stone. A red counter ticks upward, tracking mysterious progress toward 1,000. After parting ways with the rat tribe, the group heads toward the lizard tribe's swamp. With Rizzle asleep on his head, Jihoon prepares to cross the water himself. Without the dragon's help, Jihoon plunges into the river and immediately starts drowning. Ria and Rain haul his waterlogged body ashore, desperately pumping his chest to revive him. Sunlight filters through the forest canopy in a peaceful transition between scenes. This group spots a wild goblin emerging from a cave, and Rain takes note. Jihoon sketches a crude portrait and orders the goblins to find someone called Tor. This red counter climbs again, marking steady progress toward the mysterious goal. A towering minotaur appears and clasps Jihoon's hand, leaving Ria utterly stunned. Another increment ticks upward, the counter now past 200. A massive blue slime oozes across the ground with an unsettling squelch. Rain recognizes it as King Slime from the 7th wave, marching toward the kingdom. Jihoon stands before the colossal King Slime with arms spread wide, begging it to listen. This King Slime's gelatinous body begins engulfing Jihoon as he struggles against its pull. This giant slime warns Jihoon that going forward means certain death. As the slime explains their plight, Ria watches with eager fascination. A massive slime migration heads inevitably toward the human kingdom. After a painstaking conversation, Jihoon finally persuades the slow-talking slimes. This red counter surges, now just 6 away from the mysterious goal. Under a painted sunset, exhausted panting breaks the evening silence. Jihoon and Ria collapse, utterly spent from the relentless journey. Suddenly, Rain spots something exciting in the distance. 2 mountain peaks rise before them. The lizard tribe's home is near. Jihoon's stomach growls loudly, forcing a practical pause to their quest. Rain seizes the chance to be useful, unpacking supplies with glee. Her enthusiasm deflates as Jihoon groans at the sight of more carrots. Rain insists the carrots are nutritious, oblivious to his despair. Complaining about the monotony, she suddenly notices something else in her bag. Rain pulls out an unexpected item, leaving the group utterly shocked. A hand offers wild strawberries, startling Jihoon as Ria watches curiously. This plump red berries fill the palm, prompting a quiet question. Jihoon pops one into his mouth, his expression turning thoughtful. His face lights up with joy, savoring a long-forgotten sweetness. Ria reveals she knew of the berries, having stayed near the village. Rain appears, pans in hand, offering to cook if raw carrots are not enough. Her eyes sparkle with enthusiasm as she begs to try cooking. Night falls, a tent glows in the woods, a familiar scent wafting through. A large pot bubbles over a crackling fire, steam rising into the dark. Jihoon and Ria taste the soup, delighted by the shepherd's purse and soybean paste. Rain explains her bean cooking hobby, beaming with pride at finally helping. Suddenly, Jihoon's expression shifts, shouting Rain's name in alarm. He points frantically behind them, warning of something in the darkness. Rain's eyes widen, a bead of sweat tracing her cheek as she senses it. 2 massive ogres loom behind her, their shadows engulfing the clearing. Rain, the pink rabbit beastfolk, screams in terror, eyes wide at the ogre's sudden appearance. A scarred green ogre's hand looms over cowering Rain, who cries out in fear. This ogre's large, wounded hand reaches down to pick up a small carrot from the dirt. Jihoon frowns, noticing the ogre's body is covered in fresh, deep wounds all over. 2 green ogres stand by Rain's soup pot. One says it smells delicious, confusing Jihoon. Jihoon and Ria watch as an ogre points at the soup, asking if that drew it. Rain steps back, startled, as the ogre's shadow falls over her, making her stammer. An ogre sniffs the soup pot eagerly, exclaiming it's the source, while Jihoon warns it's hot. This ogre burns its hand on the hot pot, screaming as Jihoon and Ria observe. Jihoon worries if the low-intelligence ogre can survive, planning to add it to Warren's forces. 2 ogres demand food. Jihoon frets they'll never find the cave at this rate. A close-up of Jihoon's eye reveals a glowing pink symbol, hinting at hidden power. Jihoon's vision shows 2 B-rank ogres, LV-14, LV-13, shocking him at their high level. An ogre holds the soup pot, marveling at its incredible power as steam rises. A hooded figure with red fruit watches the ogre scream from the trees. Apples tumble from a basket, scattering across the sun-dappled ground. Jihoon greets a towering green ogre, inviting it to join his cause. A white-haired fox girl with striking blue eyes asks to come with him. She suddenly launches a fierce blue-tinged attack against a cloaked figure. Demanding answers, she clashes blades with the mysterious assailant. Jihoon watches, stunned, recognizing her distinctive ears as a key clue. This attacker's hood falls back, revealing the sharp features of a dark elf. A gloved hand channels swirling dark energy, preparing a sinister spell. This elf's magic ensnares the fox girl, binding her in place. Trapped and furious, she struggles against the immobilizing darkness. This dark elf then lunges, sword aimed directly at Jihoon. A desperate shout warns him as the blade closes in. Jihoon activates his abyss slot, a purple energy shield erupting. This elf strike collides with the barrier in a blinding flash. This impact sends a shockwave, leaving the outcome hanging in the balance. This shockwave from their clash ripples outward, forcing Rain to shield her eyes. This dark elf's sharp gaze locks onto Jihoon's blade, sensing its immense magical power. Demanding an explanation for the ambush, the elf receives only a defiant question in return. Jihoon's face registers shock, his mind racing to process the sudden, unprovoked hostility. With blinding speed, a gloved hand draws a sleek, dark blade from its sheath. Their swords meet in a furious clash, sparks flying as steel grinds against steel. This blades remain locked in a tense deadlock, neither combatant yielding an inch. This dark elf shifts into a distinctive preparation stance, signaling a powerful technique. Jihoon's eyes widen in recognition, instantly identifying the telltale diagonal slash pattern. Unleashing a dark slash, the elf sends a crescent of purple energy hurtling forward. This devastating slash cleaves through the air, tearing a path across the distant hillside. This ground itself splits apart, a deep, jagged fissure marking the attack's raw power. At the last second, Jihoon dives aside, the lethal energy carving the earth where he stood. Panting heavily, Jihoon grips his weapon, facing the composed but now wary dark elf. A flicker of disbelief crosses the elf's features. How did this opponent know his technique's blind spot? Near the campfire, the dark elf demands answers about why they are being attacked. Confusion washes over Jihoon's face as he questions whether they actually assaulted the ogres. An ogre's scarred hand reaches down toward the scattered carrots on the ground. This dark elf points accusingly at the wounded ogre, demanding an explanation for that scream. Sweat beads on Jihoon as he admits ignorance about the wounds, blaming the hot pot. This dark elf bristles at the word stupid, prompting Jihoon to quickly correct himself. Jihoon shouts toward the ogres, insisting they were not responsible for those injuries. He turns back to the dark elf, desperate for validation after the ogre's response. This dark elf questions the ogres directly, and they confirm Jihoon's group hurt them. This dark elf accuses him of exploiting the ogre's low intelligence, refusing to listen. Blade drawn, the dark elf lunges forward, dismissing Jihoon's protests as mere excuses. Steel rings out as their weapons collide in a sharp, desperate clash. Dark energy swirls around Jihoon as his expression hardens with sudden resolve. This dark elf's eyes widen in shock at the sight of Jihoon's purple blade. Reeling backward, the dark elf shouts in panic that they were not the one responsible. A strange sensation floods Jihoon's body as his system registers critical damage landing. Blood splatters across the grass in a violent burst from the impact. Stunned by the unexpected power, the dark elf realizes Jihoon's attack was far from ordinary. From behind, Rhea watches helplessly, debating whether to burn through her last reserves of magic. Her eyes narrow as she senses something wrong with the binding spell's hold on him. Jihoon and the elf clash at close range, tension crackling between them. Dark bind activates with a crimson flash, the elf declaring it is already too late. Rhea shouts a warning about the repeated binding magic, urging Jihoon not to move. This elf explains his village grants even criminals one chance at redemption. Rhea demands he tell the truth and beg the ogres for forgiveness. Behind the elf, Jihoon's eye glows crimson as he agrees with her demand. This dark elf's composure shatters, sensing something has gone terribly wrong. Jihoon lunges forward with his blade, shouting that he was not the one at fault. A devastating strike sends the elf crashing down as the ogres watch in stunned silence. Face pressed against dirt, the elf realizes his mistake, underestimating Jihoon cost him everything. A boot plants firmly on the ground as a voice demands he become stronger. Jihoon grits his teeth, the strain of the clash etched on his face. His hand blocks the dark elf's blade, the impact sending shockwaves through the grass. This white-haired fox girl seizes the elf from behind, pinning him with a sharp command. Jihoon recognizes the dark elf's restraint skill, a cheat-level ability that guarantees capture, but its success rate plummets dramatically against targets of equal or higher grade. Submerged in thought, Jihoon uses his power to check the beastfolk's stats. He finds an absurd stat distribution, everything funneled into critical hit potential. Most strangely, his own status screen shows no listed grade or attribute. Still, Jihoon feels relief. At minimum, his hidden grade must be quite high. This dark elf is confirmed as a rank level 17, a formidable opponent. Back at the camp, the group looks to Jihoon, unsure how to proceed. A sinister smile curls on the dark elf's lips, his confidence unshaken. A flashback reveals his journey, leaving home with dreams of glory only to feel like a failure. Snapped back to reality, the elf glares past a blade, demanding his captors release them. Bloodied and pinned by the fox girl, the dark elf pleads with Jihoon to trust him. Extending his hand, Jihoon insists they never harm the ogres. Defeated but resolute, the elf offers to help find the real culprit. A crimson display flashes, his health dropping to 19. A boot presses into the grass as a voice asks if they have been found. Alarm washes over Jihoon's face, sweat beating at his temple. A caped knight with glowing blue eyes emerges, cursing the stupid ogres. Blood stains his gauntlet as the silvering knight declares there is no point running. Recognition strikes Jihoon, his eyes widen at the sight of that silver ring. Jihoon faces the armored figure across the clearing, the lip ring unmistakable. A flashback erupts, the knight standing amid carnage, something purple clutched in his hand. A sinister grin spreads as the knight holds up a glowing purple stone. An eye bearing a purple sigil reveals the truth: he massacred the rat tribe. This knight sizes up the ogre while Jihoon's group watches from the campfire's glow. 3 stars gleam on his shoulder armor, marking a rank Jihoon begins to recognize. This ranking system reveals lower, middle, and upper knight tiers, culminating in his status as an A-rank knight. With many A-rank knights, faces blur together, marking him as a non-mainstream figure as the group gathers by the fire. This armored knight surveys the bizarre assembly of ogres, beastfolk, and humans, questioning their combination. Jihoon's thoughtful gaze sharpens, a silent escaping as he assesses the newcomer. Dark skin and pointed ears confirm it. A dark elf stands before them, his green eyes intense. This knight chuckles, calling elf types valuable and deeming this hunt unusually lucky. Accusations fly as the dark elf demands to know who raided the rat tribe village, and the knight admits it. This dark elf's surprise grows, noting the knight is speaking directly to a human like Jihoon. Connecting the dots, the elf accuses the knight of also harming the ogres, whose wounded hand trembles nearby. Sweat beads on the dark elf's face, his expression shifting to alarm as pieces fall into place. A sinister laugh bubbles up, the knight's bloody hand hinting at recent violence. Close-up reveals his gloved finger, broken and smeared with blood, a gruesome injury. This dark elf bows his head, apologizing for the misunderstanding, leaving Jihoon utterly confused. Even without grasping every word, the elf's shadowed face reflects on the troubling situation. Suddenly, Jihoon is blasted backward by a surge of green energy, the impact throwing him through the air. This dark elf lunges forward with renewed fury, shouting that she finally understands his weakness. Steel clashes against steel as the two fighters collide in a violent blur of motion. Jihoon struggles against the overwhelming force, realizing even matching ranks cannot close the gap. His magic dagger connects, but the system warns the equipped gear is too different to penetrate. This armored warrior laughs dismissively, mocking the weapon as a mere toy in his grip. Standing tall with cape billowing, the imposing fighter radiates raw, unshakable confidence. A calculated thought cuts through the dark elf's mind. If brute force will not work, precision must. She launches herself skyward, blade raised high for a devastating overhead strike. This slash lands true, drawing blood from the armored warrior's neck in a crimson spray. Pain contorts his face as he snarls, spitting venom about the supposed inferiority of her kind. Pressing forward relentlessly, the elf drives her blade deeper while his defenses crumble. Green eyes blaze with unwavering resolve as she commits fully to finishing this fight. This warrior staggers backward, blood flowing freely from wounds that finally breach his armor. A violent burst of energy erupts between them, sending both combatants reeling from the impact. Shock registers on the armored man's face as he grasps the true danger he now faces. A devastating strike sends the dark elf screaming backward, blood spraying from the brutal impact. A bearded warrior's cold eyes lock onto his prey, a blade glinting with deadly purpose. Jihoon and the fox girl freeze in shock, witnessing the newcomer's overwhelming power. Two silhouettes clash midair, the armored fighter dominating the exchange with ruthless precision. Metal shrieks and shatters under crushing force, fragments exploding outward from the devastating blow. This dark elf's green eye widens in horror, blood streaking across his stunned face. A bloodied hand reaches desperately upward, trembling fingers grasping at nothing as shock takes hold. This armored warrior stands victorious amid swirling dust, his green cape billowing with quiet menace. Catching his breath, the bearded man mutters about valuable merchandise he nearly damaged in his excitement. Jihoon's confusion deepens at the word, watching the stranger loom over the defeated dark elf. Crumpled on the grass, the dark elf groans through shattered pride and searing pain. A boot presses down on the captive as the warrior confirms coldly, this is merchandise. This ogre's nervous gaze meets the armored man's attention, another potential acquisition identified. This fox girl's expression hardens, noting the ogre could be merchandise too, though low value. Turning toward them, the stranger mentions kingdom citizens and how popular monster shows have become. Across the moonlit clearing, the knight explains how crowds crave exotic curiosities from monster shows. His brow lifts in genuine surprise, a human ignorant of such popular spectacles. Recognition clicks behind Jihoon's eyes, the changed outfit having masked the knight's identity. A bloodied finger touches his lip as the knight's grin turns predatory, finally placing the face. Jihoon's expression hardens, naming him the legendary knight and sensing their luck has turned. Drawing his blade with practiced ease, the knight catalogs his haul: rare ogres, a young dark elf, and a traitor. Speed lines erupt as he declares his intent to escort them all to the kingdom for the king's bounty. Without hesitation, Jihoon draws his purple blade, meeting threat with steel. Their weapons collide with devastating force, the impact sending shockwaves through the clearing. Jihoon's boot plants deep into the earth, anchoring him against the overwhelming strike. Through the dust, the knight's eyes gleam with greed, noting Jihoon's blade looks quite valuable. Jihoon demands answers through gritted teeth, questioning whether this assault stems from royal command. This knight seizes him mid-strike, declaring the king's word absolute as the fox girl watches helplessly. Beneath a clouded moon, someone whispers they need to be evil to feel less guilty. This knight smirks at the fox girl's charge, calling such words fitting for a traitor. A swift blue energy slash cuts through the darkness, signaling the start of a fierce exchange. This armored knight staggers back, blood spraying from a fresh wound as debris flies around him. In the moonlit clearing, the fox girl unleashes swirling blue energy while Jihoon and the knight clash violently. Bruised and panting, the dark elf kneels, his green eyes scanning the battlefield for an opening. Jihoon glances at his party, calculating how to funnel more experience to Rhea during the fight. He whispers to Rizzle, "Prepare that just in case," as Rhea lets out a fierce roar. This knight smirks, calling them uncivilized things before chanting stone earth gathering with a mocking tone. Rocks swirl and fuse around his arm, transforming it into a massive, jagged stone weapon. Jihoon's eyes narrow, recognizing the earth attribute skill and its potential for devastating power. "Do you know how much that armor cost?" The knight snarls, his rocky fist now fully formed. With a guttural cry, he launches the Fist of Earth, a colossal stone punch hurtling forward. This impact shakes the ground, sending a shockwave of dirt and debris into the night sky. Cracks spiderweb across the earth as the massive fist smashes down with earth-shattering force. Jihoon notes the attack's brutality, but also its flaw: bigger weapons mean slower speed. His expression hardens, a silent however hanging in the air as he plans his counter. Under the moon, the fox girl perches on a treetop, knowing a prolonged fight spells trouble. A sharp projectile cuts through the night sky, heading straight for the battle below. This rock monster charges, roaring at the fox girl who stands her ground. Its massive fist slams into the armored knight, sending him flying as the fox girl dodges. Blood sprays from the knight's shoulder, his face twisting in shock and pain. Nearby, the dark elf watches with a grimace, muttering about the beastfolk's strength. Then a rabbit-eared girl kneels beside him, offering to heal his wounds. She holds up green-coated fingers, admitting this is the only healing she can manage. As she tends to him, the rock monster's attack looms closer in the background. Suddenly, a blade of blue energy pierces through the knight's armor from behind. This knight gasps as the glowing strike tears through his chest, blood mixing with light. An ogre watches the swift attack, impressed by its speed. Jihoon realizes Ria's B-rank advantage comes from her overwhelming speed, relying on skills. But in her transformed state, Ria feels the strain, knowing her power has a time limit. Now she faces the rock monster's colossal fist, bracing for the impact. This white-haired fox girl's eyes widen in shock, sweat beading as she witnesses the sudden escalation. Behind them, a violent explosion erupts near the tree, prompting the dark elf and rabbit-eared companion to shout Ria's name. Slumped against the trunk, the fox girl gasps in pain, her body battered from the forceful impact. Her consciousness fading, a close-up reveals her closed eyes and the haunting question of whether this is her end. From a distance, Jihoon calculates his angle, knowing a mistake could catch Ria in the crossfire. Holding the small red creature, he prepares to unleash Rizzle's area attack, prioritizing Ria's life over tactical efficiency. This armored knight looms over the fallen fox girl, his massive stone arm raised as he acknowledges the combat experience gained. A low-angle shot focuses on the knight's armored boots planted firmly on the grass, emphasizing his unmovable stance. Confusion flashes across Jihoon's face as he questions the knight's sudden shift in behavior. This dark elf steps protectively before the injured fox girl, drawing his blade with defiant resolve. With his stone arm crackling, the knight orders them to clear the path, threatening to obliterate everything in his way. Bloodied but unbroken, the dark elf's green eyes blaze as he declares he will never submit, even at the cost of his life. A fierce inner cry of refusal to lose precedes a devastating, ground-shaking charge. This dark elf leaps into a furious assault, his blade meeting the knight's stone arm in a shower of sparks and debris. Standing unmoved, the knight scoffs at the notion of dark elf debuff magic, dismissing it as utterly ineffective against him. This dark elf's furious charge meets the knight's stone arm, a shockwave erupting from the blocked strike. Standing over his defeated foe, the knight mocks the elf's intelligence but concedes his life has value. Turning his gaze to the wounded fox girl, the knight declares beasts who defy their place must be beaten. A close-up reveals a blood-smeared blade, the dark elf's weapon now broken and useless against the stone arm. From the sidelines, Jihoon watches in stunned silence, questioning the knight's brutal escalation. Lifting the dark elf by his neck, the knight offers a condescending reprieve, calling his defiance a mistake. He continues his tirade, labeling the dark elf's entire race as barbaric and inferior for simply existing. A tight shot captures the dark elf's furious, tear-filled eyes, his pride shattered by the humiliating defeat. A flashback reveals a young elf being reassured his magic power will naturally grow as he ages. From behind, the child stands confused as others whisper about his shockingly low power despite his lineage. This determined youth leaves home, vowing to return stronger and follow in his father's legendary footsteps. Back in the present, the dark elf's eyes well with tears, a choked apology escaping for his failure. Suddenly, Jihoon shouts for the dark elf's attention, hurling a small object toward him. This camera follows Jihoon's dynamic throw, the item spinning through the air as the knight looks on. Catching the thrown item, the dark elf hears Jihoon's offer to lend him a weapon, a spark of hope igniting. Reeling from the knight's crushing blow, the dark elf staggers backward under the impact. Purple energy surges through his blade as magic power overflows beyond control. This bearded knight's expression shifts, sensing something dangerous awakening. Channeling overwhelming magic into his weapon, the dark elf prepares a devastating strike. His glowing blade pierces the knight's armor, driving deep into his chest. This knight's eyes widen in shock, a single syllable escaping his lips. Despite the wound, the knight laughs maniacally, dismissing the attack as pathetic. Jihoon calculates the angle, planning his counter from the upper right. A diagonal slash cuts across the battlefield, moving from upper right to lower left. This dark elf unleashes a primal scream, pouring everything into one final assault. His eye blazes with purple light, magic energy consuming his very being. A massive dark slash erupts forward, the technique's true power finally revealed. Purple tendrils tear through the night sky with devastating, unstoppable force. This slash carves through the landscape, splitting earth and trees in its path. This rabbit girl points in alarm while the injured fox girl watches helplessly. Jihoon's eyes widen in shock as Rizzle watches the devastating aftermath unfold. Debris and smoke billow across the moonlit clearing where the massive impact struck. This bearded knight staggers upright, groaning through shattered pride and searing pain. Below in the trench, the defeated warrior lies broken while Jihoon surveys the damage. Studying the dark elf's power, Jihoon realizes this attack hit several times harder than expected. Gripping his purple blade, the dark elf admits he can unleash such devastating strikes. His boots plant firmly into the earth, stance unshakable as he prepares to strike again. With the enchanted sword crackling in his grip, the dark elf channels his full strength. Determination hardens his expression as he commits to finishing what he started. Flames consume the fallen warrior while someone urgently calls for healing support. This knight collapses, bitter about being defeated by those he considered beneath him. Jihoon stands over him, blade ready, demanding answers instead of complaints. Steel presses against the knight's throat as Jihoon takes control of the situation. His curiosity about the kingdom outweighs mercy as he interrogates his prisoner. With the blade still at his throat, Jihoon warns that lies or silence will have consequences. Silver-haired and stone-faced, Jihoon grips his weapon handle, silence heavy with unasked questions. Blade pressed to the defeated knight's throat, he demands the kingdom's total military count, over 3,000. Under moonlit skies, Jihoon presses further about roaming soldiers, but the knight admits ignorance on subjugation force numbers. Staring down at his captor, Jihoon's next question cuts deeper. What purpose does this subjugation force serve? Sweat beads on the knight's brow as cold steel presses closer, his hesitation betraying dangerous secrets. Flashback reveals an armored warrior kneeling, Royal Direct Command 0 Squad's upper knight, codenamed Rock Hands. This crowned king looms from his throne, commanding stronger weapons and granting license to destroy everything surrounding the kingdom. Back in the forest, the broken knight confesses. The force hunts enhancement stones and iron ore caves to fortify walls. A sharp close-up of Jihoon's calculating eye, he suspects his questions may have been too revealing. Game interface flickers to life, confirming adventures yield enhancement stones. The subjugation force is essentially a farming party. Chibai portraits of two elite knights appear. Ares and Rib names the captured knight recognizes immediately. Crouching over his prisoner, Jihoon shifts tactics, asking how many skills those elites can actually wield. A skill progression chart materializes. 1 skill at level 1, 2 at 10, 3 at 20 level can be inferred early on. Blade hovering near the knight's face, he reveals both elites are known to use exactly 2 skills. A quiet smirk crosses Jihoon's profile. If they only wield 2 skills, both elites remain below level 20. This rabbit girl watches as the captured knight questions Jihoon's true target, the kingdom itself. Nearby, 2 ogres cradle Rizzle while debating whether their small force can breach walls guarded by elite knights. One ogre strokes the tiny creature thoughtfully, acknowledging that breaking through defenses held by 2 elite knights will not be easy. Bloodied and broken, the bearded knight laughs through his pain, claiming they have misunderstood something critical. His grin widens as he reveals the truth. There are not just 2 elite knights guarding the kingdom. Jihoon's composure cracks, his eyes widening at the revelation that their opposition far exceeds what they'd calculated. A game interface materializes, displaying the maximum elite knights available, 7 total, raising the stakes dramatically. This progression chart shows wave advancement and how S-rank knight selection determines victory, yet they are only at wave 6 facing overwhelming odds. 2 additional elite knight silhouettes emerge, Sir Bombardier Acker and Fanatic Arkan, bringing the known count to 4. Jihoon's expression hardens into cold calculation, processing the implications of facing double the expected elite opposition. A flashback reveals the kingdom's true vulnerability: damaged walls, wounded soldiers, the brutal reality that differs from any game. A blue sword symbol blazes into existence, hinting at the source of the kingdom's ability to sustain frequent warfare. Magical energy surges through the fortress walls, sealing cracks and restoring defenses in an instant. Wounded soldiers queue before a healer's staff, their injuries about to be mended by the same power that fortifies the kingdom. This staff clicks into place, its orb pulsing with concentrated healing energy ready to be unleashed. A procession of glowing blue figures marches toward the castle gates under the moonlit sky. This blonde bandaged man stares in shock, his companions equally stunned by the sight. 2 men in blue react with excitement, one raising his hand as energy swirls around them. A blue-haired elf healer announces treatment complete, her rifle-like weapon resting on her shoulder. 4 S-rank knights appear as Chibai portraits, the text questioning if even more exist. Jihoon sweats, realizing from the kingdom's view this is a super easy difficulty scenario. But from his perspective, breaking through that gate feels like extreme hell difficulty. This wounded knight looks up, shocked, as Jihoon stands over him with a dagger. Jihoon demands answers about the legendary knight, an entity not in the game's records. He presses further, asking how the knight summoned him into this impossible situation. This knight hesitates, his eyes darting as Jihoon's blade glints in the dim light. Jihoon's grip tightens on the dagger, his patience wearing thin with the silence. With a swift motion, he swings the blade, a flash of light cutting through the air. After the strike, Jihoon gazes at the stars, contemplating his next move in this game. This knight tumbles down the ravine, his fate sealed as Jihoon watches from above. This rabbit girl gasps at the overwhelming human reinforcements, questioning if allies have arrived. Royal Direct Command Zero Squad knights emerge from the tree line, demanding they step away from Rockhands. A bloodied smirk crosses Rockhand's face as he mutters that they are already too late. Stone Earth regeneration activates, earth swirling around his mangled arm as flesh knits back together. Fully regenerating, Rockhands rises and scoffs at the idea he'd ever betray his kingdom's secrets. With his stone armor reforming, he vows to kill everyone who heard kingdom intelligence and deliver their corpses. Jihoon reveals his own intel, explaining the rat tribe warned him about 100 soldiers attacking their village. A vast army waits beyond the ridge, ready to swarm if their commander does not return soon. Standing beside Rizzle, Jihoon admits he was counting on their arrival all along. Rockhand's eye narrows with suspicion, questioning whether Jihoon is bluffing about commanding weaker troops. Confusion creeps across the battlefield as something about Jihoon's confidence does not add up. A dangerous grin spreads across Jihoon's face. He sees the entire army as experience points. Rockhand's eye widens in disbelief, struggling to process what he just heard. Jihoon points forward and commands Rizeldrake to take its turn, the tiny creature launching into action. Rockhands laughs dismissively, mocking what a small monster could possibly accomplish against him. Jihoon stands before the charging soldiers, their commander's order to capture them ringing out. Rizzle's maw glows as he unleashes Dragon Breath, a torrent of red energy building. A knight screams the order to fire, his face illuminated by the impending blast. A colossal red beam erupts, consuming the battlefield and silencing the soldiers' advance. This system reveals Dragon Breath's magic power surges by 500%, amplified by party synergy. Caught in the inferno, a knight disintegrates mid-protest, his form dissolving into light. Knight's arrival empowers all monsters by 20%, a crucial tactical advantage for Jihoon's side. This rabbit girl and dark elf watch in stunned silence as the devastating attack unfolds. 2 ogres cower behind a rock, eyes wide with fear at the sheer destructive power. This white-haired fox girl wipes away a tear of relief, the immediate threat neutralized. This camp lies in ruins, a trench of scorched earth marking the beam's path. Rizzle pants heavily, magic depletion taking its toll as fatigue visibly sets in. Jihoon pats his companion, acknowledging a battle well fought with a simple "well done." He reflects on the battle, noting their hard-won progress against the kingdom's forces. This party levels up, though gains feel modest against the enemy's numbers, a sobering reminder. Surveying the scorched trench, Jihoon notes the scattered stones, a massive haul from the battle. His eyes widen, catching something unusual among the debris. A radiant purple enhancement stone glows amidst the green ones, untouched by the blast. Holding the stones, he realizes their durability as the fox girl watches in awe. With a command, he orders his party to collect the spoils and they rush eagerly. This game interface materializes, displaying party levels and shared experience gains. Differential distribution reveals Rain gained 17 levels from healing while fighters earned less. Rizzle celebrates reaching level 10 with new skills, her excitement palpable. Jihoon's shock mirrors the readers at the unexpected skill unlock. This scene shifts to Warren under a full moon where change brews. An axe bites deep into bark, signaling unrest in the forest. A Minotaur warrior swings with newfound strength, red energy crackling around him. Confusion crosses his face as he questions his sudden power surge. His clawed feet dig into the earth, tail twitching with agitation. Confronting the rat folk, he stands before a looming spirit, tensions rising. Jihoon stands before the dark elf, who hints at unfinished business between them. A scarred face fills the frame, demanding why he fought with such desperate fury. He recounts Jihoon shielding both the ogres and Rhea during the fierce battle. With downcast eyes, the dark elf offers a sincere apology for the harm caused. Turning toward the two ogres, he announces his plan to guide them to the sea. A shadow of doubt crosses his features as he admits his own crushing weakness. Flashback shows his younger self vowing to surpass his father despite stagnant magic. Training relentlessly with his blade, he discovers a new path through painful experience. Back in the present, his gaze hardens with newfound resolve to grow stronger. Suddenly, Jihoon pops up behind him, bluntly pointing out his magic deficiency. With glowing purple eyes, Jihoon calculates his reserves at 1/10 of normal. This dark elf recoils, demanding how a non-elf could know such details. Jihoon nervously claims it is a unique ability only he possesses, sweating under scrutiny. Surprisingly, the dark elf accepts this explanation, feeling exposed but not entirely convinced. Shifting focus, Jihoon presents the dagger, noting it amplified the elf's magic. Examining the glowing blade, the dark elf explains its magic supplementing properties. Behind him, Jihoon watches the dark elf's reaction, a silent observer. With a decisive gesture, Jihoon offers the weapon, his intent clear. Turning away, the dark elf questions the sudden offer, suspicion in his tone. Jihoon's expression hardens as he demands alliance, a direct challenge issued. Profile shown, the dark elf cites deep-seated racial divides, a firm refusal. Leaning in, Jihoon challenges his desire for power, probing his ambition. Silence hangs as the dark elf weighs the proposition, a heavy pause. Jihoon's analysis reveals superior physique but deficient magic, a critical weakness. Eyes closed, the dark elf concedes the painful truth, a reluctant admission. A flashback reveals his ostracization for low magic power driving his journey. Jihoon's eyes gleam, declaring the issue resolved, a confident proclamation. Holding the sword, Jihoon praises his exceptional physicality, building his case. Producing a B-rank stone, Jihoon promises weapon upgrades, a tempting solution. Red energy flares, then dissipates. Enhancement fails spectacularly, leaving them stunned. A blinding flash erupts in the forest clearing, the rabbit girl shielding her eyes in shock. Jihoon raises his newly enhanced blade, screams spike, its magic power surging by 11 points. He demonstrates his weapon enhancement ability to the stunned dark elf, promising to maximize his power. Purple energy crackles around a gripping hand, the dark elf contemplating real strength within reach. A fanged smirk crosses Leonard's face as silent calculation replaces his earlier hostility. His expression hardens, this is not surrender, he tells himself, merely a rational contract between equals. Leonard sets his terms, 10 years, no more, just a temporary arrangement to test this partnership. Jihoon grins, accepting the deal even if their alliance only lasts a short while. But then reality hits, 10 years called just a while. Something feels deeply wrong here. Overlooking the cliffside forest, they exchange names, Jihoon and Leonard Bell Leon sealing their pact. A red counter surges to 999 out of 1,000, nearly maxing out some hidden threshold. His companions arrive bearing sacks of loot, Jihoon stunned by the sheer quantity they gathered. This fox girl presents a strange stone artifact, recognition flashing across Jihoon's face. Leonard blushes furiously as the cheerful group surrounds him, clearly unused to such warmth. Later, sharing a meal beneath the night sky, he admits knowledge of humanity's cruel deeds. This knight's enhancement stones, while fewer than Rhea's collection, contained many high-grade specimens. Among them, a grade stone increasing rank with certain probability proved incredibly valuable. At camp, Jihoon hands something to Rain while the fox girl and dark elf watch. Her eyes widen, she recognizes the mysterious black stone from their earlier encounter. With quiet authority, Jihoon tells her simply to use it. Red energy erupts as the stone activates, ogres watching in stunned silence. This system confirms success. Rain's rank climbs to C, though her level adjusts from 26 to 21. Clutching her chest, Rain feels queasy but senses raw power surging through her. Grinning with excitement, Jihoon grabs another stone, eager to try again. A crimson beam pierces the night sky, blazing above the darkened forest. By morning, the party heads toward the swamp where the lizard tribe dwells. Leonard guides the lost ogres along a stream, leading them toward the sea. Jihoon persuaded him to rally the lizard tribe and march to Warren together. After days of walking, Jihoon collapses exhausted while Leonard and the others remain unfazed. Complaining about the lengthy name, Jihoon asks Leonard for something shorter to call him. This rabbit girl calls him Belle, pointing excitedly towards something in the distance. This party approaches a dark, misty forest, its oppressive atmosphere making everyone uneasy. Two massive ogres flank the group as Leonard warns about the lizard tribe's strength. Such a powerful race will not easily submit to anyone's authority, he cautions. Leonard turns to Jihoon, asking pointedly if he is referring to his own past stubbornness. Jihoon smirks confidently, telling them to leave the negotiation to him. A blue lizardman warrior appears in his mind's interface, game knowledge activating as he recalls their lore. With absolute certainty, Jihoon declares he can rally the lizard tribe to their cause. This party stops short. A colossal foot blocks their path, dwarfing them completely. A massive green-scaled foot splashes into shallow water, sending ripples across the swamp. This ogres panic as they sink into the bog. Leonard shouts in alarm at their predicament. Both ogres struggle and sink deeper while Leonard screams for them to stop moving. Jihoon orders them to freeze, explaining ogres' massive weight makes swamp crossing impossible. His eyes narrow with recognition. Something about the situation confirms his suspicions about who is here. A towering lizardman warrior introduces himself as Rainak, his blade resting casually in hand. This ogre slowly back away from the imposing lizard tribe member, their fear palpable. A towering lizard warrior informs Jihoon that the tribe's village lies beyond the swamp. A close-up reveals the lizard's stern warning about outsiders being unwelcome in their territory. Jihoon smiles confidently, declaring that the most valuable rewards always demand the greatest risks. Through the misty pines, the lizard tribe member asks why they seek an audience with his people. Jihoon bluntly states their goal, to borrow the lizard tribe's strength for an assault on the kingdom. This lizard warrior recounts leaving his village years ago, witnessing humanity's cruel deeds firsthand. Wiping her brow, the fox girl notes the strange, diverse coalition of humans and monsters gathered. Suddenly, Rieseldrake lets out a fierce roar, landing dramatically before the skeptical lizard warrior. Jihoon introduces the small dragon as his friend, Rieseldrake, prompting a curious glance from the lizard. A close-up shows Rieseldrake fast asleep atop Jihoon's head, a habit his companion notes. This lizard warrior processes this, murmuring thoughtfully about the nature of their bond. As they approach the village outskirts, the lizard warns that today is the chief's birthday. He cautions that their young, suspicious leader will require a display of real strength, not just words. A sudden realization dawns on Jihoon's face, as if remembering a crucial piece of his plan. This lizard elder offers to handle the ogres, seeking Jihoon's approval for the arrangement. Jihoon calls Leonard by his new name, prompting surprise from the elder who questions his departure. Through the misty canyon, Jihoon reassures Leonard, trusting a stranger this easily feels reckless. Walking through the forest, Leonard notes the elder's unusually high favorability toward Jihoon. A favorability meter displays 80 points, another hidden skill Jihoon has unknowingly activated. This elder warns the ogres against blindly following strangers, then offers them food as incentive. A close-up reveals the lizard elder's honest admission. He is hungry after the long battle. This ogres trail behind eagerly, someone declaring Mudrak will be bustling with activity today. Gazing upward through the haze, the elder squints, the thick fog obscures the path ahead. From above, the party treks toward Mudrak, the lizard tribe's hidden village in the swamp. Strange bone-like pillars frame the village entrance. Jihoon notes its eerie emptiness, wondering about celebrations. This fox girl glances back, suggesting they explore inside the deserted settlement together. This abandoned village stretches ahead. Someone questions whether entering without permission is wise. This group strides forward through the empty streets, determined to find the chief and negotiate. Leonard's expression tightens with doubt. Can they truly persuade a hostile tribe to cooperate? Rhea declares unwavering faith in Jihoon's promises while Leonard watches silently. Leonard's blunt question about her feelings makes Rhea blush and stammer a denial. A sudden noise interrupts them, and Jihoon, already ahead, confirms hearing it too. His profile sharpens with intense focus, analyzing the unfamiliar sound. Heavy, rhythmic thuds shake the ground, signaling an approaching presence. Jihoon narrows his eyes, tracing the sound's origin with certainty. He points upward, where a shadowy spear wielder descends from the haze. Leonard and Rhea scream his name, their voices laced with urgent warning. Jihoon's eyes widen as he finally spots the incoming threat. A blue-scaled lizardman warrior crashes down, spear thrusting toward Jihoon, who barely dodges. With Rieseldrake perched on his head, Jihoon gasps in recognition of the lizard tribe. This attacker growls, questioning their identity as soldiers with hostile intent. Leonard lunges forward, his blade intercepting the spear in a burst of purple energy. Rhea leaps into the fray, shouting for the lizardman to back away from Jihoon. Jihoon watches anxiously, calling out to Rhea to be careful as the clash intensifies. Leonard charges forward, his glowing purple blade deflecting a spear thrust. From above, the rabbit girl lunges, claws extended toward the blue lizard warrior. Mid-swing, her strike is parried, her determined face flashing in the chaos. A sharp command cuts through the air, Jihoon shouting for them to stop. This lizard warrior's yellow eye narrows, shocked at hearing his own language. A brutal impact, spear shaft connecting, sending the rabbit girl skidding back. Dust settles as the imposing lizardman stands between Leonard and the warrior. With a raised hand, Jihoon calmly states they are not here to fight. This blue lizardman turns, his gaze sweeping over the chained group behind him. Heavy chains clatter against the dusty ground, binding their wrists together. From a cliff edge, the lizardman declares them invaders, not guests. Jihoon stands bound but composed, a small red creature perched on his head. A close-up reveals his eye, the pupil glowing with a complex purple sigil. A system interface flashes, a B-rank soldier, level 32, far beyond their strength. Hearing the distant commotion, the lizardman notes the birthday party's excessive noise. This cavernous arena erupts as lizardman spectators roar from the cliffs above. Jihoon's eyes narrow, spotting a familiar knight battling in the arena below. This knight's star-emblazoned shield cracks under a brutal strike, blood splattering across the stone. Panic seizes the blonde knight as he flees, his armor stained with fresh wounds. Bloodied but unbowed, the knight swings his blade with desperate, fierce determination. A hulking lizardman warrior leaps, his polearm arcing down with lethal force toward the knight. Confusion flickers across Jihoon's face. Why does this knight's struggle feel so familiar? This lizardman roars in triumph, standing over the fallen knight as the crowd cheers. Above the arena, carved stone dragons loom as a voice announces the chief's birthday celebration. Kneeling before the chief, the victorious warrior is praised for his skill and strength. This red-scaled chief tears into raw meat, blood dripping as he savors the feast. With a blood-stained grin, the chief declares the next battle ready to begin. Behind iron bars, a captured lizardman warrior bellows a challenge to any who dare fight. Trembling in her cell, the female knight refuses to face the lizardman, her voice shaking. Guards drag captured intruders into the arena, presenting them to the chief for judgment. A lizardman guard blocks their path, spear raised, demanding they halt before the gated entrance. Chained and surrounded, Jihoon's party stands before the throne room where a massive red chief presides. A blue lizardman informs them Mudrak lies deep in the swamp, no visitors arrive by accident. This guard demands answers, questioning why this group dared trespass into lizard territory. Ji-hoon's interface reveals the soldiers' levels, 30-something with grades ranging from C to A, but the real shock is not the army, it is the figure seated upon that distant throne. His system identifies the chief as Lurak S rank level 36, far more powerful than anticipated. This red chief's golden eyes narrow as he demands they explain their intrusion into Mudrak. Ji-hoon hesitates, gathering his words before addressing the most dangerous lizard alive. Meeting the chief's gaze directly, Ji-hoon states plainly they came seeking the lizard tribe's strength. A close-up reveals the chief's expression shifting, amusement flickering behind those ancient eyes. Lurak throws his head back and erupts into thunderous, mocking laughter at their audacity. This blue guards join in, cackling at the sheer nerve of these chained intruders. Rhea bristles with fury, demanding what is so funny, but Leonard calmly restrains her anger. Leonard's calm voice cuts through. Negotiations have only just begun. He reminds the fuming fox girl. Sweat beads on Ji-hoon's face as he declares they are betting their lives on this. Chief Lurak leans forward, amused by the phrase needs strength, questioning if that is truly all. Ji-hoon's expression hardens with resolve, Riseldrake perched silently atop his head. A memory surfaces, young Ji-hoon cornered by bullies, learning weakness breeds eternal defeat. Chained fists clench as his game knowledge confirms the conditions for leading the lizard tribe. With sudden conviction, Ji-hoon shouts his demand for the entire tribe to follow him. This throne room falls silent, blood-stained stones stretching between the chained prisoners and their judge. This blue guard's spear trembles with rage, furious at this human's audacity toward their chief. This fox girl and rabbit girl exchange horrified glances, questioning what Ji-hoon's plan actually means. This guard demands immediate execution, screaming there is nothing left to hear from these intruders. Ji-hoon's gaze remains steady, his blue eye betraying no fear despite the death sentence. Chief Lurak's golden eye narrows, studying the chained human with ancient, calculating intensity. A commanding voice cuts through, the chief orders his guards to lower their spears. Lurak declares his word is absolute law, his strength the foundation of the tribe's unity. Ji-hoon poses the critical question, if his people chose to follow another, who would the chief bow to? This red chief's gaze sharpens, a dangerous glint in his golden eyes. A blue warrior lunges, spear aimed at Ji-hoon, fury in his roar. Ji-hoon utters a single name, his voice cutting through the chaos. Chief Lurak's expression shifts, a flicker of recognition in his stare. He clarifies the small creature's identity, Riseldrake perched calmly atop. A flashback reveals the tribe's sacred belief, they worship dragons as gods. This fox girl screams, pointing at the very being they revere. Mist swirls around an ancient gate, a dragon's visage carved above. This chief's mind races, connecting dots with dawning realization. Ji-hoon confirms it and the crowd erupts in stunned disbelief. From the cliffs, lizardmen shout in shock, legends walk among them. Rhea and the elder gape, processing the impossible truth before them. A memory flashes, a devastating beam of red energy obliterating all. This elder murmurs, dragons vanished centuries ago, mere myths now. But legends speak of winged behemoths capable of leveling villages with fire. This lizard elder voices his doubt, stating he cannot see how that small creature is a dragon. Chief Lurak falls into heavy silence, his clawed hand slowly rising to his chin in thought. A blue warrior explains their tribe worships dragons and follows their will as an absolute rule. From behind, Ji-hoon stands defiantly before the throne, the small red dragon perched on his head. This tribe's warriors erupt in fury, pointing their spears and screaming for the intruders' deaths. This blood-stained arena echoes with the guards' unified, murderous chant as they surround the chained party. A guard's spear presses against Ji-hoon's neck, demanding the chief's final judgment on their fate. Ji-hoon's sharp gaze challenges the chief, questioning if he truly cannot recognize a real dragon. He presses further, asking if the lizard chief is simply pretending to be ignorant of the truth. A close-up on Lurak's eye reveals a sudden, cunning spark as he declares he has an idea. This chief notes there are 4 prisoners, matching the number of Ji-hoon's chained and condemned group. Rhea's eyes widen in shock and anger at the mention of being labeled as condemned prisoners. With a sharp command, the fox-eared warrior orders the guards to bring the other prisoners out. From a dark cell, 4 battered captives are revealed, including the blonde knight Ji-hoon recognized earlier. Seated on his throne, Chief Lurak explains these prisoners recently stole treasures and murdered a young warrior. This red chief's golden eyes narrow, issuing a single brutal decree: fight. Heavy chains clatter as guards remove the shackles, freeing their hands for battle. Forced into the shallow arena, the captives hear the chief's cruel rule. A bloodied blonde knight collapses, tossed aside like refuse after a losing duel. Another prisoner splashes into the water below, the party watching in grim silence. Ji-hoon's green eyes narrow, analyzing the chief's power level with intense focus. This elf protests their fate, but Ji-hoon cuts him off with a sharp command. Turning his back on the chief, Ji-hoon walks forward with unwavering determination. Meeting Lurak's gaze, he vows to prove his worth through strength alone. This chief's reptilian face looms, his thoughts hinting at a dragon's true power. A system window flashes, dragon breath level 2 igniting within Ji-hoon's core. Weapons scatter across the stone floor, offered as tools for their survival. This knight confirms the deal, a chance to live if they emerge victorious. This blue-haired knight trembles, unable to bear the sight of suffering. Ji-hoon's gaze locks on her, recognizing the knight from a past encounter. This white-armored knight dismisses the group as weak, stepping forward to fight. This blonde knight smirks arrogantly, demanding an opponent and calling them savage beasts. This dark elf and Rhea bristle at the knight's insults, the elf vowing revenge. A blue lizardman warrior steps forward to face the arrogant blonde knight. This knight declares this a duel to the death, demanding translation. Ji-hoon explains the rules: one-on-one combat, victory means survival, someone must step up. Analyzing the prisoners, Ji-hoon notes 3 A-rank knights, but this one's only B-rank. Ji-hoon turns to Rain, asking if she wants to take him on. This rabbit girl stammers in shock, not expecting to be chosen for this. He tells her she has grown strong enough, urging her to trust herself. A flashback reveals Ji-hoon once bestowed power upon her, changing everything. Rain reflects on how that day fundamentally shifted who she had become. She questions how much longer she can remain just a porter, refusing to stay weak. Rain steels herself. If they must fight eventually, she will volunteer now. This chief orders only the 2 combatants to remain, everyone else out. Chief Lurek sits deep in thought, considering Jihoon's claim about the small dragon. From the sidelines, Jihoon watches the arena, deciding to let Rain gain combat experience. This blonde knight stares in disbelief, shocked that the rabbit girl is his opponent. Rain trembles with fear, her voice shaking as she confirms she must fight. This knight scoffs at his opponent, calling her the weakest race and a waste of honor. Chief Lurek gives the cold command, and the brutal arena battle officially begins. Blue lightning crackles around the knight's blade as he vows to end this in one strike. He unleashes a devastating thunder strike, a blur of electric blue energy rushing forward. Rain braces herself, her fists clenched as the powerful attack bears down on her. With a furious yell, the knight executes his super electric slash, a massive arc of power. A blinding flash of blue lightning erupts across the arena, shaking the very ground. From the sidelines, Jihoon and Rhea watch intently, calling out Rain's name. Jihoon reflects on how the old Rain would have been in mortal danger from that attack. But the current Rain is different, like Rhea, standing firm amidst the swirling dust and debris. Terrified and outmatched, Rain throws herself to the ground, screaming her surrender to the B-rank knight. This rabbit girl is blasted back, her new awakening skill highlighting her struggle against stronger foes. A furious knight channels blue energy into his sword, enraged at being humiliated. Close on her determined eyes, the rabbit girl focuses, ready to counter. This knight lunges, mocking her as just a rabbit, underestimating her completely. Her face freezes in shock as his attack bears down. In a calmer memory, Jihoon tells her she has grown strong enough to trust herself. She questions her own strength, realizing she always runs from challenges. A sepia memory shows her terrified, surrounded by the aftermath of violence. As the knight strikes again, she vows never to achieve anything if she keeps fleeing. His eyes burn with intensity, fully committed to the attack. A sudden fiery explosion erupts, surprising everyone with its sparks. Jihoon recognizes it. Rain has awakened a powerful new skill. This knight is engulfed in flames, his shock evident. Fiery eyes roar Bunny. As her power fully manifests, Rain unleashes Bunny Blaze, a tap igniting a devastating fire attack. A devastating blast erupts in the arena, sending a shockwave of dust and debris across the stone floor. Jihoon and his party stand frozen at the edge, their faces etched with shock at the sheer power unleashed. His contingency plan flashes back, intervene if things turn deadly and prove Rizzle's true nature. But he never anticipated Rain would actually win the duel on her own. This defeated opponent lies groaning in the settling dust, utterly broken by the assault. Flames still lick around Rain's feet as she stands victorious, her power visibly radiating. Staring at her own hands, the rabbit beastfolk questions if this incredible force is truly hers. A memory of the village chief's expectations surfaces, driving her to prove herself. Overjoyed, she throws her arms up in celebration as her friends cheer from the sidelines. A proud Jihoon gives her a thumbs up, beginning to acknowledge her newfound strength. He declares she might now be the strongest rabbit beastfolk in the entire world. Her status window confirms a leap to B-rank level 18 as she revels in the chief's acknowledgement. Leonard watches with a quiet smile, reflecting on how little formal training he actually provided. A sepia-toned memory shows a younger Leonard injured, being tended to by a determined Rain. Back in the present, Jihoon affirms Leonard's own power to strengthen others, solidifying their bond. This announcer's voice booms across the arena, declaring the rabbit beastfolk the winner. Bruised and defiant, the blonde knight snarls that he has not truly lost yet. Blood sprays across the stone as the remaining prisoners watch in grim silence. This blue-haired knight trembles, unable to contain herself any longer. A towering blue lizardman warrior demands the next human challenger step forward. Without hesitation, the female knight bolts past him into the arena. This lizardman's eyes widen in shock at her blinding speed. From the sidelines, Rhea and the elf marvel at her instantaneous leap. Jihoon's gaze sharpens, he recognizes that woman from a past encounter. A profile reveals her identity, Carl Hera, the beauty of Yellow Lightning, a rank. Cal Hera's composure cracks, overwhelmed by the suffering she has witnessed today. Her expression twists into something unsettling, craving the thrill of battle. Behind that calm exterior lies a predator who revels in domination. Her weapon locks onto a target as she calls out across the arena. Rizzle perches on Jihoon's head as Cal Hera demands to know if he leads this group. A blue-haired knight crackles with lightning, her sword drawn as she challenges Jihoon. This camera pulls back to reveal the canyon settlement and the blood-stained arena below. This white-haired fox girl narrows her eyes, questioning the strange woman's intense focus on Jihoon. Jihoon's eyes widen as he processes the challenge, Rizzle still perched on his head. His gaze hardens as he issues a direct challenge, inviting her into the arena. This narrator reveals her identity as Cal Hera, an upper echelon rank knight. A flashback reveals a warrior of immense power, shattering stone with a single blow. Another memory surfaces, dragon's breath at close range, an unstoppable force of annihilation. Jihoon's mind races, calculating his only path to victory, neutralizing her speed skill. He weighs the massive experience points against the risk, Rizzle's firepower his key advantage. Cal Hera smirks, accepting the 2-on-1 challenge as twice the entertainment. Turning to Belle, Jihoon requests to borrow her sword for the impending duel. With Rizzle perched on his head, Jihoon grips the sword, acknowledging the danger. A close-up reveals Rizzle's wide, determined eyes, ready to fight alongside her partner. Chief Lurek watches from his throne, his expression skeptical as he mutters about dragons. This elder recounts how dragons once saved their tribe and granted them sacred strength. A young lizard folk eagerly asks if he too can inherit that divine power someday. Mist swirls around an ancient gate, its arch carved with a dragon's solemn visage. Chief Lurek watches the arena, dismissing Jihoon's claim about the small dragon as absurd. Jihoon steps forward, declaring they must clarify one crucial thing before the battle begins. From the cliffs, lizardfolk warriors watch intently as Jihoon questions the rules about spectators. This red chief notes the arena's true scale, then coldly orders the brutal fight to start. A blue-haired knight ponders her attack, wondering whether to stab or slice her opponent. Her thoughts spiral into violent possibilities, gouging, carving, tearing her enemy limb from limb. A confident smirk plays on her lips as she finalizes her brutal combat strategy. She stands ready, her massive diamond-shaped sword gleaming as she commits to the duel. An elf observer frowns, noting her unusual grip and the strange range she has chosen. Her eyes glow with a heart-shaped pupil as she channels yellow lightning into her blade. This elf's eyes widen in disbelief, muttering that such impossible power should not exist. A thunderbolt spear erupts from her sword, slamming into the lizardfolk ranks with explosive force. This elf's eyes widen in shock at the incoming lightning-charged sword. Blue lizardmen gasp as the blade embeds itself in their shield. A sudden, urgent cry of Jihoon cuts through the tense air. Jihoon stands perfectly still as the yellow beam scorches past him. This elf and fox-eared woman stare, bewildered that he did not even flinch. A thin line of blood traces his cheek, but a confident smirk plays on his lips. This blue-haired attacker tilts her head, her crackling lightning reflecting in her eyes. Jihoon calmly explains he knew her attack was deliberately aimed to miss. His determined gaze holds steady, the cut on his face a silent testament. From the sidelines, a heavily armored knight observes the unfolding duel. This white and gold helmet belongs to Cal Hera, the 4th Division's vice-captain. A flashback reveals her cruel reputation, the seizure spectator who tortures with lightning. Jihoon listens, his expression hardening as he learns of her sadistic methods. A lizardman's shield cracks under the residual energy, a warning of her power. Cal Hera's smile widens, a new, cruel idea sparking behind her red eyes. Jihoon stands ready with Belle's borrowed blade, Rizzle hovering nearby as he declares he will swat that pesky bug first. Cal Hera's eye widens, registering his bold declaration with genuine surprise. A predatory smirk spreads across her face. She is pleased this challenger might actually entertain her. Yellow lightning erupts from her blade, striking Jihoon and sending his weapon flying from his grip. This force hurls him backward across the arena, Rizzle clinging desperately to his back. From the sidelines, the elf and fox girl note the lopsided matchup. Jihoon has 0 ranged options. He orders Rizzle to stick right behind him as Cal Hera's electrified blade curves back toward them. Yellow lightning trails paint the arena as Cal Hera circles at impossible speed, the observers noting Jihoon cannot match her. With a battle cry, Jihoon charges directly at the lightning knight, his only viable strategy. Cal Hera welcomes his approach with sadistic glee, promising to savor every twisted expression he makes. As Jihoon closes the distance, Cal Hera activates Yellow Current, her power surging around the massive blade. Lightning crackles across the entire arena floor, illuminating both fighters in its blinding yellow glow. Something unexpected happens. Jihoon's confident expression shifts to shock as Rizzle's eyes widen in alarm. A massive pillar of yellow lightning erupts, engulfing the arena in devastating electrical fury. Jihoon screams as the electricity tears through his body, his gamble seemingly backfiring catastrophically. From the sidelines, Rhea screams his name in terror as the lightning strikes. Yellow electricity courses through Jihoon's body, his muscles seizing in agony. His scream echoes across the arena as the voltage intensifies beyond endurance. Cal Hera's eyes gleam with sadistic delight, demanding he show her more suffering. This electric ring devours magic power relentlessly. She will push him to collapse before stopping. Lightning engulfs the entire arena, and what comes next promises even greater torment. Through gritted teeth, Jihoon counts each second, refusing to surrender to the pain. She taunts him about his blood vessels rupturing, asking if the agony thrills him. Rizzle watches in shock. He has somehow survived 10 full seconds of this torture. A defiant grin spreads across his face despite the searing pain consuming him. His mind races through calculations, her level caps at 29, magic at 1500, but the shift drains 400 per second. Each electric cloud costs another 100 MP, dropping his reserves to 900 remaining. This ring continues draining 50 MP every second. He needs 11 more seconds to break free. His current shift becomes unavailable, leaving him vulnerable to her next assault. Cal Hera's expression darkens at his defiance, her patience wearing thin. Jihoon's body convulses as Cal Hera's words about pain echo in his mind. With Rizzle still perched on his head, he leaps forward into the fray. A system window flashes. Rizzle's magic immunity negates attacks from inferior ranks. Cal Hera's eyes widen in shock as the small dragon prepares its attack. Rizzle unleashes Dragon's Breath, a massive beam of red energy engulfing the arena. This errant knight is caught in the blast, her body racked with searing pain. Through the agony, she screams her utter despisal for this overwhelming power. This devastating beam carves a massive trench across the stone arena floor. Chief Lurak watches, stunned, recognizing the legendary power from ancient stories. An elder recounts how the dragon tribe once rescued their people long ago. They bestowed their sacred strength upon the lizard folk, a gift for the future. This elder declares young Rilak will one day wield that same divine power. This dragon's breath attack leaves a colossal, smoking crater in its wake. Stunned lizardfolk warriors stare at the sheer scale of the destruction. Jihoon sits amidst the smoke, Rizzle nearby as Chief Lurak silently observes. From the cliffs, a lizardfolk warrior watches the arena, pondering if the small one could truly wield such power. Jihoon tells the elf that Chief Lurak must have sensed it by now, the only one here capable of dragon's breath. A tight shot reveals Chief Lurak's red-scaled face, his expression grim as the accusation lands. Standing before the lizardfolk chief, Jihoon declares he will make everyone see clearly who they are truly meant to serve. A skill window flashes, Dragon's Breath LV2, as Jihoon's voice cuts off, building to the revelation. Dark clouds suddenly swirl above the arena, casting an ominous shadow over the entire canyon settlement. With a steady gaze, Jihoon speaks the name aloud, Rizeldrake, revealing the dragon's true identity. A massive reptilian eye snaps open, its red iris burning with ancient awakened power. A colossal pillar of crimson energy erupts skyward, the mature form, declaration signaling a terrifying transformation. In the village below, lizardfolk elders and villagers stare up at the red beam splitting the heavens. An elder's voice trembles with awe, declaring the ancient legend has finally awakened before their eyes. Chaos erupts as red energy and smoke billow outward, obscuring the arena in a violent, swirling storm. This blue-scaled lizardfolk warriors roar in unison, their cries mixing with the howling energy storm. A knight and two beastfolk companions shield themselves from the shockwave, their faces frozen in stunned disbelief. Chief Lurak's eyes widen in pure shock, his pupils now slitted and yellow as the truth is undeniable. This colossal red dragon roars, its power shaking the very foundations of the arena. Jihoon, battered but resolute, reveals the dragon's true name, Reincarnation, the boss of Wave 99. A close-up of the dragon's furious face, its eyes burning with ancient, awakened intelligence. Chief Lurak stares, speechless, having witnessed the legendary power with his own eyes. This dragon looms over the kneeling chief, the living embodiment of their bloodline's carved legend. Chief Lurak kneels, his posture one of complete submission before the true dragon. Jihoon watches the scene unfold, his expression hardening as the political shift begins. This lizardfolk chief formally pledges his loyalty to Reincarnation as the new lord of his people. This blue-scaled warriors kneel in unison, their spears grounded in a wave of submission. This dragon's massive tail sweeps across the sky, a final display of overwhelming dominance. This elf observer stands beside Jihoon, stunned that he has truly united the lizard tribe. A system notification flashes for Jihoon, an insane offense-level achievement finally completed. A crowned king on his throne declares they now stand on equal ground with this new power. This elf struggles to stand, noting that a single flap of the dragon's wings creates a gale. Reincarnation takes flight, the legend having fully become a terrifying reality before them all. Standing tall amid the settling smoke, Jihoon declares that everything changes from this moment forward. Behind him, Reincarnation's colossal form spreads its wings, ready to forge an entirely new legend. Smoke drifts across the silent arena as stunned lizardfolk witnesses process the sheer devastation before them. A shrill cry pierces the air as tiny Rizzle plummets from the sky toward Jihoon. His hands shoot up instinctively, catching the exhausted dragon mid-fall before she hits the ground. Jihoon crashes backward onto the arena floor, Rizzle plastered across his face in a dusty heap. Cradling the small dragon gently, he praises her for unleashing both dragon's breath and that mature form. His smile falters as he recalls the fine print that transformation lasted only a disappointingly brief duration. A system notification flashes, granting him 256 experience points and pushing his total well past the threshold. This quest completion screen blazes red before him. Main Quest 3, Expand Monster Forces cleared. This reward prompt offers a random grade stone with options to claim now or save it for later. As the smoke clears, Jihoon sits battered but alive, Rizzle cradled in his arms. In his palm rests a dark stone marked A, capable of upgrading in a rank to S rank. A red system window materializes behind him, its ominous glow casting shadows across his back. This message reveals his existence is now determined by his progress, leaving Jihoon questioning what that means. Dark screens declare him a third being, one who hears the dead and manifests their power. This revelation lands his new class as Soulbender, a title he repeats with quiet disbelief. His updated stats flash across the screen: S rank level 10 with magic attack reaching 100. This scene shifts to an aerial view of the lizardfolk settlement, torches flickering below. Blue-scaled warriors gather in the village square, their ceremonial structures rising against the canyon walls. Chief Lurak spreads his arms wide, welcoming them as honored guests to feast without restraint. A younger Jihoon devours meat with reckless joy, green sauce smeared across his grateful face. His companions watch in stunned silence, questioning when exactly he started eating with such enthusiasm. This cat-tiered woman and elf admit it has been ages since they have tasted meat this good. All three companions sprint toward the feast, unable to resist the chief's generous hospitality. Mist rolls through the canyon as the settlement glows warmly against the towering rock formations. Scattered bones and fish skeletons litter the ground as a satisfied voice declares fullness. A blonde woman asks about Rizzle's whereabouts while the green-marked man points toward the temple. Confusion crosses his face as he repeats the word, uncertain what she means. Green pointed ears twitch in the distance, hinting at Rizzle's unusual location above. His eyes widen in shock. Rizzle's been up there since earlier without anyone noticing. An orange creature lounges on a cushion while lizardfolk worship it as a mighty dragon. This green-marked man jokes with companions about being mere honored guests compared to Rizzle. Lizardfolk celebrate at the temple below as Jihoon declares Rizzle and he are one. A fox-eared woman curls up to rest, sensing complications ahead as tomorrow grows busier. This village chief warns of unseen watchers, sending nervous shivers through the group. A bloodied knight gasps in agony, armor stained with fresh wounds from battle. Stumbling forward through the darkness, the wounded knight struggles to report what he witnessed. Guards on the castle wall spot something moving in the distance below. A knight races toward the gates, urgently reporting that a legendary figure is gathering monsters. This injured knight's face twists in pain, blood streaming as he pushes forward desperately. This wounded knight pushes onward, desperate to deliver his urgent report. High on the castle wall, a guard with a torch spots something. Racing toward the gates, he shouts about the legendary knight gathering monsters. A new chapter opens, survivors gaze at a wrecked raft on the shore. Chained prisoners trudge through town, one begging for water as guards sneer. Exhaustion and scars etch the face of a man who has endured hell. A wanted poster of Jihoon halts him, recognition dawns with a silent gasp. From the castle towers, a brutal command echoes, hang them all. Kneeling prisoners plead for mercy in the throne room, but the guard scoffs. Two figures enter through the grand doors, their presence commanding attention. A woman questions Lord Acker, noting his ties to Rockhand's forces. Asked why he is alone, the survivor stammers about a mountain massacre. Pressed for who attacked, he recalls barely escaping an indescribable assault. Terror grips him as he describes the flying creature summoned by the knight. This king's fury boils over, his forces were annihilated by that monster. This wounded knight confesses he hid until they slept, overhearing crucial talk about the legendary knight. A flashback reveals him spying on figures in the forest, learning of monster gathering. This kingdom stretches below as word spreads of an impending attack on the realm. Officials react with alarm. The legendary knight is alive and uniting monsters, a full crisis. In the throne room, prisoners kneel as the king demands to know the knight's location. One prisoner stammers out a laid, claiming the legendary knight was heading toward the fox den. A crowned figure leans forward, demanding to know what was just said. This prisoner's face trembles, sweat dripping as he struggles to speak. Desperation breaks through fear as the chained prisoner shouts he knows their hideout. This bearded king sits in heavy silence, processing this critical intelligence. He orders every elite knight gathered immediately, shocking the official with the scale. This king declares a subjugation force centered on the elite knights will be formed. Guards scramble to deliver his majesty's orders throughout the castle halls. This prisoner's expression darkens, a sinister smile forming as he mentions his brother's killer. Under open skies, a warning echoes, stay alert for the storm ahead. On the castle wall, a knight warns that the next attack could come at any moment. Sir Ares receives the royal decree with a grim, determined expression. Nearby, Sir Euros demonstrates his raw strength by hoisting a massive boulder overhead. A blonde female knight kneels with children, bracing for another summons to battle. In the palace, Bianchi is interrupted from painting by news of the royal summons. Her brush pauses mid-stroke, reluctance evident in every hesitant moment. A knight demands Lord Cancer's immediate presence, but the maid resists until someone grants entry. This doors swing open, flooding the chamber with blinding light as Lord Cancer arrives. A nervous man begins explaining the situation, only to be cut off mid-sentence. A white-haired woman grins knowingly, sensing something entertaining has just unfolded. From above, Jihoon announces his departure from Mudrak, instructing his companions to negotiate with the chief. Rain, a rabbit-eared girl, splashes through the water, insisting she will join him. When questioned about her motives, Rain claims the humidity is oppressive and she needs open air. Rhea, a fox-eared woman, volunteers to accompany him instead. Jihoon thanks her, then Rhea notices his unfamiliar gear, salvaged from the last battle. Through the dusty settlement, Jihoon compliments Rhea's new look, leaving her flustered and surprised. Their casual stroll cuts short as guards bark orders, herding prisoners through the empty streets. Spotting the village prison, Jihoon questions Derek about the sudden incarceration, sensing something amiss. Praising the guard's work, Jihoon suddenly worries if he revealed his identity too loudly. A desperate prisoner pleads for a restroom break, forcing Jihoon to make a risky decision. He volunteers to escort her personally, adding a crude precaution about monitoring her movements. Checking on the other captives, Jihoon notes the defeated warrior still breathing despite her loss. With a casual shrug, he dismisses the awkwardness, insisting basic needs matter even for enemies. This settlement offers no proper facilities, so Jihoon directs her to an open area instead. Standing awkwardly between Rhea and the armored knight, Jihoon senses an uncomfortable tension rising. He turns to address Rhea directly, his tone shifting to something more serious. Rhea confronts him about staring, her face flushing as Jihoon admits the embarrassment of being watched. This knight interrupts, promising not to flee and begging them both to look away. A blue-scaled warrior greets Jihoon warmly, then questions whether showing mercy to prisoners is wise. Jihoon explains his strategy. Kindness lowers their guard, making them easier to control. Jihoon reveals his true motive. Those noble-born knights are worth more alive as leverage. Rhea bursts out laughing, teasing him about hiding feelings behind cold calculation. A scaled tail coils behind the tree, the prisoner stammering denials mid-sentence. A metallic crash echoes through the corridor, helmet scattering as both freeze in place. His pupils dilate, shock registering before his brain catches up to what just happened. Pink hair spills from a dented helm, a snake coiled around her shoulder as armor clatters. Rhea pieces it together, voice modulators and cross-dressing, the perfect disguise for a commoner infiltrating noble ranks. Rain bounces beside Lord Bell, teasing him about his sudden concern for Doom's crew. His cheeks flush as he admits he gave his word to see them safely to the coast. His emerald eyes narrow, catching movement in the fog-shrouded distance. A hooded silhouette materializes from the mist, and Lord Bell's hand drifts toward his blade. Voices echo through Lurak's chambers, demanding answers about the atrocities committed against their people. Rizzle sleeps undisturbed while someone invokes the dragon's authority to justify their hesitation. Chief Lurak's massive form looms over Jihoon, recounting how humans slaughtered their young and ransacked their lands. Jihoon's voice cracks with frustration, challenging the chief's reluctance to take action against those who wronged them. This red lizardfolk chief clutches his face in agony, denying something with a pained shout. Confronted by Jihoon and Rhea, the chief demands to know who enters his chambers. A voice from outside the settlement walls stammers in shock, ordering an immediate halt. Jihoon's eyes narrow, deducing the only logical reason for the lizardfolk's sudden delay. An elderly lizardfolk with a cane appears, stating his tribe has never left Mudrak. This chief's eyes widen in fury, demanding to know why his predecessor has returned. Rhea observes the familiarity between them as the elder is revealed to be the former chief. Jihoon's suspicion is confirmed. His scan showed only 2 S ranks among the entire lizardfolk tribe. This chief explains their ritual combat tradition, where the loser is exiled, then questions the return. A sinister grin spreads across the elder's face as he declares his intent to challenge. Jihoon reacts with stunned disbelief at how abruptly the leadership challenge has been declared. This group watches from the arena's edge as the 2 S ranks prepare to settle it. A calculating smile touches Jihoon's lips, seeing this unexpected duel as a perfect chance. This chief grips his trident, declaring mercy extinct for those who abandon tribal pride. A close-up reveals his eyes blazing with an unnatural green light, signaling a terrifying transformation. A colossal red dragon erupts with ancient power as Jihoon stands before its terrifying form. That glowing green eye promises to reveal the strength of one adapted to this ancient world. This red-scaled elder explains chieftain duels demand exile for losers, then questions why he returned. Grinning with sharp teeth, the brown-scaled challenger declares he will fight for the chief's position this time. Jihoon's jaw drops in disbelief. This challenge came completely out of nowhere. This arena fills with fighters as the duel gets decided without ceremony. A smirk crosses his face. This is his chance to witness the lizard folk's true combat power. An emergency quest flashes overhead as Jihoon spots robed lizard folk gathering nearby. A priest in white robes takes position at the arena's edge, beginning his count. More robed figures surround the arena, chanting as a magical barrier rises around them. Jihoon protests this barrier was not part of his duel, but the priest explains the stakes. Without the seal, the entire village could be destroyed by the chief's unleashed power. Understanding dawns on Jihoon's face as the elf's earlier words click into place. A flashback reveals the truth, only Chief Lurek wields dragon's breath among them. After the Kalhara duel, 2 new members officially joined his party roster. Rainak, the elder lizard folk, stands apart, not yet sworn to the Warren faction. A system screen flashes, revealing an S-rank monster card. Jihoon can earn experience from Lurek's battle. This red, trident-wielding creature confronts Jihoon, shaming him for his perceived failure. With a cold declaration, the creature states mercy is for those who know their place, hinting at a primordial mutation. A pair of glowing green eyes burn with intense, predatory focus. This red creature roars, its form engulfed in green energy as it towers over Jihoon. A single, luminous green eye fills the frame, showcasing the strength of perfect adaptation. A shimmering blue hexagonal barrier encases the arena, trapping the transformed creature within as onlookers watch. Jihoon recognizes the barrier, noting it even contains the smoke from the transformation. A character observes the transformation's intensity far surpasses a typical beastfolk awakening as a green eye slits. Sweat beads on Jihoon's face, his expression tight with growing concern. 2 massive creatures, one red and one tan, clash violently amidst swirling smoke. A powerful clawed red foot steps forward with menacing purpose. This red beast charges, chasing a smaller figure across the smoky arena. A close-up reveals the creature's roaring maw, its fangs bared in a furious snarl. This tan lizardfolk braces as the red dragon descends with glowing eyes. Rainak roars defiantly, jaws wide against the overwhelming crimson beast. A red blur rockets toward his face, impact imminent. This force sends him crashing into the hexagonal barrier, scales scraping against magic. Lurek pins him against the wall, towering above with predatory dominance. 2 eyes lock, one green with fury, one burning gold with ancient power. A devastating kick connects, the red beast's physical might on full display. Rainak hits the ground hard, Lurek standing triumphantly over his broken form. Jihoon's eyes widen in shock, he is completely overwhelmed. This system reveals the truth. Lurek's level and raw strength dominate completely. But Jihoon's scanning eye catches something, a single stat where Rainak leads. Green lightning erupts from Rainak's claw, magic attack power surges through him. This barrier shudders as raw magical energy explodes outward in blinding waves. Yellow lightning engulfs the arena, drowning everything in searing light. Through the fading smoke, Lurek's silhouette remains standing, unbroken, trident in hand. This elder's weathered face registers shock, acknowledging Lurek's growth since their last encounter. Chief Lurek's transformed visage remains unreadable, his silence speaking volumes. This elder recounts his exile and first journey beyond the swamp's boundaries. His flashback reveals the harsh reality of the outside world, the sun's unforgiving heat. This exposure left him diminished, his senses dulled by the harsh conditions. Jihoon grasps the critical weakness. Even united, they'd weaken outside their homeland. This elder counters that adaptation is possible, questioning why Lurek resists leaving their home. Lurek reveals Jihoon's warnings about external threats, yet worries not all can survive the transition. As chieftain, he bears the weight of his people's survival and cannot risk their lives. This arena falls silent as both warriors face an uncertain future. Lurek's conviction deepens. The dragon's gift was meant for something greater than mere survival. Ancient memories surface of the dragon's salvation and the power they bestowed. A young voice suggests it is their turn to repay that debt by protecting others. This red chieftain's authority is absolute. He demands strength as proof of worth. This elder's knowing gaze reveals he anticipated this very challenge. This 2 colossal lizardfolk clash within the arena, their weapons meeting in a violent explosion of red energy. A close-up reveals Chief Lurek's determined eye, his focus absolute as the duel intensifies. This elder challenger opens his maw, a sphere of concentrated purple energy crackling between his fangs. A devastating beam of red and purple energy fires downward, tearing through the arena floor. Jihoon and Rhea shout in alarm, the sheer force of the blast washing over them. A streak of crimson light slashes across the frame, moving too fast to track. A colossal explosion of pink and red energy erupts, engulfing the entire combat zone. This shockwave expands outward, the sound of destruction echoing through the barrier. A swirling red orb of power hangs in the air as Rhea notes the fighters are perfectly matched. Chief Lurek roars, flanked by 2 smaller lizardfolk as the concentrated power becomes unstable. This violent red energy continues to churn, threatening to break its confines. This energy sphere reaches critical mass, a blinding light signaling an imminent catastrophic explosion. Outside the arena, the ground trembles violently, prompting cries of an earthquake from the onlookers. Rain and the elf Lord Bell feel the arena shaking, their faces filled with concern for Jihoon. Lord Bell suddenly dashes into the forest, ordering Rain to protect Doom's crew as he leaves. This hexagonal barrier cracks under immense pressure, its shockwaves nearly shattering the entire structure. Amid the settling dust, a wolf-eared companion and Jihoon stare in shock, demanding to know who emerged victorious. A sharp-eyed close-up confirms the victor's identity as Lurek, the true chieftain of the lizard tribe. From the swirling smoke, a monstrous voice declares its absolute refusal to accept even a single defeat. This triumphant red chieftain stands over his fallen rival, trident in hand, demanding any final words. This defeated elder, Rainak, speaks of his tribe's inherent strength and his unwavering belief in their ability to adapt. A piercing yellow eye narrows as the victor questions if becoming chief was ever truly his rival's desire. This fallen elder reflects on the tragedies he witnessed outside their settlement, his voice heavy with memory. A sweeping view of Mudrak Canyon settlement is shown, accompanied by a solemn prayer that such devastation never reaches their home. Text boxes reveal Jihoon's strategic insight, connecting the rat tribe's lessons to the lizard tribe's destined attack on the kingdom in the 30s wave. A trident slams into the cracked earth, the impact underscoring the success of Rainak's persuasive argument. This victorious chief orders his healers to treat the wounded elder. As a narrator notes, one crucial element of the story has changed. Jihoon smirks beside a confused Rhea, explaining his satisfaction comes from knowing he is the next pivotal piece in the accelerated storyline. Standing before an ominous red portal, Jihoon looks ahead with determination, asking if this signals the start of his next main quest. A stark red emergency alert flashes across the screen, announcing a critical new quest in bold, urgent text. His eye snaps wide. The emergency quest reveals an incoming army of 500 knights led by S-rank captains. This crimson notification demands he defend Warren within 24 hours or lose everything. An elf sprints across the courtyard, shouting Jihoon's name with desperate urgency. Lord Bell's ears prick forward, sensing something terribly wrong unfolding behind them. Jihoon's face drains of color as he realizes Warren faces imminent destruction. Castle gates grind open under blue skies, revealing the approaching threat on the horizon. Thousands of armored soldiers march eastward in perfect formation toward their target. A muscular commander in crimson cape surveys the battlefield from the castle wall. His jaw tightens. This warrior knows exactly what is about to unfold. Inside the throne room, a voice calls roll on His Majesty's behalf for 6 elite knights. Ares, 1st Division Hamel Knights commander, snaps to attention with fist pressed to chest. Euros, the bearded 2nd Division Aldebaran commander, greets His Majesty with formal precision. Bianca and Cancer stand together, the silver-haired artist still sketching while her companion waits. Ribbon Acker, the blonde and blue-haired commanders, take their positions in the assembly. This king places Euros in command of the subjugation force targeting the legendary knight rallying monsters. A commander in white armor receives the king's order to leave only a minimal defense force. This king declares the subjugation force's objective is total annihilation of their enemies. From the castle wall, a red-caped figure watches the massive army march out in formation. A pink-haired woman with an umbrella complains about the dirt, joined by a blue-haired sniper. She questions if his northern subordinates also lost contact, dismissing his concern with a casual "so what?" Her teasing tone makes the white-haired man sweat, asking what is with that look. She grins, asking if he is worried about her, but he clarifies he is concerned for her missing team. Her expression drops at his denial, saying never mind then with clear disappointment. She declares the place boring, prompting him to tell her to leave and stop draining his energy. A subordinate finds Lord Cancer, asking if her schedule remains unchanged since she is not joining the fight. She recalls her packed evening of performances and signings, then urgently asks for the current time. This blue-haired sniper questions his eagerness to fight, asking if it is for personal enjoyment. He stares back, asking if she's calling him a warmonger for his dedication. He explains his desire to contribute to the king's dream by sweeping away all monsters quickly. She notes he thinks differently from Arkin, which he dismisses as sharing thoughts with an insane cultist. A silver-haired figure reflects on a past existence between human and monster. A young boy points excitedly, spotting an impossible star in the daytime sky. A sharp green eye narrows, noticing the celestial anomaly the boy has found. 2 brilliant stars now shine together, signaling a new binary star has risen. Panic erupts as news of a human attack spreads, forcing a desperate race to Warren. Jihoon and the fox-eared ally realize they must reach Warren within 24 hours. He orders his 2 companions to sprint ahead, promising to contact them with next steps. Remembering something, Jihoon produces 2 enhancement stones, one previously given to Rain. He tosses a B-rank stone to the red beastfolk, commanding him to use it now. A blinding flash envelops the beastfolk, his power concentration fundamentally shifting. This fox ally successfully ranks up to a rank, feeling the strange new power within. Jihoon considers an ultra-rare rank stone, knowing S-rank knights are an inevitable threat. A profile reveals Libra Rib, a speed-type S-rank monster needed for the coming fight. With the rank stone in hand, he silently pleads for the upgrade to succeed. Leaving his party to follow, Jihoon dashes ahead toward the looming tower alone. A system screen flashes, revealing Jihoon's party composition grants a massive monster attack bonus. Chief Lurak turns to Jihoon, his deep voice asking if humans are launching an attack. Jihoon's mind races, realizing Warren's growing alliance of beastfolk could soon become a critical threat. With sudden resolve, the Red Chieftain declares he will personally lead the warriors out. Lurak grips his trident, ordering his forces to gather for their first war beyond Mudrak. A relieved smile crosses Jihoon's face as he calls out the chief's name. A blue-scaled healer urgently warns Lurak that leaving now in his injured state is far too dangerous. But the chieftain's decision is final and he doubles over, coughing up blood. Healers rush to his side, reminding him he took Dragon's Breath head-on and needs proper rest. A brown-scaled warrior, Derek, steps forward, offering to lead the warriors in Lurak's stead. Jihoon's eyes glow purple as he scans the volunteer, his system revealing the warrior's true strength. This scan confirms Derek is a high-level rank, the strongest warrior aside from the 2 chiefs. Lurak gives his approval, trusting Derek is more than qualified to take his place. This red chieftain looks at his subordinate, a bloody but determined expression on his face. With a final solemn call, Lurak formally entrusts the coming battle to Derek. A close-up reveals a lizard folk's intense yellow eye, delivering a final, grim warning. Over a sweeping landscape, a voice vows to never submit to the environment. In the misty forest, a rabbit-eared ally spots a distant figure and calls out. Jihoon turns as Rain runs toward him, asking what happened with Belle and Rhea. He hesitates, unsure how to explain the sudden mobilization of the lizardfolk army. Her eyes widen in shock, demanding to know why the lizardfolk are here. A massive column of armed lizardfolk marches past, led by Derek toward Warren. Rain questions Jihoon about Doom's crew, her voice filled with concern. He assures her the lizardfolk will handle them, his focus already on the next move. A large wolf-eared beastfolk offers his back, promising maximum speed for the journey. Another lizardfolk warrior gestures for Rain to join, surprising her completely. This scene shifts to a serene, sunlit clearing, a moment of calm before the storm. A massive, clawed blue foot steps firmly onto the sun-baked earth. This foot glows with crackling blue energy, steam rising from the heated ground. 2 imposing blue lizardfolk stand ready, their scales shimmering as they prepare for battle. 2 blue-scaled lizardfolk gaze upward, their expressions tense with anticipation. A commanding voice orders all forces to mobilize for the coming march. A heavy clawed foot stamps down, kicking up dust as the army begins to move. With a final war cry, Derek leads the Mudrak warriors charging into the fray. Jihoon smirks, noting the 50 elite rank warriors represent quality over quantity. An aerial view shows the lizardfolk army streaming across the plains, others racing to catch up. This massive human army approaches the coastal city of Warren, their banners declaring, "We are coming." A hand draws a sharp black nail formed from pure shadow. This silver-haired knight, Bianca, activates her shadow nail skill with a focused gesture. This skill's description reveals it pins a location via shadow, allowing instant return later. Bianca explains that shadows persist as long as there is light. Turning to Ryan, a blonde knight approaches, asking if Bianca is setting a strategic waypoint in the forest. Their shadows stretch long on the ground as the shadow nail is driven into the earth. This pinned shadow begins to warp and twist into a monstrous, unfamiliar silhouette. A sweating Bianca urgently warns Rib to back up, fearing her ability's unpredictable side effects. This blonde knight asks if they have gone far enough, and the white-haired scout confirms. Noticing their distance from the main force, she worries about falling behind the vanguard. Heavy paws press into the grass, the sound of something large approaching. Commander Euros falls silent, his eyes narrowing as he senses a disturbance. He raises his hammer, ordering the entire march to halt immediately. Confused, the two companions ask what is happening, and the scout detects movement in the forest. Euros wonders if enemies were hiding, waiting for nightfall, but concludes it is more instinct than strategy. From below, a lone wolf silhouette watches from the cliff's edge, overlooking the army. A close-up of Euros' eye reveals his grim realization of the threat. A massive dire wolf with glowing red eyes emerges from the tree line, growling. This army marches forward into the narrow canyon, unaware of the danger above. Soldiers look up in alarm as dozens of wolves appear along the cliff's rim. Panic spreads through the ranks as they recognize the creatures as dire wolves. A scout reports over 1,000 wolves to Euros, who vows to annihilate them before the kingdom. Officers shout orders, organizing the units into defensive formations to face the attack. A commander's order rings out, and the shield bearers advance in a disciplined, impenetrable line. This silver-haired strategist questions the need to provoke a fight, noting the enemy's unready posture. Two warriors debate tactics, with the blonde one insisting the monsters already anticipate their defensive plans. Atop a cliff, the wolf chief sees this as their moment to strike at humanity's throat. With a guttural roar, the white wolf leader commands his entire pack to charge into battle. A dark, overwhelming horde of beasts surges forward, a living wave crashing toward the human line. This bearded commander bellows a warning, bracing his men for the imminent, violent collision. Giant wolves leap through the air, their claws outstretched toward the waiting wall of shields. This initial impact is a chaotic storm of force as shields meet fangs in a brutal clash. Under immense pressure, a soldier's shield is driven deep into the cracking earth. Through the dust, the commander roars encouragement, declaring that holding their ground is its own strength. This white wolf leader adapts instantly, ordering his pack to leap over the stubborn human formation. A wave of dark shapes soars over the shield wall, bypassing the primary defense entirely. Spotting the breach, the commander seizes the moment, yelling for his spearmen to counterattack. A forest of spears thrusts upward, meeting the descending wolves in a desperate defensive strike. A chaotic storm of red wolf silhouettes surges forward in a brutal, stylized clash. A fierce command to annihilate the enemy rings out as a dark slash tears across the field. This walled city of Warren sits quietly under a sunset sky, unaware of the approaching storm. A golden-clad figure yawns, bored by the stillness as the sun dips lower. A lone sentinel on the battlements wonders aloud if the expected attack will come today. The scene shifts to a dense forest bathed in the warm, fading light of dusk. A bloodied sword is driven deep into the earth, marking a violent end. This mortally wounded white wolf whispers a final, cryptic warning to its killer. This blonde knight stares down, confused by the creature's words but sensing a deeper truth. With its last breath, the wolf notes the shared color of their blood, a grim equalizer. This silver-haired knight recoils, covering his nose at the overwhelming stench of death. He laments the inherent filth of war, his voice weary as he longs for home. This bearded commander coolly reports the battle's cost and orders the advance to continue. A bound prisoner is forced to keep guiding the armored figures through the blood-stained path. This guide smirks to himself, realizing the kingdom knights operate on a completely different level. This human army marches deeper into the canyon under a fiery sunset, awaiting a legendary night. From a forest path, a voice calls out, desperately searching for Ria's current location. Ria and her companion freeze, having clearly heard Jihoon's voice echoing through the trees. Jihoon, looking at his system interface, decides group messaging would be more efficient for coordination. A finger taps a glowing button on a screen, activating a new communication feature. This rabbit-eared ally gasps as the village chief's voice suddenly booms inside everyone's head. Ria and the elf are stunned, questioning if Jihoon can also use telepathy as he begins explaining the plan. Sunlight breaks over a vast, rocky canyon, marking a shift in the scene's location. A line of blue slimes diligently carries logs toward a cave entrance, following an order to move them. This minotaur Tor turns in surprise as Ria and the others run toward him through the forest. An army officer points toward a distant mountain, reporting a hidden village and estimating a 2-hour march. This bearded commander issues a stern order, directing his troops to form an advance party. From above, the army splits and spreads wide, vowing to surround the mountain and allow no escapes. A glowing red system alert announces a defense quest for Warren, offering a random S-rank item as reward. Riding atop a beastfolk, Jihoon notes the enemy's slowed march, calculating it will take half a day to reach Warren. Jihoon's mind races, urging Ria and Belle to succeed in their unseen mission. This rocky canyon looms as someone questions the village chief's daring plan. Lord Tor turns as a scout warns that enemies are closing in from all sides. His eyes widen in alarm at the news of an encircling threat. Rain's ears flatten, realizing their time has completely run out. A system countdown flashes red, initiating a critical timed event. This human army halts before a cave that appears larger than before. Officers confirm the hidden village lies within, its tunnels now more heavily trapped. A metallic hand retrieves a card marked with lightning and bull symbols. This commander grimaces, recognizing the card's ominous significance for the assault. He orders Rib to lead 50 juvenile knights into the cave first. His companion questions the small number, but he explains it as a calculated scouting move. This advanced team enters the darkness, hoping to wipe out the monsters inside. A hand rests on Rib's shoulder, wishing her luck before the mission. This gesture lingers, a silent moment of connection before the battle. This blonde captain orders the bandit to lead the way, her tone sharp and commanding. Inside the dark cave, a nervous voice warns everyone to watch their step near the water. This group advances, searching for a discolored section of ground that seems to have vanished. A foot steps forward confidently, the speaker insisting the traps cannot simply be gone. This ground gives way, plunging soldiers into a deep pit lined with deadly spikes below. As they fall, the captain calls out to her subordinate, Shamari, who responds midair. Shamari activates her magic, driving her sword down to cast Stone Earth Shift. This cave floor rumbles violently, the spikes and pit transforming under her Earth Tomb spell. With the path stabilized, the captain orders her forces to keep moving forward. This bandit guide stares in disbelief, marveling at how easily the traps disappeared. His shock turns to panic as he sees new traps forming that were not there before. Dark, shadowy shapes rush toward the group, prompting Shamari to leap into action. A massive stone hand erupts from the cave wall, blocking the soldier's path entirely. This bandit stands frozen, eyes wide with shock as dust and debris swirl around him. Reaching a fork with 5 tunnels instead of 3, the captain decides the change does not matter now. A piercing light cuts through the darkness, guiding them toward the cave's hidden exit. Multiple tunnels branch ahead, but only one glows with that same beckoning light. This canyon opens up to brilliant blue sky and towering red rock formations. Rib's expression hardens as she scans the terrain, her red hair clip catching the sunlight. This village sits eerily silent, no movement, no sound, just empty huts waiting. Cracks spiderweb across the ground and someone spots movement near the cave entrance. Rib orders confirmation while the brown-haired knight's face drains of color. A blue-caped figure drives a staff into the earth and unleashes a flame burst. Fire erupts from every crack, consuming the entire field in an inferno. Smoke and embers spiral upward as flames lick the canyon walls. This fire dies with nothing to show for it. Rib orders the village searched. A sword gleams as a voice demands they earn their keep. 2 knights approach the village, one remarking how long it has been since they left the castle together. A brown-haired girl teases Rib about becoming captain, though Rib claims not to remember. A knight steps into a wooden structure as the girl recalls their childhood cave exploration and Rib's tears. A knight in full plate enters the wooden structure, hearing taunts about a swollen face and Shamari's fearful cries. Inside the empty building, the armored soldier finds nothing but dust and abandoned supplies. This blonde captain and her beast-eared companion exchange worried glances, confirming every house stands deserted. Soldiers spread through the village reporting empty sectors, their commander demanding answers about the vanished inhabitants. Unwilling to accept defeat, the captain storms forward, insisting on checking every corner for hidden tunnels. Standing alone amid the ghost town, she realizes with dawning horror that the villagers deliberately fled. A violent collapse erupts underground, rabbit silhouettes fleeing as rock and dust consume the passage. Inside the cavern, blue slimes and rabbitkin watch the chaos unfold around them. This white-haired beastkin's determined gaze reveals this was Jihoon's first coordinated operation all along. 2 figures sprint through moonlit forest as a chilling order echoes, abandon Warren entirely. A strategist's grim assessment cuts deep, comparing Warren's defenses to blocking missiles with wooden shields. This earth fractures violently, cracks spiderwebbing across stone as something massive shifts beneath. A cave entrance crumbles outward, blue slimes and tiny figures scattering as the mountain itself seems to move. This rabbit-eared commander watches her forces retreat through tunnels, setting a trap for any pursuers foolish enough to follow. This blonde captain stands frozen as a devastating explosion tears through the ground behind her. This village itself will become their prison, she realizes as the ground crumbles. Rocks collapse violently, sealing paths and trapping everyone inside the canyon. 2 knights stand bewildered in the empty village, sensing something's wrong. A scout shouts, spotting a dark elf fleeing toward the cliffs. A soldier reports a hidden tunnel, another escape route within the village. Rib understands the enemy anticipated their move and used traps to delay. But the exit's obviousness feels wrong, too convenient, raising her suspicion. An explosion rocks the path ahead, forcing them to halt abruptly. Through the smoke, a dark elf lunges, attacking with fierce determination. Her eyes narrow. What if this confrontation is itself the trap? A knight demands the alternative route, pointing toward the graveyard. Rib activates her light sword dance, glowing with radiant energy. She dashes forward, a beam of light cutting through the chaos. This dark elf leaps away, having bought enough time for escape. Bell's power peaks in straight formations, a tactical advantage noted. A hand grips the scream spike, a B-rank weapon pulsing with dark energy as someone declares, take this. Purple light blazes in determined eyes, the wielder's voice low. I have grown stronger than before, dark. A massive dark slash erupts downward, purple energy cleaving through the ranks of soldiers below. This knight surge forward as one, their captain roaring, everyone attack, with blades drawn. Purple and pink energy detonates across the battlefield, a catastrophic blast swallowing everything in its path. A soldier staggers back in disbelief, recognizing the dark element power as identical to Lady Bianca's strikes. Rib stands frozen at the epicenter of swirling purple energy, her brother's desperate cry cutting through the chaos. Rib's face drains of color as the overwhelming force closes in around her. Golden radiance ignites from the shadows, someone chanting light sword dance, as brilliance floods the cave. A blonde knight with braided hair unleashes flash strike, moving with blinding speed through the darkness. Light and dark energy collide in a devastating explosion that shakes the cavern walls. This blonde knight meets the elf's blade in a fierce clash of golden and violet power. This elf's green eyes burn with fierce determination as she holds her ground against the assault. Dark and light energies spiral violently around them as both warriors exchange relentless, devastating blows. Recognition dawns on the elf's face as she realizes this is the knight Jihoon described, the strongest of them all. This elf lunges forward, golden energy blazing from his weapon as he strikes. Rib's eyes narrow, her body radiating holy light as she meets his assault head-on. His pupils contract, dual-wielding, she is fighting with 2 blades at once. A memory surfaces, Jihoon's warning about a blonde knight who moves like a storm. Their weapons collide, S-rank power against S-rank power, the impact shaking the cavern. He realizes the truth, she operates on a level beyond what he imagined. Explosions of light erupt around them as their duel intensifies. Rib stands amidst the chaos, golden trails following her every movement. A brown-haired knight watches in disbelief. No monster should be able to match Rib's sword dance. This elf's resolve hardens, determination burning in his gaze. A smirk crosses his face, so this is what passes for the strongest. They clash again, blades singing through the air with devastating force. This elf's expression shifts, something darker awakens within him. His grip tightens, dark energy coiling around his weapon like living shadow. Rib's blue eyes lock onto him, her stance unwavering despite the mounting pressure. A colossal purple energy slash tears through the air, its destructive power announced by the words dark slash. Rib's brilliant blue eye narrows with focus as she activates her signature technique. Light sword dance. A deafening explosion echoes through the rocky canyon, prompting a startled soldier to shout. What was that sound? A scout rushes through the forest to report to Lord Euros, urgently yelling. There is a tunnel. This bearded commander, Lord Euros, gazes sternly ahead as the chapter title, 35 Battle of Warren, appears. From the tree line, a knight observes a strange, dinosaur-like creature standing guard near the canyon cliffs. Soldiers outside the cave connect the dots, realizing the enemy abandoned the village just before that massive explosion. A white-haired ally smiles, informing Lord Euros that Rib is alive thanks to a shadow-tracing tactic. Inside the smoky cave, Rib stands ready with her twin glowing swords, facing off against the wounded dark elf. From the shadows, a single red eye watches the duel, impressed that anyone can fight Rib evenly. This battered dark elf, bleeding and determined, grips his blade as speculation about his identity arises. Lord Euros, holding his warhammer, declares that in a duel, Rib is unbeatable, but their duty is the king's command. A gloved hand raises a massive, ornate warhammer high, preparing to unleash a powerful area skill. This skill, Earthquake Acceleration, activates, bathing the entire army in a golden light that boosts their speed. Soldiers surge forward, their bodies suddenly feeling lighter as the acceleration skill takes full effect across the ranks. This bearded commander issues a cold directive, ordering his forces to strike the enemy's main force directly. Under a burning sunset sky, beastfolk and slimes trudge along the canyon path toward uncertain refuge. This white-haired beastkin pauses at the cave entrance, noting Belle's absence with growing unease. Her ears prick sharply as distant sounds cut through the twilight air. A spear materializes in her grip as something splashes violently nearby. Arrows embedded in the slime's gelatinous bodies confirm her worst fear. Horror floods her face as she realizes the enemy has already caught up to them. Her turquoise eye widens in sheer terror, pupils shrinking at the impossible speed of pursuit. Behind the trees, an endless sea of armored soldiers marches forward with spears raised. A line of archers draws their bows in unison, awaiting the command to unleash hell. This beastkin screams no, as she sees the inevitable volley forming above. Thousands of arrows darken the sky, raining down toward the exposed beastfolk and slimes below. Tor bellows desperately, ordering the slime unit into defensive formation. This confused slimes blink blankly, utterly bewildered by the sudden command. Realization dawns across the slime's faces as the shadow of falling arrows engulfs them. A towering blue slime erupts from the earth, shocking the onlookers below. This slime surge forward as a unified gelatinous wave, closing the distance fast. Arrows pierce their bodies but fail to slow the advancing, unbothered creatures. Soldiers panic, realizing their physical attacks are utterly ineffective against these foes. This minotaur bellows, urging the rabbiteer allies to charge while there is still time. His eyes narrow, vowing that not a single enemy will escape his grasp. A knight slams his hammer down, unleashing the devastating rupture wave attack. This impact throws the giant slime backward, cracking the ground beneath it. Nearby, the white-haired beastkin girl watches the clash with wide, concerned eyes. A massive explosion erupts, sending debris flying as allies witness the destruction. Suddenly, the ground itself rises up, creating a massive, blocking wall of earth. Allies stare in horror, realizing their escape path has been completely sealed off. This commander roars, ordering all units to charge as retreat is cut off. Soldiers advance in relentless formation, their orders clear, leave none alive. From behind, the beastkin girl stands her ground, ready to face the onslaught. This white-haired beastkin calls out Jihoon's name, her voice tight with rising panic as smoke billows behind her. Tor raises his hammer, bellowing for everyone to prepare for battle as the girl watches with concern. Rabbitkin warriors, swords drawn, declare they will fight to the death since escape is impossible. Larger beastkin roar for revenge, rallying together with grim determination under the darkening sky. A horde of blue slimes cheers in unison, their collective voice adding to the defiant stand. This white-haired girl addresses the assembled forces, her expression hardening with resolve. A quiet moment under the clouds, a simple affirmation hanging in the tense air. She clenches her fist, realizing Jihoon's plan to retreat is no longer an option. This moon emerges through the clouds, a reminder of the second chance they have been given. A system alert reveals Night Force activates, boosting all monster stats as night falls. This monster alliance charges forward, their ranks and numbers displayed as battle begins. A versus screen starkly contrasts the monster alliance with the human knights, setting the stage for the clash.